What's going on, everybody? Mike here. If you'd like to join the ever-growing Fly Casual community, please take a moment right now to subscribe to our channel and share with a friend.
Yeah, baby. Still I can't let go. You know what you do to me. It's unnatural. It's all you, Mike. And you.
Hey, everybody, we have reached the end of the Skywalker saga. This is Corey. You're back for Fly Casual because you want to know how to go, baby. How'd it go, baby? Well, I'm telling you, we're going to tell you right now because we're at the end of the road. It's time to fly casual. Let's get ready to wrinkle! All right, let's wrap this crap up. I want to get to bed.
All right. Hey.
Good luck with that.
Just kidding! Just kidding! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Fly Casual. I can't call it a spectacular. We burned that one on the Christmas episode.
Spectacular.
Well, welcome to the Fly Casual Hectacular Rise of Skywalker Special Edition 20XC6.
Patent pending.
That's right. TM, circle ball, R ball, my initials somewhere.
CM. C, just the C.
Okay, fair enough. I'm good with that. Hey, everybody, we have got a packed house tonight. I'm not kidding. I knew it was going to be more than just the four of us, but I didn't exactly know how displaced the water would be by this boat up until like a day ago. So I am thrilled to say, here I am, your co-host, Mr. Corey T. Wilson. With me on my left is not Michael J. Archbold.
The hell?
Negative. It is Toby.
It's Toby.
Hey!
Back from outer space. Toby here. I can tell because of the little antenna sticking out of his headphones.
It's like a Martian. Optimus Toby.
Yep, with his taped together headphones. How's it going, man?
Hey, I'm doing all right.
It's been a long
Hello,
time
everybody.
since you've been on here.
See, brother man.
It has been since Rogue One we've established.
I'm still hazy on that. I know I was not here the last time.
So you guys seen Rogue One, right? Everybody seen Rogue One? On the No spoilers. So Darth Vader.
I can't wait to see the part where the TIE fighter's like right in front of her. Oh. That's the best part.
And they're running on the beach with his the plans. It's amazing.
The plans and they escape.
Yes, right.
I assume.
They lived happily ever after. I will say, though, those dulcet tones are on Toby's left, Mr. Michael J. Archbold. Hello, Mrs. Doubtfire.
He's really stuck to the Mrs. Doubtfire thing.
Yeah, why not?
Because he knows he can get me to do it if he doesn't.
I know, I was waiting.
Yeah, that's very
waiting.
true. Howie's kind of a call and answer. It's like Pavlov's dog, man. Hello. See?
And then he also, like,
Always-
Steven wants a cracker after
Always
that.
in tune. Always tune there are.
Howie's falling asleep over
Master
there. So
Doubtfire and the Apprentice. Yeah. Over there at Master Control, taking a swig from a bottle of the old Irish whiskey.
The Bushmills.
The Bushmills green, black,
yummy.
green or black?
Oh, green
label.
Whoa.
Mr. Stevie J. Howie.
So, yeah, I still love Bushmills.
Yep, it's still a thing.
But that Pappy was pretty darn good.
Oh, the Pappy Van Winkle was really tasty. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Howie and I got to partake.
And
We had 1 ounce each.
Yeah, we had 1 ounce each. And guess how much that ounce was?
How much is an ounce of Pappy Van Winkle 15 year that we had?
I already saw you text about it.
$60.
$75.
What?
I just got super hot.
Ounce. That is
Yikes.
right.
Yeah.
Thankfully, neither of us paid for it.
And then I had 2 ounces of Blue Label
How
at
much is that an ounce?
$50.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
So I made my
almost as
boss
much as
spend,
Printer Ink.
give me a drink and a half for $125.
Attaboy.
We don't have to document it like that, do we?
I don't know why we didn't get Christmas
Are
bonuses.
you offering him proof of itemization for his tax return?
Yes, yeah. So if they ever come back, he can refer to this podcast.
Yeah, there
and
you
be
go.
like, well,
No,
see,
right
right there.
there. Right there. These
From
guys.
what I hear,
piss
pissed that all out like 20 minutes later.
From what I hear, the boss man did not care.
Nope, he was just fine, happy to share. But before we get to those tones, on Howie's left, this is hard for me because it's mirror image now. Fresh from Canada, Mr. Steve, resident Canadian.
Yeah, there you go.
Resident Canadian.
Thank you.
Stephen, not Jay Petrie.
Hello, cats and kittens.
Yeah, it's topical.
Yeah.
Because what did you do yesterday?
I see what you did there. I got a cat.
He got a cat.
Yeah.
That loser.
Is he a loser because he has a cat or because he got a cat after you got a cat?
Yeah, it copied me.
Yeah.
I got a cat. I was the first one ever.
He was the first Canadian with a cat ever to have a cat.
Right.
Well,
Canada's too cold for cats. They
it is.
You want to share your cat's name on the podcast?
The cat's name is Apophis.
Apophis.
Who is named after the
Apophis?
Yes.
Like the,
Go ahead,
nerd.
God, right?
Go ahead, nerd.
Like what?
Is that like a god?
It is. It is an Egyptian god of chaos and destruction.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Appropriate name.
As cats are wont to be.
Yep.
I think I was throwing that around for when I was coming up with a handle back in the day.
Oh, wonderful.
Gaming.
Oh.
But I settled on Anubis instead.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I named my cat. So.
I was Horus. No, wait. What was I? Yeah, I was Horus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonathan.
Jonathan Online. My first gaming name.
Jonathan
It was so
Online.
meta, you guys.
86725.
My first gaming name was Garrick 123.
Mine was actually Chico Loco.
Oh.
But I can't pass for Mexican, unlike Toby.
Yeah, mine is Mex everywhere I go.
Yeah.
So I just blend right in.
On Petrie's left.
Flag and everything. I always wear a flag when I'm playing it.
Well, certainly, yes.
You always wear a flag? Or
Ole,
you
ole,
are
I
flag?
have to do that. It's part of the job.
Your little gamer
Yeah.
avatar is a flag.
Yeah.
It's always the flag.
Whatever ethnicity of people he's playing with.
I gotta always have the
That's
flag.
the flag.
German flag.
German flag. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just play, ole, ole. You know, you gotta do that whole soccer chant.
As Germans are wont to do.
Yeah, all the time with that Olay business. They never shut up about it.
Hey.
Damn. But their arms say strictly at their sides.
Because that's a different kind of chant.
Ole.
When the Olays
no.
roll together fast, it kind of sounds like...
No.
I'm just saying that on that note, right next to Petrie is Josh from Kokomo.
Hello, world. Corey tried to keep me out of the
did the
podcast
same.
tonight, but I defied him.
Yeah, by not coming in the house. I looked down at my phone after having dinner, sat down, watched some TV. I'm like, I should probably go down and make sure we have enough mics in the studio. So look down at my phone. Oh, Josh has been sitting in the cul-de-sac since before I got home.
I was living my best life.
Just out there rocking and rolling with the headlights on.
Rocking and rolling. Down to the beach, I'm strolling. With seagulls smoking my
This
head.
is Howie's Pavlov dog thing again.
Stop it now.
We actually, you might not believe this, everyone, but little behind the scenes fact, we've just started imbibing like just now.
No, yeah, I'm still on my first one.
Yeah,
we
barely.
haven't.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can never speak for Garrick.
Garrick's been drinking all day.
Yeah,
Yes.
all day long. He's been drowning
Is it
his
Friday? Yeah,
sorrow.
all day.
Yes,
it
is.
Is it Monday? Yep, all day.
But
All day.
Tuesday?
Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about tonight, and it doesn't have to
I
do with
did
any
some
of that.
day drinking on Wednesday. It was awesome.
New Wednesday drinking, the best drinking.
Got to get through the week,
When I had
man.
my pappy.
You're almost there,
We
kid.
got a lot to talk
You're
about
almost
tonight, so
there.
it's time to jump right in. We're not going to do any of that normal crap we do. We're going straight into review.
Hey, let's
What
go.
are you reviewing? Are we doing comics?
Get Garrick's over there.
Yeah.
Also, Garrick's here, guys.
Stuff.
He gets to
My cat's
talking,
name is
and
Oliver, and he's fluffy and cute. Shut up.
he gets to talking, and I forget he has but he's jumping on his own
When you
marks.
forget Garrick, that's the best Garrick.
I know, that's your favorite thing that happens.
It's the good
Yeah,
boy.
that's the best thing.
Here's the funny thing. Think about it. I never forget Garrick if he stays silent. It's true. But if he starts talking, I completely forget.
It's a silent Garrick
There's
that'll get
logic. There's logic
Yeah.
at play.
That's That's the kind of person who sneaks up behind you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Know what I'm
And
saying?
does what?
Whoa.
I don't want to
Oh,
talk
you
about
know.
it. I filed that
Have you ever heard of
way
sketching?
back.
Kitchen.
Yeah, sketching. Lots of sketching.
So there was a movie
Hey,
what?
that happened.
What?
Well, boys.
I haven't seen it yet, guys.
We're talking about cats.
No spoilers. No
Hey,
spoilers. I
hey,
haven't
Mike,
seen it yet.
movie.
Mike, I have a list.
It's
Disney's
called Oliver and
Cats.
Company.
The dog
I have a
guys.
list
Dog
You
guys
do.
at the end.
Oh, that's right. Howie
because what tends to happen
is going to kick this off.
is we tend to just go everywhere
Yeah, we do. What?
and we go off the rails.
Yeah, we plow right
You
into
can't
stuff.
contain me.
And I never know
Yep.
if we've actually talked about the movie or not.
Nope, not at all.
You
So
made
I
a
made some
checklist.
talking points
He made a
that we
checklist.
could run through.
I love it.
Oh no!
Let's see
I
if
love
we
it.
can
Wow.
keep on point.
I believe how he just said, "Someone requisition me a beat."
I did, Garrick.
Yeah.
Oh
Give me
no!
a beat.
Talking
It's the bureaucracy. We're in the central bureaucracy
Oh,
right now.
I don't do the beat thing. That's not my thing.
Okay, no,
That's your thing.
I don't need a beat
Okay, good.
There
because
you go.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up some points.
Wicca, wicca, wicca.
And I know this is asking a lot, and I don't expect this to ever come out the way it should.
That's what she
That's
said.
what she
That's
said.
what she said.
It's working well
Oh
so
my
far.
god, that was like a religious chant just now.
I know.
That's what she said.
In the name of the That's What She Said.
Yeah.
Also with you.
Howie, you sound like a camp counselor for like a troubled
I know.
youth.
This is,
You're like,
that's
you're
what
like,
I'm
hey,
going
I'm
for.
gonna try, guys,
That's what
but
I'm going for. We did come across this movie.
Guys, could you settle down for a moment,
Howie's,
please, guys?
Howie's holding the
Please.
20-ounce Pepsi, everybody. He just
I have the talking stick right now.
there could be pizza later if you guys are really good.
I brought
Turn it over and it makes the sound of a thunderstorm.
I brought cake for a reason.
In your first
Now we're
week here
talking.
at Camp Wanna Learn.
It could be a lie, though.
Camp second chance.
All right.
All right,
I
just do this
back-
bad boy.
Sorry.
No,
don't you dare stop.
Don't-
I'm coming across this table at you. You're not. I can.
He's
lean
got
and get you.
talking points. He's got talking points.
This
I
is
got
JJ's
talking
second
Are they
chance.
bulleted?
All right. So, Frozen 2, everybody.
Oh my
Let's do
gosh,
it.
what
Let's
a
do it.
movie!
Let's do it.
Whoa.
Dude,
That
amazing.
was so sad.
I-
They all
I'm glad
died.
you brought
I
this up.
want Corey to explain our
Oh, I get the distinction.
yeah our we always have an interesting time going to see one of these saga movies, and so
Yeah.
Corey's going to explain to
Honestly, if you guys have been every time we get together to review one of the Star Wars movies, and it's not just the saga movies. I think we had issues with Rogue One initially. So I
Yeah.
think Solo may have been the first one we saw that wasn't jacked up.
I think you're right.
No, there was something with the sound.
When we saw
Probably.
I'm sure I went out and got him to turn up the sound, but
And
that's
you
just
wonder
normal
why I go
movie
see it
jacked
on
up.
my own.
Yeah. This is why, you're always better off not seeing it with us because I bring the bad luck
I'm not
with
stupid.
me. Garrick's been through it enough. He knows. But okay, so, Force Awakens started, and remember, the screen was hot pink,
Yeah.
and we couldn't see what was going on, and the sound was messed up. It was the first show, and the sound was messed up, and everybody started, and the lights didn't turn off either. I mean, they had just screwed up from head to toe.
yeah, they loaded the 3D trailers into
they
the
loaded the 3D trailers into the regular projector, and it threw off everything. So I'm not kidding. This is what would actually happen. And so they had to stop it, come in, apologize to everybody who's like booing
Reboot the
and stuff
system.
like that, reboot the system and fire it off. We got started like 30 minutes. Garrick was supposed to start at the same time as ours, and he was done 30 minutes texting us. Are you guys done yet? I'm going to text you the ending. Are you guys done yet? So, but we got through it, right?
We
And I
did.
think we established, and I don't know if people want to go back and listen to the Last Jedi podcast. I think we established that there was no sound when it started. Like there was just no sound at all. It was just,
Oh, no.
and we're like, what the heck? And
probably would have been a movie had that been.
I got up, me and two other people got up and
That's really
stormed
bold of
out
Ryan Johnson
and
to
got them
start
to
out
fix
that
it.
Oh,
way.
wait, no, it was the Force Awakens when they loaded a 3D
Fucking
movie.
Ryan
Yeah.
Johnson.
Well, they put the 3D trailers in the non-3D.
Right.
We've
system.
established that. So
Okay.
on to the Rise of Skywalker.
So the Rise of Skywalker, we show up. I look down, I go and I bought these tickets a couple months ago on Fandango, right? And I bought me and Howie and what was supposed to be Petrie's ticket, but
Yeah.
you had a scheduling conflict.
Yeah, I went this morning and there were no problems.
Yeah. No, I took the kid with to fill your seat, right?
Yeah.
And then Mike's like, "Oh, I want to go." I'm like, "Well, you're going to want to sit in the back because that's Mike." So I bought Mike another ticket. So a second transaction on Fandango. I have never accidentally purchased a 3D movie in my
Yes,
life.
I was shocked.
in my life. But we show up and they say, okay, you're in auditorium 11 right over here. And we go up and we stand in line, we get our stuff. And we look down, I'm like, wait a minute, it says auditorium 6. And we go over and auditorium 11 says Star Wars 3D. And I went, 3D?
Yeah. 3D
At 6:20.
at 6:20 instead of 6 o'clock. And I'm like looking back and I'm looking at the meals. I'm like, that's not how any of this works. This was supposed to be 6 o'clock 2D. And it's just 6:23. We look inside. What's playing? Frozen 2 is playing
Frozen
in the theater. And so we're like, wait a minute. So I go back and I'm going, hey, this says 6. You said 11. That starts at 6:20. Also 3D. What happened? Like, I literally can't make any sense of any of it. And they're like, oh, no, yeah, let's look. And they're looking down at their phone, pulling up their own website. Like I'm too broken of a human being to do that.
Right.
And they say, it's 6:20, but it's in auditorium 11. And I'm like, it says Star Wars 3D. Are you sure? Because Frozen 2 is playing. Well, yeah, Frozen 2 is playing and then Star Wars 3D. I'm like, okay. Might you should have given us 3D glasses? Oh yeah. Let's get those. They get down. They have like a little Tupperware container that they're like, the kind you buy at Walmart. It's got the 3 drawers in it. I probably have like 2 of them stashed around this room. And they pull out 3D glasses. They give them to me, Howie, and my daughter. All right, fine. All right. So we're just standing there, just kind of awkwardly waiting for Frozen 2 to end. There's literally no one in there. No one. But we're waiting for it.
To see
and
Frozen
this other family
2?
walks up, and I'm like, "Are you guys?" And they're like, "Yeah, they told us we're supposed to be in this theater. Apparently, they're literally going through the exact same thing." I'm like, "Did they give you 3D glasses?" We had to go back and get them because the theater has no idea what's going on. All right, I'm going to fast forward through all the craziness, like the recliner that didn't work and all that stuff, and get to the point where the movie's getting ready to start. The trailers and commercials are going to start. I'm getting there. I'm not leaving you out, buddy boy. In a few minutes. And Howie's still texting Mike, like, Mike, we're in theater. You need to be in theater 11. And Mike's over there in theater 6 going, whatever, bros. Best of luck to you.
No, when I walked in, they were like, no, it's in 6. I know it says Frozen, but they switched it.
Yeah, the 6
just
did
go
say
sit
Frozen
down.
over it.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're like,
just go sit down.
Just go sit down. It's fine.
Yeah, so they're in there. And did they even give you 3D glasses?
I did get 3D
Okay,
glasses.
they were by that time they were handing them out 3D
Right.
glasses, but sending you to the other theater that they swore to me 3 times that was not going to be. So we're in there and it's getting ready. Like we're within a couple minutes, 3 minutes until, curtain, quote unquote. And Howie goes, oh, they're saying we're in the wrong theater. They're saying it right behind us. And we're like, oh crap. So all these people who are already frustrated are groaning. We're standing up. We're picking up our stuff. I've lost my 3D glasses in the process because no one bothered to say, Corey, they're on your head. Like they have been for the last 15 minutes, but I was under the impression that I lost them. So I'm like, all right, we got to go out. We got to get my new glasses. All right. You stand there, wait for me right here. I'm going to go get new glasses. I'm coming back. And the manager's standing there going, no. These people were all in the right theater. It's the other one. So wait here. They go in and tell all the people who are still in the theater, if you're here to see Frozen 2, you have to go to the other theater. So now through this single door, there's only one door in and out of this theater. The Frozen 2 people are trying to come out and the Star Wars people are trying to get back in. And we get excited.
They start battling.
We get
snapping their fingers.
These people came out looking so frustrated. And I just looked at them and said, hey guys, Frozen 2 is really good if you ever find it. And they're laughing and they go off and I walk in and we sit down. I'm like, all right, I'm a sweaty mess and I'm just like frustrated. My stupid collector cup is spilled on me. I was crap. I'm like, hey, wait, what about Mike? What about them? And then like Mike's a minute later, all these people come grumbling into the theater. And Mike comes over and he goes, these theater, I know what the fuck they're doing.
They swore to me. I went out 3 times.
They swore to me.
And they said, you're in the right theater. And then all of a sudden some guy runs in. It's like,
it was the manager.
Sorry, you're in 11. Go to 11. So everybody's like, what the hell? So everybody's getting up.
The trailers start rolling and we've got everybody here. I don't know how many people there actually meant to buy 3D glasses, but I'm looking up and down now and everybody's putting their 3D glasses off and on because no one knows for sure. Is this even really going to be in 3D? We don't know yet. We have glasses. None of the trailers appear to be in 3D. Oh, wait, no, the 12th trailer was in 3D. Okay, put the glasses on. We have the number 12. Trailer number 12 is in 3D.
12 of 43.
When the movie finally started, thank God everything was working.
It was, yes.
There you go. That was our adventure.
Yes. That
was my first time. The movie.
If that was my first time going to Regal, I would never go back.
I went to Regal.
Yeah, but you didn't go to ours. I would never go back.
Did you have like 45 minutes of previews / commercials?
Yes.
It was a lot.
Oh, and I should also mention, even though we were there at 6 o'clock on a Thursday, the place was trashed. It was like the filthiest I've ever seen the lobby. And I'm like, what the heck? Were all the Frozen 2 people that weren't even here already tearing up the place?
I was at the same place at 8:45 this morning. It was still trash.
Oh my gosh. It was disgusting.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It was disgusting. The opposite of what I normally expect from them.
But you know what wasn't trash? getting to see a movie
Oh,
Yeah.
called The Rise of Skywalker.
oh, that's true.
Or was
Or
it?
was it?
Or this is where they.
That's what we're here to discuss. Don't.
I don't have a don't.
There you go. That works better.
Nailed it.
All right, so I want to start off with
Oh, well, look at me.
Oh,
Palpatine, Exegol, and the Wayfinder.
Okay.
Let's discuss.
You just spoiled the whole movie.
You're right.
There it went.
Warning: there are spoilers in this.
They did
No.
that. They did all that in the first 5 minutes.
If you're going to start with anything, you got to start with the crawl. The first word, Palpatine's back, bitches. That's all.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't the
Just
first one. It was
get
like, the
used to
dead speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
The
like,
dead
what?
speak.
By the way, this
Exclamation
isn't
point.
necessarily all in order.
No.
My talking points.
No. It's because they're bullets. They're not numbered.
That's
you
right.
see?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
We
No,
all,
but-
we all learn the hard way.
Okay, so
Did the crawl seem a little disjointed to you?
yeah.
Are we starting with the crawl? I don't know.
no, it seemed in 3D to me.
It's like,
It was.
well, the dead
Yeah.
speak. Palpatine's back, and then Ray and Finn are doing this, and General Leia's doing that, and here we are. Let's go.
I was very nervous when I saw the crawl. I'm like, oh no.
Get it out of the way.
Oh,
They've
no.
got it out of the way.
Yeah.
Rip the Band-Aid. We got
Really?
we got watching to do.
I mean,
Right.
again, I feel like they had a lot to accomplish
That's
in
what I'm
this
saying.
film.
That's what I'm saying.
So you might as well throw
Yep.
some of that in the crawl
Yep.
and just get
Yep.
her done.
And
It's
so
not
what do we do?
It's not like every Star Wars movie hasn't already. The story already started before the movie started, folks. Like
Right.
almost every single one of them's that way.
Yeah, so what do? We get right to Kylo Ren finding a Wayfinder.
Ripping up some
Yep.
glowy eyed
Yeah,
dudes.
and
slow
what's
motion.
what's this
interesting.
Wayfinder like? Is it this? What is
I
this?
wish, honestly, okay, the Wayfinder, real quick, just so people know what we're talking about.
Sith holocron map. Nailed it.
It's amazing. Yes.
The end.
But I wish
Dun, dun,
that
dun.
they would have called it a holocron. I mean,
But it's not a holocron.
It's a
It's not.
special holoc.
It's a wayfinder.
I know.
It's a low tech holocron.
It's a
Called
holocron
the
with
Wayfinder.
Google Maps.
Yeah, I mean, they have a holocron that applies like sunblock, but they don't call it a holocron. Like, get the sunblock thing.
Okay,
Right.
okay. So I'm I don't know what the holocron I would have not known, but when they say Wayfinder,
Yeah,
it's like.
see, you
know the
Toby
point of
just
it,
comes.
yeah.
Toby comes from just the.
So by the way,
cinematic
yeah,
side of
I am
Star
literally
Wars,
like
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of us are deeper into the old canon. So in the old canon, a holocron would be
Even
like
the new
Wait,
canon.
explain it to him like he's 5.
yes.
Okay.
Toby doesn't know stuff.
Sith holocrons
I
are.
want to know about sex. I'm 5.
Dark
When a
dark,
redeemed dark Jedi loves a.
dark side sex is the
You have
best.
Sith holocrons and you have Jedi holocrons.
Okay.
And they are
Gets
basically
everywhere.
are essentially they hold knowledge.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah,
if
okay,
you
okay.
have one, then did you watch Rebels?
Yeah,
I don't know.
you started
No,
Rebels.
no,
Oh, you haven't started.
I'm
yet.
like the first season, but
Yeah, no, the first episode, the holocron, the blue thing he pulls out of Kanan's drawer.
Oof, yeah.
That's
So it's
holocron.
been a while.
So they hold knowledge.
I
I,
don't
mean, it's essentially that's what if you watch the prequels, that's basically what they had in the library, right? Is a bunch of holocrons that would hold knowledge and all that good stuff. So, but they can be found all over the galaxy, basically.
And
So
when-
okay, so to say Wayfinder, then I instantly think GPS.
Yeah,
then
like,
I'm
it
already
gives
in
you
like
an
And
idea
maybe
of what it
and,
does.
and
for me,
you're
I'm like,
right.
oh yeah, we're
So,
going there.
But
maybe
they
that's-
made it look like a Sith holocrons, which are usually the ones we've seen have been
Right.
like pyramid shaped.
Okay,
Right.
so yeah, that was totally it then.
red.
So,
So it did hold knowledge.
there was a red
It
little
did,
little
yeah.
red
It
dot.
held
Okay.
knowledge of how to get to Exegol.
That's right.
So
It was.
That was-
Anyways, that's
But-
But
That's
okay,
probably
well,
why.
no, and I'll tell you what, I
There was a red
appreciate.
"You are here"
I
dot.
appreciate that more now because I didn't like the word Wayfinder, but knowing that it helps general audiences, I guess I'm cool with
Yeah, it
that.
helps-
I'm
it
I'm
helps
the
the
general
players.
audience
The
idiot.
normies, the
I'm all right with
straights.
that.
Yeah.
I'm all right
It's
with
like a
it.
GPS versus your smartphone.
Can you could you pass me the holocron? I mean the bottle opener.
Different thing.
Yeah, see, the Wayfinders were several years old.
Beer me that.
Right.
Oh,
The
Holocron.
Wayfinders were already several years old, so it was more like a TomTom than the one on your
There you
smartphone.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's why they call it the Wayfinder.
You have
Anyways,
to plug it into your computer to
Dated.
update the,
Yeah.
the
Dated
map.
reference.
Pay like $250.
Yeah.
It was weird.
I remember him. Yeah.
It was kind of weird. He plugged it into his TIE fighter, though. But
He plugged it
yeah,
in
what do you guys
the
think
hypergraph.
about that? You just plug it in
put suction
USB
cups on it or
cable
something?
into your
Yeah.
TIE fighter.
That's the
and-
thing. I mean, yeah, maybe he had to get like a serial connector or something like that. But
No, in
USB-C.
Yeah.
if his TIE fighter's
too
running
old. It was
Windows,
too
it's
old
going
for
to
that.
support
Oh, that's
everything
right.
from ever. That's what I'm
Did he
saying.
stop by Tashi Station to pick up some wire converters?
Right.
Like
Yeah, he's got like a
HDMI,
parallel port on the
coax?
bottom of it.
in their galaxy in a far, far away, long time ago, it didn't matter which way you put the USB in.
That's right.
It's
You
Works
could
either way
just
forever.
either
You know
way.
what
No, this bad
you know
boy's
what does
scuzzy.
matter?
It's a miracle.
This USB port thing took him to Exegol. That's what mattered.
It did.
Yep,
Yes.
slapped it right in that PCMCIA slot, and he was
Yeah.
ready to go.
Yeah, and then we see him descend
Exegol, which we learned
down
is
into
Darkness.
It's
the,
Yeah.
the planet of the Sith. So is how many
No.
names have we had for this planet?
No.
it was-
This was an ancient. It didn't say it was the planet of the Sith. It said it was an
That's
ancient planet.
Marabon.
Morabon.
So this-
Morabon.
I don't think there was any suggestion that it
Corband
was
or die.
supposed to be Morband or Corband.
Right. But it
Corband
did
or
have the cool,
GTFO.
big, old-fashioned Morband statues.
It was
Right.
Corban in my head.
I mean, it was in mine.
Yeah.
It's not because
It's
they.
just
They
No.
both exist.
They're
Yes, they
different
both
planets.
exist because
Fine.
it was in Clone Wars. So
Yeah,
they're two different things.
Morband's canon.
2.
Morband's like a
Sorry,
desert,
it is.
red
It's
desert
not, I
sand.
didn't do this. Don't look at me.
I don't
Hey,
care.
guys,
I'm choosing
it's
to be
not
mad at
Mike.
you.
It's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Or my eye. We either one. But,
One, yeah, we don't know which one yet.
but we end up seeing, so Kylo meets Palpatine.
Yep.
And right away, boom, here's Palpatine.
Yep.
This is
He's
the first
right
minute
And
of
what
the
is-
movie.
and what does he look
And I'm
like?
sitting there like literally like rubbing my nipples, trying not to let my kids see me. Rubbing my nipples, holding the popcorn in an awkward position.
Yeah.
Because I love the fact that all this crap that we got baited with, like the clip at the end of the Mando Ep7 that we got the day before and all that, it's literally just like, guys, this is going to be the first 15 minutes of the movie, and then you don't know what the hell's going to
Yeah.
happen after that.
Yeah.
Unless you read all of the leaks. Maybe.
I did not.
Yeah, we did.
We pretty much were in. Yeah,
There were still some surprises, but we'll get there.
Yeah, and they didn't
yeah.
definitely didn't come out the way necessarily the way they said.
Yeah,
But
yeah. No, I had the wrong impression on
yeah.
several of them, which is great.
You guys
Well,
ever watch the History Channel show Vikings?
I have. I haven't.
Yeah, I have.
I watched like the first 2 seasons.
You know the sage or like I don't know what he's called, the prophet.
Yeah.
Their village.
Uh-huh.
That's what he looked like.
Okay. Yeah.
Was he missing a couple fingers too? Like
Yes.
been playing fast and loose with
Yes,
the
he
sables
was.
off?
It was really gross
He
looking.
was from Norway.
Yeah.
Palpatine was
Frostbite.
not all the way there. His body was not like in.
Did he have a lower half?
I'm not even convinced he had the lower half. I'm wondering
Yeah.
if he even still had,
we don't know.
Palpatino down there or not.
Or
Or
he
not.
was hooked up
No,
to
he
this.
didn't.
This
He had robot
machine.
legs.
Yeah.
He probably
He
had
didn't.
robot
That's
legs.
why he had all the big Star Destroyers with the big wieners on them.
That's right.
Overcompensated.
He reminded me of Portal at the end of Portal when he had the what's her name?
GLaDOS.
GLaDOS,
Yeah,
yeah.
on the
Yeah.
Yep.
the little arm thing.
It'd be great if Palpatine had been auto-tuned like GLaDOS.
Oh.
That would have been
If you
great.
bring
I'm
Ray
every
to me,
voice
there
you-
will be cake.
Exactly.
Well,
Every voice that's ever been in your head.
let's not forget that even though Palpatine
This is
addresses
a
this, before he gets to Palpatine, he walks by like some weird tank with a whole bunch of old like Snokes. In it.
Yeah,
I
so
love the fact that Snoke doesn't even warrant an individual tank for every one of his bodies. They're like, hey,
No.
hey, hey, Nigel, is there any room in tank 5?
yeah, we got a little bit more room.
Hold on. Yeah, we can squeeze one more in.
We've got another failed Snoke here.
We got a couple of rotters in there. Just pile them on top. It'll be fine.
So they give a little bit of like, okay, Snoke is a nobody really,
Yeah,
right?
Pretty much.
Snoke is just a puppet, it turns out, and
which is funny because Palpatine kind of a little puppet.
So what do you
Yeah.
guys think about that?
Funny.
Now that it's like we've heard
Okay.
about this, but now
so
that it's real,
here's my guess is that had JJ done all 3 movies, Snoke would have been the
Something-
big bad baddie,
He would have been something more than he was.
right?
I would definitely.
I don't
we may have
believe
not
for
have
a
gotten Palpatine at all.
I don't believe for. I mean, JJ claims that Palpatine was what he thought from the beginning. I don't buy that. Though. I mean, I feel
I don't not buy that.
I don't. I really don't. I think that was the hand he was dealt with the Last Jedi, and it is what it is.
I
So.
didn't feel like Snoke was that interesting from the beginning. He barely, I'm not convinced Snoke was kind of too much. Well, let's make him big and let's make him gnarly looking. Like, it's like, really, this is so
but you know
cliche.
what? Maybe he had some form of Palpatine.
Gotta
but
walk like he's got a hip replacement.
It was different. It would have been different had Snoke not been killed in Last Jedi.
I agree there. But I think there would have been more of a Snokey presence, if you will, a Snokey aftertaste in this film. Where in reality they went,
Well, maybe
they the way that I looked at it was they're like, all right, we have to explain this, but we cannot give it 1 second of exposition. We
Right.
have to acknowledge what happened and immediately move on. And so all you got was the
Right.
camera panning past a tank of
And then-
piss and Snokes.
Yeah, and then him saying that I've been every voice that you've ever
That
heard
was,
in your
that was
head.
really the Emperor's colostomy bag. He didn't have anything going on down there.
It takes a lot of carbs to run all that machinery.
Well, that's, I mean, you said it, the Snoke in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi walked all jacked up. It's because he was crammed into a vat with 32 other.
Yeah, his muscles were malformed from
Snoke
having
eye.
one leg.
They picked him
tucked
out
under
like
the
a
other.
lobster. They were like, you,
Right.
you're the best looking one. Go out there and
They're
perform.
sitting all out front, all looking forlorn at the front of the
if he
restaurant.
really did have
Trying to pull his
Was he
fingers
gonna
apart.
open a restaurant where you
Yeah.
eat snow?
Yes,
Oh, that sounds delicious.
fresh Maine Snoke.
if
They
he really
scream
did,
when you put them in boiling water. It's weird.
if he really did have Palpatine in mind from the beginning, I mean, it probably would have been that, you know, the same thing that his spirit inhabited his
It was
body
like
or
the spirit.
something to
You
that.
would, I don't think we would actually had Ian McDermott.
Sure. Right.
Yeah.
I honestly think that if we could look at JJ's original treatment, the end
Be
of
interesting.
the end of episode 2, we would have found out that
Would it be
Senator Palpatine
8, you mean?
was Rey's grandpa.
Hashtag release the JJ cut.
Because of the mirroring, and he basically fit his 2 movies that he wanted to do into one movie.
Oh, yeah, like
So he
Darth
had-
Vader on
he
his
had-
father.
He
kind
had
of
to
thing,
just speed through all
Oh, yeah.
that and rework it and make it work. But I think that the
Well,
end of episode
that actually
2
brings me to my
would
next
have been
point
Senator
about
Palpatine saying, "I'm your grandfather."
yeah. That's actually my next point is Ray Palpatine, and
Okay.
what does this mean? What
Yes.
and her
I mean,
backstory.
I totally accept it. I mean, I think they worked it the way it needed to be worked to fit with what they were dealt.
But we never saw in the flashback, we never saw the notch on the side of her dad's head that proved that he was Triclops. And so I'm a little upset about that. I'm a little upset that
It was a real quick scene. Maybe
I
we
will
watch
say
it.
this is the one thing. This is the one criticism I have about the movie is that in my mind, I wish that Rey was not a Palpatine. I almost wish that she would have been a nobody and it would have been a different.
I still
Why
like
is that?
the
Why is
idea. The fanboy wet dream I still think would have been a stronger. I'm not upset. I would think it would have been a little stronger if she had just been another attempted Project Anakin, where he just like pointed at a girl and went,
perhaps.
and you're pregnant.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
which is what he did with Anakin. I don't know if you know that because that's a comics thing. Are you aware that Sidious is pretty much Anakin's ghost dad?
I think we kind of discussed
So
it
to
earlier,
speak,
but
yeah.
before tonight, I had no idea.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
So I was theorizing that Rey was just another attempt at him doing the same thing. Like he just tried to create another Anakin. And
See,
Rey,
and I
that's
would
why
have
she got
accepted-
hidden away and stuff like
Right. See, that would have been better. I mean, just to me, it seems too easy to just make, you know, it's like, oh, well, Vader's Luke's dad and
Well, no, and
Palpatine's Rey's
actually,
that.
dad.
I got busy with this one.
Yeah, it gets there's a lot of questions now. Like, okay, Palpatine's getting busy with who, and who are these parents? Like,
Yeah,
how does-
right.
Well, yeah, it's like you have these two
see,
what does that
dyads.
mean?
He
You
was
have
doing a
these
stadium concert in there. He could have all the, you know what, that he
Right.
wants.
you have these two dyads of the Force. One of them is
No,
Go.
that's later, man. That's
Adhere
later.
to Howie's bullet points that you have no idea.
okay.
Right.
All I'm saying
Use the
is at this
Force.
point
Use
we
the
do
Force.
know he's one of them's great grandpa and one of them's grandpa.
Yeah,
I mean, so that's kind of like, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, there was
You're-
we had another family kiss in this film.
Yeah, pretty much.
yes, we
It was
Kinda.
it was nephew and aunt.
I
Or
see
no,
what
no,
you're
wait, no,
saying.
the other way around.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have
Yeah.
seen it if maybe she was a clone.
Yeah.
A Palpatine
I actually
clone.
thought she was a
The
clone.
cave scene in The Last Jedi, which again, we can now officially say meant
Nothing.
Yeah.
which is unfortunate, but
No.
fully acceptable.
Yeah.
But the cave scene made a lot of people think, including myself, that she's a clone.
Right.
I thought that.
And which still jived with my other theory. If I,
I'd have
pulled
been
enough
okay
taffy.
if she was an Emperor clone somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
or
know.
like some I don't know, some fused DNA from the gene farm,
Right.
wherever. But
oh, Sacarac.
yeah,
At the
yeah,
beginning,
whatever it
of
is.
at the beginning of that scene, you know, all the cylinders and where my mind went was to the sporadic clones
Yeah,
cylinder.
yeah,
That's-
on Mount Tantus.
Right.
This would have
exactly.
been like whole Tantus.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
On
kind of where I
Mercury.
went. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
they're really going this way with? Oh no, they didn't.
Nope, that's just a bunch of Snoke.
Right.
A whole bag of Snoke.
Little Snokitos.
All right, let's fast forward to Lando.
Whoa, that's fast forwarding a lot.
Yeah.
I'm
We just hyperspace jumped like 3 times.
Yeah,
to Lando.
what was it called? The speed jumping thing he was doing?
light jumping,
light speed jumping.
Can I talk about that because it came right after that?
Sorry.
Before we go to Lando. Because
How we said we're not going in order.
the only reason why, and I want to touch on that because this was actually for me probably the biggest groaner in the film. So thankfully he got out of the way early because every time he
We do
seems
have
to
a
randomly.
section. We do have a section for groaners.
Every time he randomly
Yeah,
jumps,
did you read the
every
list?
time he randomly jumps, he's on planet somewhere, and I'm like, what are the odds? Because he's not Corellian, so I can ask.
Yeah.
Right.
And he has
What are
to
the
dodge.
odds that
No,
you're gonna jump and
good
just
because
always be
Into Atmo. Yeah.
in Atmo.
right.
No, because planets, it'll either be a planet or a star because the gravity will pull you out of.
Yeah.
hyperspace.
Hopefully, well in advance of you
Yeah,
actually getting into the
exactly.
atmosphere.
Whoops,
Right.
roll dodge.
Oh no, there's like a brief time for the
Oop, there's a
hyperspace
mountain.
engines to cut off.
Ooh, lots of craggy spires. Ooh, we should look for the Hand of Thrawn while we're here. That was a deep cut. Sorry.
Yeah, that was a
I
groaner.
got
You're
it.
right. That was an eye roller.
Yeah.
But anyway,
It reminded me of
I loved it
Guardians
though.
of the Galaxy.
you loved it,
2,
really?
I loved it. I was
I
like,
mean, on screen it looked cool, but
I would have appreciated if they at least had like 1 or 2 jumps in between that was just, I don't know, space.
me too.
I don't know,
Spread a
but
little.
see, okay, so this is where maybe me not knowing what's going on is like.
There's a lot more
Well-
space than planets, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I feel like they were.
the space jumping is a lot less believable.
Yeah.
Like it's like okay, that's
But this is okay. So this is where like
there for just the fun of it.
yeah,
not because it
that's
makes any
me.
sense.
So that's like the general audience. Man, me and we were like smiling ear to ear. I was looking at my buddy who's like me. He's like, we don't know. I mean, we don't have like the science down, so we're just like, oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. Like,
right
well, you
now,
know,
there is no science
Toby,
around.
what
That's
did I
good.
tell you about holding my PhD in astrophysics against me?
so we're like, I mean, I'm just smiling ear to ear. I was like, this is amazing. I just kept saying it. I was like, this is. I just because I've never
So you
seen it
loved
before.
that.
I loved it.
I thought it visually looked great.
Visually, it was great.
visually,
It was
yeah.
cool.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was
but
there
the whole
for.
time I'm like, oh, this is great. But in the back of my mind, like, this is
Well, this is
Kind of
impossible.
ridiculous.
It's-
Kind
yeah.
of ridiculous.
the whole first
That's
half
one
of the
of-
movie is
that's
like
one
a
of those
fast cut
things
Michael
where-
Bay movie.
It was.
Bam, 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 bam.
I will
That's one of those
rip
things
your
where
tongue out
Han
of your
tried
head.
to pull it off in like a book or a comic.
Yeah.
He'd be like, "Oh, this is awesome! This
Yeah.
is great! Look at what Han's doing." But I don't know, something like the multimedia visual medium was just like, "Yeah, okay."
Did you
felt
say
like I was watching-
multimedia?
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric
Are
just,
we back in the 90s?
Eric's hair
Yeah,
just all
multimedia,
turned gray and
video
fell out.
and sound, right? It's
Yeah.
multimedia.
Yeah. What this disc has got great quality. It's 320 by 240 resolution.
The Audio
Oh, my
Video
God.
Club.
The Dewey Decimal System.
No.
Greatest thing.
All right, back to Lando.
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 There's my baby.
It's a man.
there was not enough Lando in this
So what-
film.
No,
I
no.
agree.
There was too much
What planet were we
Lando
on?
in this
No,
film.
What planet were we
We
on where we
needed
had the
more.
color party?
The color party.
Yeah.
Whoa.
The,
Whoa.
Go away.
Racist.
oh, like the
Lando
color,
lot of
color
colors.
party.
the color walk.
Wow.
Everybody's throwing
What's-
color chalk everywhere.
Yeah, the
I
color
don't see
chalk.
colors. Howie.
It's a color run.
Wow.
I don't know. I see pink. I see
That was
blue.
Pasan, wasn't it? Was it called Pasan? The planet?
Sure, yeah, it was.
Yeah, Pasan.
Whatever you said is true.
This is
Yep.
this
So-
is the planet that Luke had gone to before searching for a wayfinder.
Yeah, we get that
and
from
for
Lando.
whatever reason, Lando's like, I love this place. I'm gonna stick around for a couple decades.
Well, that's because they had to. No, it's because the once in every. What was it? 43-year party that was going
42.
down?
No, it's 42.
42,
I never
yeah.
remember that specific.
Okay.
Because that's the answer.
To everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
You're
Answer
right.
to the
You're
question,
right.
Meaning stuff.
Yep. The thing.
Life, universe, and
The hitchhikers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't
Yep.
bring it down.
For me, it was fun seeing Lando. I
For all the
mean,
fish.
to me, it's bittersweet because, you know, whenever I saw him on screen, it reminded me that, even though we got, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill together, we never put them on screen together.
I just
So,
kept waiting for like a droid fist to just burst through his chest so they can execute him in the most brutal
I
way
know.
possible because that's what I
I was
used to.
expecting,
This-
and that's what some of the
this
leaks
is
were, is that
the
they were
guy
going to.
who survives.
Yep.
Yeah.
Him and Chewie.
Right,
Yep.
the legacy characters that actually survived. So.
Well, Chewie didn't survive. Just kidding.
Just kidding.
I liked how he was using a crossbow. What a classy weapon, right?
Yeah, right.
He's classy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he is.
Lando. He has not missed a step.
Nope.
No.
And I'm ready for my spinoff with him and that chick at the end. And he's like, well, let's find out where you came from.
Yeah.
You join my entourage. I'm going to take you places you've never been before.
I'll show you who your daddy is.
Lay down on my couch and drink this martini.
Would you like to look at my cape closet?
Let's not forget,
He does have
though,
a cape closet.
at the
You mean my
initial
friend
meeting-
Bill Cosby?
Oh, no.
No.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Why
We're
don't
not
you
there
sit
yet?
this one out, Bill? Well, your one eye's gone funny. You're looking a little too much like Forrest Whitaker.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
Ezra!
Israel! I didn't need.
a dump.
I'm busting a grumpy.
Oh,
Hell no.
What?
No.
You sound so constipated.
Always. No.
You'll get to that episode of Rebels and you'll understand.
So I have no idea what you're talking about. I just keep picturing Bill Cosby taking a shit.
Forrest
And, you know,
Whitaker.
It's Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker. Okay, well, that even makes it better.
Yeah,
that makes it
Saw Gerrera.
sexier.
Saw
That's
Gerrera, Rogue
sexier.
One. He's in an episode of Rebels.
Oh,
And it is
in a
Forrest
few
Whitaker doing the
episodes.
voice.
Well, there you go.
that's the constipation episode.
It is,
on
yeah.
Disney. Okay.
his eyes are straight at the beginning.
damn it. Stop.
Wow.
Whoa. Oh. Man.
Forrest Whitaker alone. He's a national treasure.
Yeah.
Oh, every now and then
it's a-
Josh gets me in just the wrong spot.
It's an origin story.
That hit me.
He ate too much cheese.
That hit me.
I'm okay. What about Lando? Something?
Wait, something about Lando.
I'm ready for the
Yeah,
spinoff with him
spin-off
and that
of Lando.
chick.
Yes.
They like totally put their foot in the door at the end there with a, well, let's find out.
That
where
was
you're
pretty
from.
awesome.
Yeah. So let's
Yeah.
just make do a 4-part series on Disney Plus.
Yeah, why not?
Just say 4
Yeah.
episodes, an hour each. Their story. I'm in like Flynn, dude. I'm right there.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I brought
I said
Lando.
in like Flynn to make Garrick sound younger after saying multimedia.
Multimedia. Yep. One of the reasons I brought
People
up
still say
Lando
that?
is
Oh,
I
yeah.
wanted to discuss the whole reason that they were there and kind of, we have the ship that they got to find because Lando told them there's this ship.
Yeah. But not before saying, hey, Chewie, what's up? By the way, tell Leia I say hi.
That was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, she's
I heard
single
she
now.
might need some comforting.
She can come live here with us amongst the sand.
This isn't really a groaner, but like this whole massive festival played no.
We got colorful kites.
No, it played one purpose.
I mean,
so that, which was it BB-8 or no, is
BB-8.
BB-8 could blow up a canister in someone's
No,
face.
she had to have a necklace that he could grab through
Oh,
the
that's
pores.
right.
And to
Oh,
provide
yes.
provide chaos, so there's like this misdirection. They got to be
the
on alert.
stormtroopers, so the
Honestly,
stormtroopers can't.
Yeah,
find them
you got to
in
like.
chaos.
Yeah, it's like you gotta.
Theoretically, this I'm gonna go pretty deep for a second here, but like I actually think it served a really great purpose. Even though in the trailers and stuff like that, I'm like, if that's an end movie celebration, this is dumb, and it wasn't. It was just something that was happening. Kind of like in The Fugitive. Why is he chasing him through the freaking St. Patty's Day parade on the streets,
Right.
on Michigan Avenue?
Creates chaos.
Because it was a situation to create a sense of chaos, but it served another purpose. This movie was about just a handful of people going through a ton of stuff. So without reminding you that there are other people, which, sorry, folks, The Last Jedi, other than showing you a bunch of rich people on Canto Bight, failed to show you who they're fighting for. This movie, in the first 30 minutes, shows you these are the people who are about love and celebrating, and this is what
That's
they're
true.
fighting for. And I think that was actually a really great thing to do. Whether or not it accomplished it, that's up to other people's interpretation. But I actually really like the fact that we took just a few seconds to take a breath and go, these folks. And we did it again.
But without even
on
having
the-
to say it, they didn't even have to say it.
No, there
You
was
shouldn't
nothing.
say it. You should never say it.
Never
You
should
should just
say it.
And you get the
Yep.
the little kid, whatever it is, interacting with Ray,
Right.
and
Yep.
oh, this is my name. What's your
Sure.
love
name?
it. I love it.
Right.
And that was,
Yep.
I mean,
I did too. Yep.
it showed some
Yep.
humanity.
I would have joined the
They were humans,
resistance for Babu Frick in a second.
Yeah.
Talking
Oh,
point
that little
13. You're too far.
Well,
ahead.
let's get to him then.
I can't
Babu
wait.
Frick?
Babu Frick.
Yeah.
I know, Babu Frick.
Well, if we're there, if we're with Babu Frick though,
you forget about me. don't, because he puts that little fist bump.
Yeah, he's like,
but Corey, you just talked about how we see a different group of people on a planet.
Mhm.
So here we establish on, and I forget what planet they're on, where Babu Frick is.
We'll
but-
figure all that out later.
Can't
But-
bite
Genie.
too.
and they're in misery.
But you have this entire city where the stormtroopers are raiding like every nightly.
Yep.
There's things blowing up, people screaming. We basically learned that the resistance has the First Order has basically been taking all of their children
And
So-
conscripting them.
and conscript. So
we knew that because they said it in the Force Awakens,
Yeah.
but we didn't see it.
and we didn't
Yeah.
feel
Right.
it,
And
and that,
so the seeing it, you feel it much more.
Because someone actually stopped and said, "Wait a minute! Everybody thinks the First Order is a big joke. Why do they think that? Oh yeah, no exposition, no reason to how they came
Right.
about, and
Yes.
also we made a freaking Keystone Cops out of their leadership."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They did a lot better in this movie with
right.
that.
And,
Way
and,
better.
and
Way
the only
better.
thing, the only thing that we saw in the first two movies was whenever they're originally on Jakku and they're like taking out the little village.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, these guys are bad. From that moment on,
dastardly.
they didn't seem like anything to fear other than people who could shoot stuff from far away.
Yeah,
So that was good. I appreciated that.
I did.
No, yeah, it was Kylo throwing a temper tantrum, and Hux playing the Laurel to his Hardy.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
But you're right, though. I mean, in this movie, we got to see the First Order on different planets. They
Being
had garrisons. Yeah,
Being imposing
Right,
and
exactly.
scary and
It's
not
like-
stupid.
right. Yeah,
Being
it wasn't
Yeah, competent.
Keystone's
Actually,
cops in space.
A
yes.
little bit.
A
I
little
mean,
bit of
there were
competence.
moments where they were just getting shot down left and right, and you're like, okay, here we go again. But then there were
classic.
The
moments where
jetpacks were pretty
Right.
comical.
right, but then there were moments where they
fly
were on the tail, and you were like, okay, these guys are something to deal with.
Yeah, they fly now.
well,
Oh,
okay,
they fly
so
now. They
that
fly
joke
now.
was, but my favorite is the rock. Like when I play Star Wars Battlefront 2,
Yeah.
I'm always the rocket. I'm always like flying around,
Yeah.
shooting down. So when I saw that, I was like, that's me.
Yeah.
Hey, I was like, high fiving. I was like,
But guess what?
that's how I play this
Guess
game.
what? You were able to fly a long time ago.
Right.
That
See,
wasn't
the-
something new.
The point, the point is that the joke in it was like, they fly now, they fly now, they
It
fly
doesn't
now.
matter because, as we all know,
I know.
as long
They
as
can
Toby
always
feels
fly.
represented,
Yeah,
That was me.
that's the whole point of Star Wars. That
He
everyone
had a
can feel
Mexican flag
represented.
on. He was flying
Get back on, I
around.
belong.
Hey, ole.
In the scope of things, it was just a line, and it's just like there's certain things you
The
just
line
gotta
was
overlook.
was corny, but I actually when I saw that I was like,
No, that
that's
was
who
cool.
I play
the
all the
actual
time.
action
Yeah.
was
Oh, yeah,
cool.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
And
video
I already
game
got my
fan-
groan out of
fan
the way when they released that footage earlier.
Yeah, so
when
we
I
already
saw
knew
it,
it was
exactly. I was like, okay, that's cool. Like it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Never
still-
understood
So
my
we,
droid.
we met two characters, new characters to this saga on whatever planet that was.
Dark imposing planet.
Dark imposing planet where they're stealing children. What's their names?
Daft
Zori
Punk.
Bliss.
The child napper and oh wait, we're not talking about Chitty Chitty. I'm sorry.
No,
Talking about Zori Bliss,
Zori Bliss
Bliss's
Yeah, the-
planet.
Babu Frick.
and Babu Frick.
Yeah. the chick.
Let's talk about Zori
Uh,
Bliss real quick because I think Babu
I
is gonna get
liked
more.
Zori Bliss. I didn't know what to expect out of that character at
Boy,
all.
and I whiffed hard on
But
this one on my
I'll
predictions.
tell you what.
I want a spin-off.
The banter between her and Poe was perfect.
Yeah.
It felt
right
normal.
there.
One of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah,
Me
I want to
too.
hit. I want to hit
Oh,
on. I want to hit on
this
this.
whole
So wait a
scene.
minute.
I want to
Wait,
hit on
no.
this banter between her
Just
and Poe is perfect. Okay,
on the when
right.
they were on the roof or whatever. Just
The Force
chatting
Awakens.
away.
After we saw The Force Awakens, we said, "What the hell's the point of Poe Dameron?"
Yeah, right.
That's one hell of a star pilot, because I said it while looking at him. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of dumb and forced.
right.
We don't know why they got such a great actor to play such a dumb part.
Right.
And so then we get to The Last Jedi, and now I know who Poe is. He's an a-hole.
Yeah.
He's a complete and total a-hole, a good pilot, a
Cocky,
comically
yeah.
good pilot, but he's a cocky a-hole.
Yeah.
And so this movie goes, all right, we screwed the pooch twice in two different ways. How do we glue it back together? We'll just say he is overconfident, and we're going to have that be his foil and have that trip him up on a few very subtle things
Yes.
throughout the film. And it made it's wove it into a continuity that was a much easier to pill to
Yeah.
swallow. And I like Poe now.
Yeah, me too.
Hey!
I agree.
That
Yep.
one whole sequence between
Welcome
Poe,
to
Finn.
the club, jerks.
Poe, Finn, and Rey when they're finding out, oh, you were a spice runner?
Mhm.
And just that
You know
simple
what?
little back and forth brought so much
Yeah, I don't remember
you're a
everything
chemistry
you said
between the
about-
three of them.
I mean, look at me,
Yeah.
I'm Poe. I
Oh,
sell
tell you
drugs
what,
to
you're
kids.
hitting on something there. Actually, for the first time, I felt like there was camaraderie between
Exactly.
our main characters.
Yeah.
And
One
that's not-
simple little sequence.
even that, actually, just throughout,
They
though,
kept them
I just-
together. They kept them together.
Oh, the whole
Right.
thing with the whole. I'm going to need your help with this whole leadership and thing. Listen, Poe, I need. You know what? I really appreciate that. But
Exactly.
that line, whatever that was, cracked me up because
Right.
it's like, okay, we're actually seeing how they can talk
These
on a different
characters-
wavelength as friends.
Yes.
Right.
They're talking
And
like real people.
This is
to
actually
each
one of my
other.
talking points is Poe, Ray, and Finn, and they're
Yes.
they're
Finally. I mean,
Chemistry.
the ones that have been billed as the main characters are finally together.
Yeah.
It's so stupid, which is one of my biggest gripes
and they-
with The Last
They
Jedi.
nail you with it too. They're like, no, we're coming with you. We stay together.
Right.
And then like they look at the screen, they all wink.
See, but you know why?
There's like a sparkle on their
But
teeth.
you know why they were able to do that? Is
because it's a joke that they hadn't been.
No. Well,
Okay,
well,
no.
yes, but they were able to do that for the simple reason that okay, we set this in the future. It wasn't like an hour later.
Yeah, thank
you know
God.
what I mean. Yeah, so we were able to, in our minds, build up that okay, over this time, over this year, whatever it's been, that these three, are the three the best that the Resistance have, and they've come up, they've got
Been together
a
and
relationship
they've-
now,
yeah.
and that they know each other, and
Had a new hairstyle.
They're like, you need to come
in
out of
one's
your room
case.
and hang out with the rest of the
Got
resistance.
different clothes
So-
finally.
Right.
It's just a shame.
Han's
that-
pants, though. That
That's
was
one
weird.
of my biggest gripes about The Last Jedi is that it was literally immediately after. And for what reason?
None.
Really, the only reason is because he wanted to make
Space
that dumbass
gas.
joke about Luke throwing the lightsaber over his shoulder. That's the only reason that movie took place immediately after.
Yeah.
Wait. Mike, I thought you loved The Last Jedi.
Don't start
Wait
it.
a second,
Don't
wait,
start
wait,
it,
wait.
man.
Toby,
Don't
despite
do it.
despite his positivity, this is actually Mike, not Mike. Mike loves the Last Jedi. Mike does
Wait,
not.
so I'm so confused because
I know,
that's all you
right?
talk about is how much you love that movie.
I'm a little upset.
You said
to hear
Ryan, you have a
guys-
T-shirt that says Ryan Johnson is the man.
Oh, the truth comes out.
Ryan Johnson is my homeboy on his
He's my homeboy. He's got his hat on sideways.
Yep.
Me and Ryan Johnson. I'm just kidding. I'm just totally kidding.
I'm disappointed to hear you guys sit here and say about Poe and how the back and forth and the witty banter and that he made a crank call.
No, that was The Last Jedi.
That's where it was
That was The Last Jedi.
I know it. You hated it. Every one of you hated
Because
it.
the
We're saying that
because
this movie did it better.
the
Yes.
movie did it way better. I promise.
This movie did it only.
But what
are you
you
talking
doing?
about?
Right.
Yeah, he was actually human. You're like, I love this guy.
But what you don't
Yeah.
realize
They
is
They did
that
more
was him
character
all along.
development in this movie than the other two combined.
Wait, which one was him all along the crank call guy?
I separated out. No.
Bullshit.
Get wrecked, you posers.
I think
No,
they were switching him on
this-
different. Like he's on Ambien in one
Yeah,
film,
this
they'll like try
movie-
Lexapro in the next film.
This movie made me
Xanax, we're good.
like Poe
Yes.
and Finn.
Yes.
Finally,
It made me
Finally,
like,
yeah.
I already liked Ray, even though I wish her character was
Oh,
deeper.
I love Ray. Yeah, but
yeah.
I like.
Poe and Finn now. I'm on board with them,
Yep.
and I'm on board
It
with the
only
three
took
of them.
3 movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which it shouldn't have.
I liked Finn a little
Such a
more.
waste.
I was
know.
pissed. I was like, this is the movie we should have started off with. Why am I like
Yes.
Because everyone thinks they have to start over.
Ugh.
We can't use the John Williams classic music right out of the gates. The stuff that we know makes you feel the things that that
Yes.
Star Wars feels. We can't do it. We have to start with new music. We have to start with completely new characters. Everything has to be new.
And
Disney,
then we
burn
have
the
to go
EU.
off the rails.
And then it takes this long to earn us back. That's the way it works, especially if you have missteps along the way.
Terrible.
True.
I don't know.
It was all there, but nobody wants to. It's like, I already got a whole crate of Legos. No, we have to buy more Legos. $60 for a 20-piece set. More Legos. I got like 8,000 pieces. Shut up with your 8,000 pieces. We're going to build a very small thing, and we're going to use directions, not our imaginations. I know where I'm going now.
All right. We didn't talk about Babu Flick. We need to talk about him specifically. So why did they go to him?
Because but is this a quiz?
C-3PO couldn't translate Sith
He's not
runes
allowed
out
to-
loud.
So this is
I feel like, by the way, and I should have done my research because I could hit the button if I'd done my research. I feel like 3PO having banned languages that he wasn't allowed
it
to
was already
translate.
established, I think, in the Clone Wars.
Was that where it was?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I believe that's right. Where it's the forbidden Sith language. They couldn't they're programmed not to speak this. So it's continuity.
Which is weird, given the fact that I don't think even at that timeline that many people would have given rat's butt because Sith hadn't been around for a long time. But Okay.
It's
buried in the original
Speaking
operating
of-
system, I guess.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, how long does that go back? Like, to the Jedi, like originally when they were developing AI, the Jedi are like, oh, well, no, you can't have them translate this.
Yep.
So put that in there.
That
and
turns
nobody
kids
ever
evil like
questioned
the
it.
YouTubes.
Well, and let's not forget who built
the-
3PO though.
Language of Mordor.
Yeah, but Anakin would have just downloaded an operating system off like Kazaa.
But he was
Or
but he
Napster.
was part Palpatine.
Slimewire back then. Man.
Right.
Just a real quick observation about 3PO.
Yeah, red
I
eyes.
know that Anthony Daniels, I mean, he's pretty much indicated that he didn't really care for the film and he didn't think that 3PO was utilized well. I completely disagree
It
with that.
was like the most 3PO and his worst performance.
I agree in both. I enjoyed 3PO more
Yes.
in this movie.
Yes.
But there was still his
it felt so
performance.
Dobby. It was so
yeah.
Dobby the whole time.
Yeah.
Everything I say, sa, ends with sa. And I'm like, why is it sa? It was never sa before.
But you know what? It's still better than Attack of the Clones.
Yep.
It's still better than Revenge of the Sith.
What
I
a
mean,
drag.
Yeah.
The Last
seriously.
Jedi.
He had to have had more speaking lines in this movie than in the other single movies.
yeah.
Right?
Maybe
Probably
all
combined.
I
if you
haven't
take
seen
a
it
New
count,
Hope
but
out,
it seemed like a lot.
if you remove a New Hope, you might have more lines in this movie than all the other films combined.
Could be.
Maybe
Yeah.
not Empire.
That's my oldest friend.
So that was weird to me that I kind of got the sense
My
from him
friend.
that he did not care for, how he was treated in the film. I don't know if he just didn't like what they did to the character or what, but I was like, boy, you got to act in this more than any of these other films. So
Maybe
I
it's-
guess I
You
didn't
had some
understand
really
that.
impactful moments too,
Yeah, very.
and that's
So-
I don't get that at all.
Well, I don't know if you guys have ever read anything about Anthony Daniels, but he's kind of a douche.
yeah, he is kind of a douche,
Douche.
kind of like
He's
Marvin.
Egotistical.
Marvin's a
Egotistical
douche.
dude.
Yeah, he is.
And I don't care for Anthony Daniels outside of the 3PO costume personally. Because
Well,
I feel like
anymore, I don't know
he
that I
just,
care for him in
I
the
feel like he's
3PO
anxious to
costume.
be a dick to anybody
wow.
until he's got to be on the market trail. Then
Howie
he's
hates
shilling
3PO.
like
You
he's
hear
not
that?
a dick.
No, well, I have begun to not like 3PO a lot lately. This movie has changed it a bit, but Anthony Daniels, I think, has kind of did a piss poor job.
Yep,
You got
retire.
to separate the actor from the art, man.
That's
true.
right. Yep. Gotta do it.
Otherwise,
No, I'm not. I'm talking about his acting in The Rise of Skywalker. I thought was piss poor.
Yeah, I feel
Okay.
like for
I get
the
it, I get it,
opportunity
yeah.
that he had with what they did with the character, it just didn't.
I like
I mean, the
3PO in
the
this.
guy's also the oldest guy in
Yeah,
90%
sure.
of
Yeah.
the shots
He
he's
can't
in.
get that high pitch range he used to be able to get back in the day.
Yeah,
But there's other people who can now.
And
Whoa.
but I agree. I'm like, you know what? This is a good send off for Anthony Daniels. If we ever see any more 3PO in anything, hopefully we've passed the torch at that point. And I don't think it's definitely not a huge complaint.
No, not
But
at all.
For like we've said, for the fact that 3PO had such a big role in this, and Daniels complained about the movie, and the fact that I just didn't feel like he did a very good job. His lines all sounded so blah.
I could have used
we-
more R2, that's for sure.
Yeah.
we
for
forget
dang
that
We
it-
did
Yeah,
actually
I
get more
still don't
R2 on this
understand
one,
that.
but
Yeah,
not
a little bit more.
Barely.
But
I don't
barely
get
more.
that at all.
but the 3PO set up the most important thing.
He was just like a large thumb drive the whole movie.
Yeah.
That's all he was.
tablet.
Just
A
downloading
morning
the
thumb drive, a
spy's
wiggling
location
morning
into
thumb
it.
drive.
They could not get anybody to actually
Fit inside.
fit inside and want
But
to
no
do
one
that.
wanted to
Nobody
take
wanted to.
Everybody was
yeah.
afraid of Anthony Daniels. He's not in any scenes with you. I don't know. He's going to hate me if I get in the can. What are you going to say, Pete?
The most
actually
important
kinda
thing
like
that 3PO did was to set up the Black Series figure
Yeah, the red-eyed Black Series figure.
that comes with a little tiny Baba
A
Ganoush.
little tiny Baba Ganoush.
Yep.
In the,
on his shoulder,
I would
Yeah.
buy
on his
that
shoulder
in a
with the
heartbeat.
wires hanging out.
They have it.
Yep.
That's
Oh, they
why
do?
Anthony Daniels didn't like
He
it.
doesn't have the red
They let
eyes.
somebody else
Oh.
do the C-3PO voice for like 2 seconds while he rebooted.
Oh.
That's right. He had a weird voice for a hot second there. Yeah.
Speaking of a
Baba
hot
Ganoush,
second,
though, that guy, we keep getting off subject. I like Baba Ganoush.
yeah. I was going to blow past him because we keep getting
No,
off
I
him, so
love
I
him.
figured you guys didn't want to
I
talk
like
about
the
him.
fact that they just literally like copy pasted him out of that scene into Zori Bliss's cockpit. It was literally like just a copy paste. And he's like, he might as well have had suction cups like Garfield on the side of the window. I'm like,
But it
wait a
was
minute.
great.
She's banking to the side. and he's
Child
just
on board.
defying, yeah.
Child on board and like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
But it was great.
Baby.
At the time, you're like, oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I'm like, there he
I
is.
loved
There's
it.
the guy. The Baba
I know.
Ganoush.
I love that character. He's cracked me when C-3PO came back and he's like, hi, I'm C-3PO.
Yeah.
And he's like,
one of my oldest friends.
My oldest
See, I love that.
He's like, oh,
I
nice
love
to meet
that.
you.
Nice to meet you. That guy, actually, I did laugh at that because he's just like, hey, he still works. Is more or less. He's like, hey, this makes sense. Where he's like, we just lost 3PO. And he's like, what I tell you?
Love that guy. Love that guy. You know who else I love?
Who else do you love, Howie?
Glory
Leia.
Bliss.
Yeah.
So,
Here it is, Howie.
I don't want to talk about the end.
All right.
Oh,
So
okay.
Leia,
Let's not talk about the end, but let's talk about Leia in general in this movie.
All right.
General
so,
Leia, you mean? You
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
I
So
want- I want
General
that.
Leia in general.
Okay.
Leia in this
General
movie,
I want that.
I mean, you could tell that they had limited footage, right?
Oh, yeah,
Because
her
there was a
face
lot
was
of times.
Pasted in.
I'm surprised they had that much though.
There was,
I
but
was-
there was a lot
They
of
did.
times though that
They
the
did.
dialogue didn't quite match up, and it just felt a little awkward. But you know what?
or she's just
I
totally
was-
quiet. Not
I
saying-
was
Yeah.
100% fine with what they did
Yeah.
because they had to. This
Yep.
was the only option that they were left.
Yep.
Which pisses me off again about The Last Jedi and
Yep.
what they
I
did.
mean, the best movie ever that you.
Yeah, the best movie ever. Yeah.
Stop it.
That, you know, it's just
Don't
sad,
do
it's
it.
just sad to me that they had the opportunity to, you know, oh, we lost Carrie. We can still make this work by killing Carrie in Last Jedi and bringing, you know,
Mhm.
Mark Hamill over, and you know that he was so cocky that he was like, nah, I like my movie the way it is.
I still don't know
Nah.
if that's how the
Nah.
narrative played out, but yes,
That's exactly what happened. That is exactly
Spirit,
what
I
happened.
agree with you.
He's convinced.
Mike, we had another flashback.
We did. How
Yeah.
do we feel
We
about
did have another
Oh,
flashback.
Luke
I
and
loved
Leia
it.
training
I loved
flashback.
it. I
You know
loved
what?
it.
Okay,
I loved
okay,
it too.
so what-
it was a little awkward on Leia's face,
That's
but
I thought Luke looked
Yeah.
amazing, and it went back to Leia.
Exactly.
I felt like, did
Yeah.
they literally rip the
That
model
was
from
great.
Rogue One and
Yeah.
stick it in here?
they ripped the model from Hasbro. Is what
Like,
they
she doesn't even look coked out and narrow like she did in Return of the Jedi. How did she go back to chubby cheek?
But this
Yeah.
is the thing. This is the
But that
thing
was
I
a
did
nice.
like.
That was a nice little
They copied
flashback,
and
though.
pasted from Rogue One.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what
that's what it- yeah,
that's
They
what
just
they did.
grabbed the saturation tab and just
Yeah.
greened it over. And
Yeah.
They cut it out right before she said hope. You can kind of see her mouth. open.
yeah, she just, and then it cuts.
I did like that.
I loved it. I loved it.
Ray, when she refers to her as master.
Mm.
So that was before we
I
had
love
the
how
flashback.
there was like a giant pregnant pause before she said it too.
But it worked for
Yeah.
me
It's just like,
because
yes, I'll do that.
we were like,
their dialogue back and forth felt a little awkward
Because
because of what they had to do. Yeah,
Right.
I will say that. So I'm not a Leia fan. I've never been like. I mean, she's great. She's part of that, you know.
core.
But I never was. But I tell you what, man, I teared up because I was like, holy shit, my whole world was breaking down when that was happening, and I was like, it's the end. When
Let's
And
not
that
talk
was
about-
Leia-
let's
and
not-
that was
let's not talk
Leia.
about the end. Let's not talk about
I
the
know,
end.
but that was Leia, man. I
No.
literally was crushing because.
Yeah.
I want to get back to the.
I don't know.
the
So anyway,
master
sorry.
Thing, though.
The vacuum of space couldn't kill her.
Ooh,
but
man.
hard thinking did.
Oh,
when
and
I so
The Last Jedi,
in-
the greatest movie ever made.
in the Last Jedi, we do realize that she's honed some force ability.
Yar.
In this movie, whenever Rey calls her master, you're like, oh, she's actually training
Yeah.
Rey as a Padawan. Now they don't have any footage of this happening. Imagine
And
how
they didn't
imagine
need
how
to.
cool that would have been in some ways. But we get the proof of
I really
her,
wanted
of her
Ray
training
on her back.
That
though.
she was a Jedi. And,
And we
Leon
we
Ray
actually-
on Ray's back.
we
yeah.
get some more legitimate
Slow it down.
proof that Rey is training in
car
general. So I actually appreciated that we actually had a master Padawan and training relationship of a Jedi again in this movie.
we had
And I
to.
thought it was cool that Leia was doing it.
Because
Yeah.
Luke wiped his ass with it in the last
Right.
Jedi.
right. They had to.
Well, he
but,
knew she was a Palpatine.
Yeah, I know. You can actually go back and
I mean,
infer
that's one of the
that.
things
That's-
that they had
interesting.
to squeeze in there was the training. But you know what? I
Right.
really do feel like, I mean, Rey on a broader scale, we did see her train now.
Yeah.
She suffered. She made mistakes. she felt more real in this movie than she has the entire time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
You know what I mean?
liked
this time it felt like she
I
had
liked
to
her
work.
intro in the movie when she was in her avatar state.
Yeah.
Hovering there with all the rocks.
The rocks all
Circling
swirling
around
around her.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Actually,
love
you know
that. I love
you know
that.
what that was
Yeah.
supposed to be?
Luke?
Yes. It was. I'm not kidding.
Really?
That's how J.J. Abrams ended The Force Awakens, was with Luke levitating and rocks going around him.
Oh, okay.
That's how The Force Awakens was supposed to end. You know
So-
why it was changed?
Because he's learned earthbending.
No, it changed because Ryan Johnson asked him to, no, don't have him float, just have him take the lightsaber. It was all set up for his fucking joke where he could throw the lightsaber over his shoulder.
That was brilliant.
You are so angry about that.
I am.
You
No,
are.
here's the thing.
Are you
Here's the
kidding
thing.
me?
Here's
They
the thing.
made that better.
Some
they made that
people
better.
saw
They
this
did.
movie and said, I feel better because it went back another direction. Mike saw his movie and went, see, this is proof that was horse crap
Yeah.
because this one isn't horse crap.
But
I mean,
but they're
neither are
both
wrong.
right. Yeah,
Yes,
they're both
Neither
right.
are wrong.
Yeah.
But shrugging your shoulders and throwing the lightsaber over it,
That's so badass.
it's
That's
brilliant.
just
It's
dangerous. That's how you kill a porg.
that's how you.
Yeah.
That's like not clipping
Did,
your six-pack ring.
Did
Dude,
anybody
it
get
takes
hung up
heavy
on the
writing.
fact that when Leia goes, oh, Luke was searching for not holocron
Yeah.
wayfind, and then Rey's like, oh, hang on, I know where that is, and
She read the books.
yes,
Yeah.
She was the only one.
she did,
The
yeah,
sacred
'cause
text.
She
Yoda
read the
called him
sacred
out.
text. So if you were a
sacred
if
text.
you were a
The sacred
Jedi in
text.
training
You're not going to read that. I never read anything
to
when
a
I was going to
master,
school. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Were you as driven as Ray?
but would
It's true. Yeah, Rey's the bond. That's why I love Rey. She's amazing.
would you not give the Jedi sacred text to your Jedi master?
Well, I mean,
That's-
General she was also she was working two jobs.
She
She
was.
was master on one side.
Well, we don't know.
She's
the
a
that-
leader
single
of the
mom
resistance.
now.
we
Yeah.
don't know that she
Yeah,
didn't.
a single mom, exactly.
Yeah.
She worked at Hooters. She worked at Hooters second shift.
Oh my God!
She
I
was a
feel like
single
we're gonna
mom.
see- We need to see a space 9 to 5 now or something.
Oh, no.
Oh man,
All right, let's talk about Han Solo.
I did not know that Harrison Ford was going to be in this movie.
I didn't,
I didn't
either.
either.
I suspected.
I remember hearing that there was like someone
heard
had said
rumors.
he was spotted near the set or something like ages ago. I'd already filed that away. I had I was
There
like,
was-
what?
There was leaks that we had dug into where I had read that he returned as a Force ghost.
Yeah,
And I was like, that's got to be a mistake.
and it
That's-
was.
Yes.
No.
And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I was skeptical going in,
Yes,
but
Hank
the
Hill?
way it was handled was perfect.
I agree. Right.
It was handled in a way where
Yep.
this was he was basically talking to the memory of his dad.
Yeah,
I'm getting
when he
choked
killed
up.
him. Yeah.
I'm
It
getting
is
choked
beautiful.
up talking about this.
It's beautiful. This
It
is
was
one of the.
best parts of the movie.
I
It
agree.
was very impactful.
This is a different
Very.
cry than the one that Mike had during The Last Jedi.
Mike,
Very different.
Mike, I know.
the symmetry between the
Oh,
Force
I loved
Awakens
it. I loved it.
and the Rise of
almost the
Skywalker in
exact
that moment.
same dialogue, but with different context.
It was
Right.
beautiful.
Yeah,
No, it
I
was
just
well
kind of
done.
wish
I
he
know what
would
I
have
have
said
to
it
do.
hurts.
I just
doesn't
don't
it,
know if I
getting
have the
stabbed
strength to
like
do it.
that.
I'll tell you what. In this movie, going into this, it's like I figured Kylo Ren would come around and he'd end up come back to the light. And I was in my mind, I was like, I don't know how they do this in a convincing way.
Mhm.
That convinced me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. No, I agree. That was
may have
like,
been
I believed
the
it.
only way to do it.
Right.
Because you could have Luke there going, "Hey, I'm sorry, I was gonna, commit like uncle side, or nephew side. I mean,
I was going to kill you while you're sleeping.
You were a youngling, and
I
I
hadn't
just
had any milk of any color for like 6 hours, and I was just Jones and something fierce to get up on a table.
Oh,
I honestly,
It's amazing.
like Leia,
I haven't sucked a teat.
I haven't milked anything in like a day. Let's go fishing.
coming out clear.
Hey.
But like, if it had been Leia, like Leia had talked about Ben and had this sort of like unspoken connection to Ben, like on the whole thing
Yes.
when he's like in the TIE fighter strafing in the movie that should not be named
Right.
and stuff like that. But anything like, even though we know that right then Leia is spending the last of her mojo because she senses that he's on the precipice. And she's, I'm not going to get to the end,
No,
but
yeah,
she starts
thank
spending
you.
the last
Yeah.
of her mojo to milk him, to help him,
Yes.
lays down and says,
Right.
this is going to be the last of me, y'all. Peace, lay out.
Yeah.
lays down, and then suddenly, so she's over there pushing him. Who knows? It might have been her that planted or brought back the memory of that scene with Han in his head.
Oh, you know what? That gives me chills to even think about it.
Because she sat
Thank
there.
you.
Yeah.
Because Leia,
Yes.
Leia,
Exactly.
the best politician in the history of Star Wars, especially in EU. If you're an EU fan, Leia was always great because she was brilliant.
Yeah.
Not because she was a badass, even though she was brilliant. She was always smarter than everyone else. And this is the first freaking time since they got rid of the EU that Leia potentially did the smartest damn thing that anyone's ever done, which is, I'm going to reach out to my son, but not with me. I'm going to reach out to my son with his father.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mike has got tears streaming down his
I
cheeks.
do, man.
He does.
That's
You-
awesome.
You made his allergies
That is
come
awesome.
up.
I don't think it's potential. That I
That's how I read it.
believe it, and that's how
That
how
Leia
exactly
sat there
how
and
I
said,
read it too.
your connection to your father is stronger than your connection to me, so that's what we're going to look at right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You just made me a Leia fan.
I know, dude.
Damn, that like hit me. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's that. I'm telling you.
I mean, that was
That
And
mo-
you
that
know what?
movie did
That's
that to
the
me.
epitome of Star Wars too, man. I mean, if you asked George Lucas, I mean, he's always on the fact that that the Star Wars and the underlying themes are all based on just human emotion and
Yeah.
and human interactions and
And
psychology and I mean it's on a deeper level, and one of those things is family relationships.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because those are things that are universal, that people understand those things.
Mhm.
And
That was my favorite scene of the movie.
yeah,
Right
yeah.
when
I
he's
I
think
standing
you're
love
there,
right.
that.
I think you're right. Me too.
and you don't see Han, but you hear
You
and
hear
he's-
his voice first before, and they pause. He doesn't turn around right away. They
Right.
pause, and I audibly went, "What?"
Yeah.
Don't be a force ghost.
Well,
Don't be a
I-
force
Yeah,
ghost.
no, you're right. You're right. That was it. I was like,
"Don't be glowing blue. Don't be
Dude.
glowing blue. Don't be glowing."
oh, he's not blue.
He was
This
perfectly
is
dry.
good. This is good.
And he was perfectly dry.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it was
yeah.
obvious that he was not there.
You did not want to be a force
Well,
ghost.
I think the whole
But
scene
to have him say what he said,
Mhm.
I know.
Yeah. When
Because-
when Kylo's been struggling to find the words to say "I love you,"
Right.
Yeah.
and he says, "I know."
That
Which
was
is,
that was
you know,
another.
what he said.
that
What he
whole
said to
sequence.
Kylo/Ben in.
It's
The Force
probably
Awakens,
one of the
and what he
most
said to
impactful
Leia.
moments in all 9 movies. It's probably
Yep.
Plus, you just
top
came off.
3
You
impactful
just came
moments.
off an amazing lightsaber. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
you're like
That
your
was-
emotions are like.
right.
Yep.
And that's what I was going to say. To be 100% honest, the movie up to that point, I was totally in the air about.
Mhm.
Up until that battle, to me, it had just been so fast, and I was like, "Okay, what? I'm along for the ride. Here we go." From the moment of that battle, and then the way that ended, the movie slowed down for me at
Yeah.
that moment because it was the first time that I had room to breathe.
Mhm.
Sure.
And again,
That was episode 3. That's why. That was
again, I feel like he had to get through 2 episodes in one. So a lot of times
Yeah.
the big emotional moments, he had to speed through them so fast and not develop them. I knew that they were supposed to be impactful, but they weren't landing for me.
Mhm.
Then that scene happened, and I took a deep breath, and I was like, okay, I can feel something again.
Mhm.
And the movie slowed down for me at that point because I finally had an emotional connection to what was taking place in this entire trilogy.
Yep.
And everything slowed down, came into focus, and I was like, let me see what happens
And
now.
Harrison Ford laughed all the way to the bank.
Oh yeah. Literally.
Getting a new plane to crash.
Right, there it is. There it is.
All right.
Couple new P-20
So we
things.
had talked
Next
about
bullet point.
the dyad of in the Force.
the dyad,
The
Diadem,
the
diaphragm,
Ray Ben
diaphragm of the
connection.
Force.
the diadem of
Yeah.
Ravenclaw.
They actually said, I believe it was Kylo Ben said dyad.
Kylo
right?
Ben Hur, right?
He also said the 2 that are one, and Palpatine also called it a power like life itself.
Mm-hmm. Becomes once in 100.
So-
Interesting.
In The Last Jedi, we got to see bits of that,
Mhm.
Sure.
of their connection. And we got to see bits of it again. I don't feel like they overused.
What, the
This-
trading off of like stuff in the Force?
Yeah. But there's
We saw that.
Where either one of them could use the other one as their bag of holding.
But we did have
Stay in
precedent.
this big room. I'm going to find lots of crap. Just stay here, dude.
So there's a lot of neat things that happen.
We had precedents
I'm
for that.
hungry. Can you
in
give
the
me something
previous
from
movie.
that?
Yeah.
the plane?
All right.
So yeah,
go
let's
ahead.
get our thought. No, you can get our thoughts on it.
I was just going to say, I mean, here, hold on to your butts. I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something nice about The Last Jedi. That's the one.
Wait. Everybody,
Ladies and gentlemen.
Let me hit the record button.
Wait, we need a disclaimer.
Timestamp here.
Mike
Wait, I want the
mispronunciation.
All right. The one thing that I feel like The Last Jedi did well was actually progressing Rey and Kylo's relationship, whatever it was.
agreed, and it became important in this film.
And I'm glad that, that JJ was able to take that. I mean, again, there was so much that JJ had to kind of reverse course on in The Last Jedi. That's the one thing that he was able to grab onto and expound upon it.
Mhm.
And it worked well.
Mm-hmm.
So
That being said, I don't know if we got a bullet point. I'm assuming we don't, to say how much of The Last Jedi do we need to understand this movie? If you saw The Force Awakens.
I do have a bullet point called insignificance.
Okay, well, I'll just say specifically, as much as I like the fact that this progressed that, which was definitely established in that film, I don't think you'd have been missing anything if you never had that. I think we've established, well, we were talking earlier, the only things you really needed to know from Last Jedi, Luke dead, Snoke dead.
Yep.
Here's
That's
a movie.
it. Seriously.
I don't think
We
you
talked about that
needed
earlier,
any
yeah.
of
You
it.
didn't necessarily
No.
need that connection, although it was nice that it was there.
Yeah,
I think
it
you
was
needed it.
there in The Force Awakens,
Yes,
too.
it was. It started in The
Oh,
Force
yeah,
Awakens.
remind me in The Force Awakens. What
Because
was it?
he captured Rey, and then he
right, yeah,
questioned
yeah,
her,
yeah.
and then there was the whole
The whole
she
thing
took
right
over
there.
his mind.
So yeah,
and,
you
right.
didn't.
Oh.
You didn't
didn't.
really need that. Just Luke dead, Snoke
Yep.
dead, episode 9. There you go.
There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
That's
Which
really
means I
sad
never
to
have
say.
to watch Last
They
Jedi
could have
again
done that in the
ever
opening
my
crawl,
life.
right?
Yes, you do.
Yeah, they could have done that in the
I would
opening
never
crawl.
watch that movie again.
You wouldn't have
Once a
known,
month
you wouldn't
for
have
the
known
next
what
3
that meant
years.
whenever they referred to the Holdo maneuver.
The Holdo maneuver, you wouldn't even know what that is, man.
You know
Yeah,
what?
it's a 1 in a million thing. You,
You
don't
know,
You
understand.
wouldn't know what those porgs are.
They gotta
when
put
you
it to
get-
bed.
I know.
They
Thank
gotta put it to
God.
bed. That won't work ever again, guys.
They're like, nope, cancel it.
That was, see, it won't work because it was dumb. Guys, hey, you guys listening? Don't put this in your tactics.
Oh man,
It won't work because it's dumb.
JJ had to put band-aids on so many things, man.
You wouldn't know
Oh,
why
man.
the heck. Red 5 is back on the grid, and you wouldn't know why. It would just be randomly popping up.
Yeah, why is it in the lake?
Because she went to Octu and she got it out of the lake.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
you
wouldn't
wouldn't have
known that.
seen it, but you could have
know.
inferred it.
Look, on
How
that
cool
note,
is that
going
that
back,
Luke finally pulled his
I
X-Wing out
was
of
just
some
gonna
water?
say the same thing, dude.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I'm sorry, that was awesome.
I loved it.
I did too. I
was like chills, man.
was. That's
Awesome.
another moment where I was
And
like getting a little choked up.
Using the right
Because you know
damn
what?
music.
In my mind,
Yes,
in my
yeah.
mind, I was gonna say I kept hearing the music
the,
from
like the
Dude.
flutes and the strings.
right
And
when
I'm just like,
Yoda's pulling it up.
I'm getting the goose pimples
Yeah.
right now.
Yep.
They were playing that music.
So
weren't
it
they?
was
I know
awesome.
that's what we're saying.
The music was
Yeah,
finally
that was great.
appropriate to every scene that we needed to have it in.
Thank
So I'm a big soundtrack fan, right? So it's like, I'm like, finally, this is the music I wanted to
Now-
hear. Where was this at?
I've been angry for the last 6 saga films that I feel like the music from the first 3 films was not used enough.
It wasn't.
I've been
Last
mad.
5 saga films.
No,
It's
the
part of
last
the movie. It's
6
part of the
because-
character.
Well, okay, the last 5, but in this one, they were like they knew they needed to fix that. They knew they needed to bring it all together, but they didn't shoot their wad in the first half of the film.
Yes.
They waited. Which, as much as I will not excuse the last 5 saga films for being dicks about holding that music back, I was really glad that this movie waited until they could hit the most impactful buttons.
Right.
Yeah. Because if they just flooded it with
Yeah,
You're
it
right,
felt
you're right,
cheap
yeah.
halfway
Meaningless,
through.
yeah.
But that X-Wing thing,
Oh,
that blew me
yeah,
away.
that was one of a powerful because of the music.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It was another tear up. I was like,
Yeah.
my childhood. Like,
Yeah.
this is it. This is my life.
I'm curious though, Mike. You were upset when Yoda manipulated
Yeah, I know.
lightning.
I mean,
So-
well, it's established.
Since it was
now.
established, you're like, okay,
Now it's canon.
Yeah.
Shut up, Josh.
I mean,
I'm more upset about Yoda going, "Don't burn down the tree." Just kidding.
I know.
Right.
That was so fucking
So when
dumb.
Obi-Wan
That ghost
was
is big. He's
God.
And that brilliant
when
scene
Obi-Wan
with
was seeing
Yoda.
Luke like dying of hypothermia and on Hoth, he was being a dick. He's like, oh, I can make lightning
Obi-Wan
fire,
is
but I'm
being a
not
dick to
gonna.
Luke.
Hey,
I can keep you warm, but
I'm not going to
fuck
walk.
that noise.
I'm not going to walk all the way over there. You smell terrible.
And it's really cold.
You smell like shit. I'm going to stand over here. You go to Dagobah. Master Yoda. No, with a D. Da. I got to go.
They're coated with entrails.
Exactly.
Can't feel my giblets.
I think you've shat yourself. I'll catch you on the flippity flip.
Well, there's always another one. I'll just go talk to her.
That's amazing.
Back to your point though, Josh, you're asking me, how I felt because it's a Force ghost using it. I keep saying this in relation to this film. It's as good as it could have been given the circumstance.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Given what they had to do, they worked a miracle.
Yep. I
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Anything I've ever said bad about JJ, I was probably right, but I'm still just not going to hold it against him because a miracle has been worked in the fact that
Speaking of Luke's X-Wing,
yeah.
was everybody okay that they called Ray Red 5?
instead of Rogue
Yeah,
Leader.
that's fine.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Okay, so when she was when they cut to her for the first time wearing that helmet,
Right.
dude,
that was great.
I literally was
I love
like,
that.
oh, dude, I was
again.
service me. That's a fan service. I was like,
it is a fan
yeah,
service.
service me, yeah.
Absolutely.
service my business.
But they called her the wrong call sign.
That doesn't matter.
Well,
I
here's the
fucking
thing.
But you're right.
In the films,
I didn't think about that.
guys, in the films,
Yeah.
do we have any real Rogue Squadron canon
No,
after Hoth?
Rogue One.
And after Hoth, do they ever? I'm drawing a blank.
Rogue One.
Do we ever say anything about Rogue Squadron in Return of the Jedi? I don't think
No.
we do.
No.
Nope. Not
So
at all.
as far as we know,
There is no Rogue Squadron.
Okay, stop it. There's a Rogue. But as far as we know, that was just a Battle of Hoth thing, and that when he took off in his X-wing and took off, it was.
Yeah.
I don't know if they said take it easy, Rogue Leader. We'll catch her whenever. I don't remember specifically a line from my favorite movie that may or may not exist. but it could be that Red 5 was like more of a permanent.
Like
Like
the official
program
name.
Place into the Rogue Squadron. I mean, come on.
It's like what was it? Starship Troopers,
earn
where it's like Roughnecks or whatever,
Yeah,
where it's
the
like
Roughnecks.
it's like the name that they all call them, but it's not the official name. It's like Squadron B.
Yeah, it could be that
You know
Rogue
what I mean? It's like-
Squadron. It could be that Rogue Squadron
Is
has
that
always
Johnny's
been
Roughnecks?
Red Squadron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was like the nickname. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, I'm going to tell you, in the EU, there's a lot more very solid definition. I'm saying right now we're in a murky place.
There's a whole series about it.
It's good.
Let's go.
Mostly.
Rogue Squadron doesn't exist.
Aww.
No, it does exist.
Based.
I don't know.
It does too.
And Wedge
exist.
is still in charge of it because he was flying and shooting stuff. I seen it.
But what they call him?
They called him awesome.
They called him Red 4.
They did not.
Cut him.
You're full of lies.
Grandpa Antilles. You're shooting stuff, Grandpa. You keep doing it. He's like,
Keep going, buddy.
you're shooting droids. We didn't know what he
We
was shooting
swung
at.
by the old family gas station and picked up Wedge.
He was eating a vat of milk and swilling an iced tea.
All right, so we talked about the connection between Ray and Ben and that dyad word.
Yeah, they can trade crap through the Force.
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about the Ben Leia connection, but I want to go more into that because now I want to get into the big feels towards the end.
Oh, my lord.
right.
So
There already. Okay.
yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah, we're running long,
no,
dude.
honestly, we're gonna go back and actually talk about the Lucasfilm logo after this, and then we're gonna meet somewhere in the middle of when they fall into the Harry Potter vines.
Yeah.
yeah.
They pull into the devil's snare, and
Yeah.
then you
Right.
have to hold still. Ron, quit fighting it.
We're fighting the devil's snare.
Yeah, it's deadly fun, but
See, the thing
You were
that you
throwing out the
forget,
Harry Potter
the thing that you
references
forget
tonight.
is people have
That's
seen
awesome,
this
though.
movie before they listen to this, so they've seen the movie.
yeah, they know the devil's snare.
They know the devil's snare.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk
Good
about.
thing Hermione
But
pays
we're just
attention to
proving
nobology.
we saw the movie
Oh.
to them.
Well, I think we proved that.
Did we?
So
Maybe we walked out early because it wasn't in 3D. Think of that?
that's interesting.
So you're talking specifically the end of the movie when
I want to take it from
That was the credits.
I want to take it from Palpatine, the whole the Rey Palpatine, you know,
so we're going through the whole final
shebang.
So
Okay.
apparently
Including the battle.
Palpatine decided the rule of two is not that important anymore. He said, been there.
we can
tried
talk.
that."
We can talk about the battle too, if you want.
But
You know what?
But Palpatine's got an entire like arena full of, you know, acolytes.
They're not acolytes.
They got robes on. Robes mean acolytes.
They were the Sith from before.
Yes, they are.
They are the Sith.
Basically,
They are
it's
the
all
true
the Sith, and then all the Jedi. She had all the Jedi in her, and he had all the Sith with him.
With
They
him.
were like ghosts.
But that's the thing. He was part of the rule of two Sith who have nothing to do with the true Sith, who at this point in the current canon, we have no knowledge of. In the EU, we knew about the lost tribe of the Sith and all that stuff. But this is a whole new concept in the new canon that there's all these Siths.
Do we know, does the Sith race exist in the new canon?
When it comes to the race and the
It
red
does
mandibles
now.
and all that, we don't know. I mean,
They haven't really said.
They
I
haven't.
thought we were going to get that answer with the Sith troopers, but the Sith troopers ended up being a nothing burger.
Yeah.
Yes, I think Sith now
Are you
means
surprised?
dark side.
They were just stormtroopers
Well-
with red armor.
I would say just followers of the
And it
Sith
was-
hierarchy.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
and that's what the Sith army was back in Knights of the Old Republic. Most of them were not
Right.
force sensitive. They were just part of the Sith
Right.
Navy army, right?
Or
So-
shiny armor.
Either way, he's got a giant bunch of acolytes up there
Okay.
in a whole arena. So did he just go, well, I was into the whole rule of two thing, but then I strolled out here. I was like, whoa, my bro.
I kind of took it as those were the ghosts, if you will,
They
of
are
the previous
all the
Sith.
Sith, all the previous.
I thought it was
Sith, all-
ghosts.
Resurrected?
Not
No.
resurrected.
No,
they're just spirits.
I
It's
thought
all
it was
about
like
the resurrection.
statues
Wow.
that they just came
I
alive
saw
whenever they.
people in cloaks.
I know,
Yeah.
but
I think they're.
I don't
they
think
were,
I ever saw a face.
I think they
You
were
never
meant to
saw
be
a face.
spirits.
I think
And
it's
they just-
spirits.
There wasn't. I mean,
They're like race.
all those bleachers or
I
whatever, they just kind of appeared, man. I mean, to me, it was all
No,
spiritual. It was a
the word when
spiritual
she
realm
walks
thing.
in, you can see them moving around the background. They just don't become a thing until a few lines later. I never got, now again, we saw 3D. It could have been weird. I never got that they were wraiths. I just got they were people in robes. For all I knew, we're at a clan rally. Y'all.
The reason why I inferred the wraith thing, as we're saying it,
Yeah.
is
Wraith Squadron.
based on what Palpatine was saying about how
That's another
he
book series.
about how he has all the Sith.
Yes.
But I just interpreted that as here's a bunch of.
I thought it was
Sith people.
spirits. I thought it was like. I thought I was watching.
So you're gonna tell me potentially like Exar Kun?
Yes.
Yeah.
and
That's
all that
exactly-
are all up
Yes.
there.
Huh?
That's exactly what I. That's exactly how I took it.
It was like
No.
his.
And so, and with the roll
Yeah.
of two thing, to me, that was barely Palpatine. That was like a zombie version
No,
of
yeah,
him with
Palpatine
his spirit.
inherited the rule of two thing. It's not
No,
like
I get it, but
no.
He's not even alive. He's not even
I'm
really
going where
alive.
you're at, but you have to let me get there.
All right.
I'm saying he kind of inherited it, but that's not Palpatine's thing to like go that I have to play by anyone's rules. So even if it's worked for 1,000 years, I can see Palpatine going, well, yeah, I mean, I was a rule two, and then I killed the one, and then I made like 10 other apprentices. You know what I mean? So I'm okay saying that Palpatine didn't give a crap about the rule of two.
I think he did.
I'm just trying to figure out like, were they the ghosts of all these dudes, or did when he went out to the unknown regions, he just went, hey, he swung by Drome and Kosh, picked up a few bros. You know what I mean?
They were
Korriban.
Yeah.
they were
Korriban.
all chiss.
They're all chiss.
All chiss.
They're all chiss.
All right. So
Kiss all the way down.
Palpatine even says in this movie that he died. At Endor,
Yes.
he died. Okay. Now somehow he was able to resurrect his spirit or whatever.
Or maybe even his body was reanimated of
like you said, because maybe it was just a piece of meat or whatever,
Yeah.
because it didn't even maybe had legs or whatever. You know, when we first saw it until he took the Force essence out of Rey and Kylo, but.
Yeah, on his fall down, he hit a bar, got cleaved in two, and yelled, "Oh, the irony!"
Give me robot legs.
In my mind, I mean, this is
Not
me.
the spider kind.
I mean, this is all my mind canon, right? But to me, when he became, spirit and all that stuff, I mean, he was in a different realm, and I think he is approaching it from a very different perspective. So to me, the rule of two is like a thing that applied when he was alive, when his physical body was alive.
That could be. I don't even need him
Well,
to
dude,
be the case,
okay.
because again, he was screwing around with the rule two while he had more than one apprentice at a time.
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
he
well,
literally
that's true.
had one kill the other.
You know what?
Yeah,
before
like
he
he
made
was
it
just.
official.
Palpatine was and from beginning to end
An
was all about
opportunist.
absolute power.
Yeah, it
Right.
didn't
At all
really.
costs.
Plus
So
all
you're
the
right.
Emperor hands.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And all the Inquisitors. Don't forget them.
Yeah, all
Oh,
the
yeah.
Inquisitors.
I mean, again, this version of Palpatine is not what we had in Return of the Jedi. I mean, to me, he was flesh at that point, but he's almost half flesh, half
machine
God of some
twisted
sort.
because
Evil. And you know what? You have to
He's a
you have to
zombie.
retcon this in your mind because at one point he shoots lightning up and like stops all the. I mean,
Again,
that
something
was a
I'm
little.
glad that we heard about before I saw it happen.
But it doesn't electrocute the people. It just disables.
Well, they have shields.
It just it's just
It was
just like
EMP.
an ion cannon of
He
some
was
sort.
an
That's a-
ion
that's
cannon,
a-
right? Exactly.
But you're right. Yeah, it was good that we knew
giant
this
boob
because you were
nipple
able to
gun.
like, okay,
Pew, pew,
this is
pew.
coming.
After
Here it
he
comes.
regenerated.
I didn't
though.
know that, but I was sitting
Yeah.
there smiling ear to ear, like
Really?
this is freaking amazing. Like I
I thought it was cool.
was blown
because
away. I was blown away. I
He's
was
at
like,
the-
this is amazing.
I didn't think it was uncool, but I don't know how I
Sorry,
would have
Gary.
reacted if I hadn't heard about the leak.
That's why, in my mind, this version of Palpatine is something different. He's not
Yeah.
he's just not a flesh and blood Sith. He
And
Well,
is.
he's at the seat of the Sith power. I
Yeah.
think.
Yes,
Yeah.
And I
right.
think that's the only thing. He probably can't leave that place.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing keeping him
It
alive.
could be
is-
everybody that's
that
either there
force.
or not there is their essence is just keeping him barely going.
It's kind of like a Valley of the Sith.
Or
Yeah,
Mum-Ra.
right.
Mum-Ra from
Like a
Thundercats.
force well.
You made it better. It was a
I
force
loved it.
He can
nexus.
only do the force lightning in the air at that one
Yeah,
place.
at that one spot,
Or
because I
maybe a
guarantee you,
handful
Kyle
of-
Katarn could have knocked the fleet out of the air from the Valley of the Jedi.
Oh, hell yeah.
I
he could.
guarantee you, Dark Forces.
I know.
too.
Yeah,
See, and that's where I'm fine with it and that's why I don't believe those were just followers, like real flesh and blood followers. Those were the spirit of all prior Sith that had ever existed that were feeding him power.
It's like Sith
to be able
Force
to do
Ghost.
that.
Sith Force
Yes,
Ghost, basically.
exactly.
Darth Revan with
But they weren't glowing red.
red.
They had-
Okay, they were
All that.
Sith Wayfinder. No, wait. Sorry.
I loved it. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I
still
like
love
it.
it.
I
I'm
have
still-
no problem with it.
I'm,
I was
I'm
sitting
gonna have a
there-
problem with it.
Dude.
when they're looking from Ray's perspective up,
Oh,
I'm like, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, it was a neat
it
effect.
visually.
was
It was
spectacular.
just wow.
I'm sorry.
sound it
I'm the
made when
biggest
it first
fanboy.
Launched when it first ignited or whatever was like, wow. I can't describe it, but it's like.
I'll tell you when I see it in a theater with better sound and I don't have a cold affecting my hearing.
IMAX.
Yeah.
Let's see it this weekend.
Make this happen. Ditch the family.
Surprised I haven't seen it
Shopping is
today. Yeah.
Real quick side note. I don't know how you feel. I'm interested in hearing what you guys said, or think about this, but the 3D I thought was going to annoy the piss out of me. It
No,
really didn't.
it was fine.
It was
It
very
was-
subtle.
I was
Exactly.
so surprised.
I thought it was very subtle.
Yeah.
I was
Except-
completely
Except
surprised.
when Baba Ganoush pops up in the window.
Yeah.
He literally looked like they dragged it from one monitor to the other and just said, left
Yeah,
it
he
right
looked
there.
extremely flat.
He looked really flat, just right there on the window.
and
Because
it
he
might
was
have
in the
been
background,
because of the 3D, but
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
I mean, I hate 3D. It annoys
too.
the piss
I was
out of me.
so
it was
mad.
very subtle.
Always, yeah, it was very subtle. That was the key. I don't know what he did different. I mean,
didn't
because
make
I
it a
don't know the
3D movie.
technology, but
the 3D guy.
yeah, the 3D guy.
Bob, the 3D guy. I don't know what he did.
Well, this was not
Fred.
a shot for 3D movie. So
Yeah.
right.
It
Well,
wasn't like Avatar or something.
yeah.
Well, that
Can't wait
Do
for
that.
that next one.
So there was a lot more going on in that scene than just what was going on with Palpatine. So
Yeah.
I mean, and this is one of those things that we're going to be debating for a long time.
that's
I think.
good.
Trying to
Okay.
yes,
That's-
it is.
That's
yeah, that
good.
is.
This is the fun
This
part
is
of
the good
Star
kind of
Wars, right?
debating.
So I got here early. Well, I don't know how early, but we were talking on the porch.
I mean,
and
I was just hanging out on the porch.
he was hanging on the
For
porch, and I
hours.
was like, okay, I got to ask you a question.
Left to
So
go
then we
Taco
just
Bell,
started
came back
talking. When I was growing up, and I know I've said this previous in a podcast, but I want to say it one more time. When I was growing up, there was literally they didn't have to like explain anything to you. The debates in the
Yes.
in the theories.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That's what made
That was-
fandom
yes.
was what it is.
Amen,
Hey,
brother.
dude, have you seen Blade Runner? Yeah, I've seen Blade Runner. Let's go smoke weed behind the school and talk.
Yeah, there you
Dude, I have a theory that'll blow your mind. But it was like I didn't need to know English, and I will. I hate when by the way, there were aliens speaking freaking English in this, and it drives me insane.
Yeah, you gotta be real human looking.
Dude, I was
for me to be okay
blowing
with that.
up. I was like, no, they should be speaking in their dialect. Look at me, I'm spitting right now. I'm spitting in rage right now. Like,
Yeah.
Typical Mexican stuff.
I know. It's like, because speaking English, or if you're a human,
alien should be speaking Spanish.
build a wall. So, anyways, aliens, you know, galactic wall.
Build a ceiling.
So, anyways, but I don't know, man. Like the theories, and already, like I'm like, but what if this? That's Star Wars.
Yes.
That's my entire
fun.
life.
Yep.
From here on, this is why we're here. This is why.
Which is,
Sorry.
by the way, I mean, speaking of Palpatine, I love the fact that they never explained how he resurrected.
Nope.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
That's
Well,
left
like,
to
or
us.
even like
Yes,
you said, like
we
it could've
paint
been-
the picture.
It could have been his body that came back to life, or it could have been a new body that was also crumbling and falling apart because he didn't quite have the ability to keep it together.
Who
He was
knows?
That's for us to. That's for us to
That's
like.
for us to think about.
That's one of the things he did well, man. We didn't need all that
we
exposition.
don't know why.
love
he
it.
had
And there's so
cataracts.
much too. Like we don't know what was his relationship with his son.
And that's for
And-
the
and-
books, the comics,
Like
the
what did his son
cartoons.
do? That
Right.
he felt the need that I have to get away from.
Was it his son? That was.
I'm not sure if it was.
His,
son or
I think it
daughter,
was his
right?
son.
No, I think it was his son.
I thought
I
it
think it
was
was son.
Yeah, because they said, it was
there's
the
something-
mother of one and the father of the other. So.
By the way, I saw an article, and I don't remember what website it was on, but it was just some rando pop culture blog that was talking about. What was the one that you pointed us at that said, "Does this mean that Star Wars fans have to come to grips with the fact that Palpatine fucks?" and
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
www.
I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to say, are they going to have any EU references? They're going to talk about Triclops or like, no? You know who they brought up? Eric Ismarin.
I
Do you
don't know
remember
what
that dude?
I don't know what you mean.
One of the other hands of the Emperor, which was really just one of his concubines that had the son that in the New Jedi Order, they've like jacked up his DNA and he's all ripped and he has like lightsabers coming out of his elbows and wrists and knees and stuff. The dumbest thing ever. I'm like, whoa, this makes Triclops. I remember it, but I hadn't thought about it.
Oh man,
Like it could have been this dude. And I'm like, no, let's just if we're gonna draw it to the EU,
It's not Jason
there.
Solo. It's Ben.
Yeah.
They
That's
never
funny.
they never really explained how he built that fleet either, did they?
No.
Space money.
I mean,
hello.
Oh, okay.
I mean, here's what I'm gonna guess
it
about
was-
that.
All those Sith ghosts built them.
It could be. I mean,
I thought it was
that
just-
place was no KDY.
They were old. They were
have a
old
big
ships.
penis
I thought
gun
he
on the
was.
bottom.
I
He
thought
was just building up his fleet and having a reserve fleet as he went.
they were
That's
old.
how
They
I
were
see
old
it.
ships, though. They were
Yeah.
old
Yeah,
Imperial
they were
ships.
some Star
They were
Destroyers for later.
M-Star ones with planet destroyers slung on the nose.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
the Planet Destroyers. I'm not.
But they
super
were the
keen on,
style
but-
of the
They were M-Star
ones
2s.
from they're from the New Hope style. M-Star 2s I don't think had the big like girder thing across the top between the shield generators, but don't quote.
Here's the thing
Oh,
about those guns. I would accept those guns and the tech, but having them blow up a whole planet, I was just kind of like,
But Mike, it blew it up a little slower. I had to try. Also,
It did.
The explosion was old school explosion.
Well,
Yeah.
the explosion
Yeah.
was like Rogue One.
and the laser was
Yeah.
red instead of green, so
Right.
like whole different tech. Man.
And the laser
Also-
didn't do this lob.
yeah,
which lasers don't do the
We're not
lob.
gonna talk about the lob.
Wait,
The
there's a
arc-
whole thing about
The
the
planet
arc of a
arcing
laser.
of those weren't lasers. Those are like giant hyperspace plasma nuts.
Right.
ball thing.
Mike, what do you think about the lob? Tell me about the lob.
In actuality, Mike, those
Like,
were all mining vessels. It's really what they were.
Mike, most lasers are lobbed.
So
anyway.
Kylo Ren has this moment with his pap, his daddy, and then from that moment he's trying to get to Rey.
Yes.
Rey is
Which he
is,
does in
is
an
Rey
old-ass TIE
is
fighter.
Rey about ready to strike down Palpatine and go to the dark side
Okay, so
before Kylo.
she shows up and
intervenes with
gets
his
the
No.
finds the hollow way crux
She finds
fighter.
the
Wayfinder.
Wayfinder on the wreckage of the Death
Yep.
Star,
Yeah,
right?
she
Which
does
is
the
fine.
tom.
the death tickle.
Yep.
The Death Star.
You guys didn't know this,
The
even though
giant
that
hurt
wall
ball.
looks flat because there's a window here and a window there. There was like a little a little like nut sack on the outside of the Death Star that held this closet inside of it.
Right.
Where Dark Ray hides for a minute.
Right.
We get no really explanation of that.
That's fine. You know,
No, she was testing it.
it was filled with. Actually, this weaves with the EU tale that we get from the Zahn trilogy, where Luke wants to learn why the thing happened in the cave on Dagobah, and he goes back. I think it might have been the Zahn or the Thrawn duology. I don't remember. He goes back and he finds that there's like a chunk of some old thing that's just charged with dark side force energy, and Yoda knew it was there. Theorized that Yoda decided to live on Dagobah because it would make him hard to find through the Force because it would balance out with this thing that had been there for a long time.
Right.
And so I felt like, all right, it makes sense that if this is where the Emperor sat around and like jagged off to Pornhub, that there would be enough dark side energy for like Rey to encounter this type of thing while she's there.
Yeah, and he collected Sith artifacts. And that's in canon.
That
so
is
we know
canon, yes.
he just like had them sitting there. So obviously a lot of dark force energy.
Well, and Rey did.
I love that movie takes that.
Rey did say that she saw herself on the throne.
Yeah, she said that was her vision.
She's previously
So
had
no, and that's and again that's where finally Rey is struggling, right? I mean, in this movie, for the first time, we see her. You know, geez, she's tempted by the dark side.
She can't. She's in the opening scene with the rock surrender. She's trying to get to commune with the Jedi that have gone before her, and they are silent.
What is she saying? Like, what is she saying? Like, be with me or something? What is her line she keeps saying?
Be with me. Yeah, it's like
be with me.
Oh, I love it.
Right.
Yep. Save me, Jeebus.
It reminded me of
and you see her anger in that first training sequence.
Yeah, right.
The Force is with me. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I am one with the Force. The Force is with me.
And with you.
Also.
Yep. So hey, how about when Rey murdered Chewie?
Oh,
that was great.
Okay, so
I was so angry.
That was like when you take a drink of alcohol and it tastes real gross at first, and then there's a second taste and a third taste, and it gets a little bit better, and then the third taste is like, oh, I'm not sure. Like I went through every emotion.
I read the new Jedi Order. For me, this was someone going, try this, it tastes terrible, and me going, yeah, it's fine. It can't be as bad as what I've drank before. Glug, I'm good.
I actually was like, if Chewie's gonna go out, this is the way he needs to go out.
Right.
I was actually fine with Chewie going out that way.
I have seen Chewie get crushed by a moon. I can handle this.
See, I haven't.
Yeah. See it.
In the old canon, he was crushed by a moon.
Yeah, a moon fell on him. And when he was running, handing up little Anakin Solo onto the Falcon, like he handed up to him, like, and they're reaching out trying to get you, and just moon.
But like that was because I saw Rey like break down, like she was like
that was,
and I was like, damn,
impactful moment,
dude. When the Force lightning came out of her, I got chills.
Yeah,
that was great.
It was like,
okay,
boom,
so
like
here's
a shot of lightning.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. When you look up and she reaches out, and you're like, oh no, she's gonna grab that. And I was just like, I thought back to the video game where
where you're pulling the Star Killer dude is standing there pulling it down.
You mean Thanos? You mean Thanos when he pulled the fucking thing down?
Right. Yeah, pretty much.
No, there's a video game where you're a Jedi. You actually pull but see, in my mind, I'm like, okay, Star Destroyer. I'm like, this is dumb, but I'm like, no, wait, this is just a little shuttle.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna flow with this. And it was cool, man. I'm like, okay, I get this. It's cool. And then, when the Force
matters not, Mike.
What's that?
Size matters not.
That's right. You're right.
Hey, Jedi Academy trilogy, they were crushing ATSTs by throwing TIE fighters at him or something. Like, one of the students like reaches out and just squishes an ATST in his hand. I'm like, I've been here. I'm all right.
Yeah.
We're good. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
Cool.
I forgot about that trilogy.
Well, because, I mean, there again, that's one of Rey's trials. Finally, she's getting trials, right?
Yeah.
So she's realizing she has power that she doesn't know she has, you know? And I'm like, oh, God, why didn't we have this in the prior two movies?
That's what I'm saying. This should have been the first movie.
Where was that
We need a fight.
Where was that trip?
Why do you love The Last Jedi so much, Mike? Let's talk about this.
Star Wars, Luke didn't have any force powers to speak of. He just closed his eyes and shot his wad down the hole.
Right.
But, like, so we didn't have I understand.
Wow.
I understand why he's upset. But we got to Empire before it really became a thing, and it immediately was talking about the dark side. This movie, she comes right out of the gates like, you know, hey, I've never been on this ship, but fixed it, you know, and hey, I've never held a lightsaber, but whipped your ass, you know.
Right.
She doesn't know why though. She doesn't know why.
Because the force is somehow awakened in her in a unique way.
But yet it's totally unicorns and rainbows. And I'm
Force
like, it
Awakens.
should have been
I
scary.
can shoot lightning, and I've got the healing power that's extremely rare that everybody has now, seemingly.
No, he
No.
said specifically it comes along
Once in a generation.
It's part of his connection with Kylo.
I have questions in relation to another show.
I'm just saying, what I'm saying is, don't get attached to Baby Yoda to ever become teenage Yoda. That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying Baby Yoda tastes delicious.
So now
Grilled.
we all wondered if there was a reason beyond they didn't want to release that Mandalorian Ep7 on the same day that the movie came out. But you guys were saying there's got to be a reason. There's got to be. I'm like, yeah, they don't want people to go, well, I'm going to go home and watch Mandalorian and then maybe I'll come back out and watch. They were like, no, just go straight from work to the movie. I was wrong. Because I feel like they wanted to show Baby Yoda's officially the healing power.
Yeah, they wanted to establish that was a thing. And that was cool, man. I like that. Again, it just makes it.
And that's
but
why
here's the
the
thing.
Moff's
Here's the
after
thing.
him to bring him to the Emperor.
If Rey was the first one that did it, it would have been another like, really?
Yeah.
Right. Baby Yoda did
Anything
it.
is possible with Rey, but because a day early,
Baby Yoda.
it really tempered it.
Right.
And it worked really well.
But wasn't it in a video game though, like force healing? Like,
Force healing, yeah. But
that's been around
Force healing
forever.
trope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could
So
I could also run over a miniature Bacta tank and have my blaster burns healed.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, force
That's
healing.
been a Jedi power in video games forever.
He's
But
got
even
shot
in
30 times.
even in the old Legends, though, I mean, they had like Silgal, right? She was
Stilgal.
That's how I say it. But
I almost said Kilgo.
I can't hit the button because Lord knows with these names from the books.
in the old Legends books,
maybe
in the old Legends books, there's a Mon Cal that's a Jedi, and that was her specialty was
And
healing.
let's not leave out Techley, her Shadra fan assistant.
Oh, sure.
In Battlefront 2, Yoda has. By the way, I play video games.
No, go ahead.
So like Battlefront 2,
And here we
Yoda
are
has
explaining them to
healing
you.
for the group. Like,
Yeah.
so like I wasn't even surprised by that. I was like, oh yeah. Why?
But that's the thing. In
Right.
cinema, we've never seen that.
No.
That's true. That's true.
What'd you think about the way she explained it, though?
I don't remember how she explained it.
I just I wasn't sure.
Force energy.
Yeah, because I feel like
a little bit of fourth stuff.
this goes, and I'm coming around.
the midichlorians to.
I'm coming around on this, but to me, the Force has always been this energy that if you're a Jedi, then you just happen to be a conduit of this energy. And now I'm realizing, like, oh, if people use too much of it, it's taking away from them and they're dying. And she's using some of her life force.
Yeah.
But I have like researched and found out, okay, this is a thing. Like, I don't know if it's true, but like,
no, Josh, this is make believe.
Yes, it is.
but like this idea that Jedis have a certain reservoir of force energy and it refills. And
Well, yeah, because then you have to run back into the Force Nexus to keep fighting.
Right, but
in the Valley of the
at
Jedi.
first it felt to me like no, it's a flow, and why is it taking a part of her to be able to do this, or why, you know? But
Because
I'm coming
there's
around.
always a balance.
I don't know.
Stamina.
Well, it could be if you just pump too much electricity, you pop the circuit. Simple as that. You flow through. You let too much flow through you burn out.
Yeah,
Stamina.
like a fuse.
Yeah. I mean, I can work with it.
Jedi or
when
fuses.
the way she first explained it, and you knew it was an important plot point because she explained it.
Yeah.
I was not sure about the way it was explained, but I'm coming around.
I wanted her to ride the snake into
They
battle.
also had to justify why Luke just
Like-
literally
Like a
ejaculated
sandworm
to
from
death.
Dune.
You're right.
I know.
Atreides.
In the Last Jedi, Luke literally just tries to death.
And now it
Yeah.
happens.
So now we have to justify.
but now that's like a super regular plot point, and I'm okay.
He could have been called Ray Deeb.
It's not. Again,
You are known as Ray Deeb.
it's not the first time we've seen it. There's stories from the real deep cut EU.
The Harkonnen.
Like the Knights of the Old Republic that preceded the game, like the comics and stuff like that. There's stories of like Jedi who also just spent themselves to death because your body also has limits too. You know?
Right.
So
Most popularly in the EU legend, whatever it is now,
yeah.
would have been
Legacy or legend.
Wee Anakin.
What's that?
Wee Anakin.
Oh yeah, Anakin.
Oh yeah, little Anakin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Halcyon Horn.
Yep. That's another one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he literally sucked in so much energy and then blasted himself to pieces with it.
Right.
No, don't laugh. It was amazing. I will step on your
Yeah.
nards.
That's one of those
It
things
was
they couldn't
amazing.
do in movies, but
That's
in
what Anakin Solo
novels,
did
it works
too,
great.
right?
In multimedia, I mean.
In the
For
old
whatever reason,
porn
I had a total
days.
brain fart on Anakin, but I know he sacrificed himself.
He took out a world ship, I believe, or the better part of one. He went Super Saiyan,
yeah,
basically,
Sweet.
but then he died
yeah.
doing it.
Oh.
Yep.
That's because they
Anakin
couldn't
Solo.
have the Jedi.
There's
who could
Anakin
feel
Solo.
In the
he's
old
involved in the
legends,
Force.
there's a different.
Wait, what?
Okay, in the old
Anakin
legends, Solo and Princess Leia had 3 kids. They had twins, Jaina and Jason.
Yeah, I remember though, and that's what I thought. Ray.
And then they had a
then
third
they
kid
had
named
an Oops.
Anakin. Yeah, they had an Oops named Anakin.
The
And,
run.
He's
He
the best
was
of all of
the
them.
best. He was the
Anakin was
coolest one.
supposed to be, and this is getting pretty deep here, but the Anakin character, they eventually wanted to turn him into the big bad baddie, and he was like going to be the badass in the expanded universe, but Lucas put his foot down and said, no, you can't use that character that way. So they ended up killing him off, and his death was one of the best deaths in all of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yep.
He had tuberculosis.
And who was the one?
Basically, he just turned into the
Who
Force.
was the one that
Oh, wow.
died
It was
fighting
awesome.
Ganner Raizo?
Ganner, yeah.
Ganner Raizo
Ganner
is like the
Raizo.
second best
Yes.
death. in
Yeah.
all of
He went
Star
full
Wars.
Gandalf on him.
Yeah.
You shall not
Yeah,
pass.
seriously. Basically, like hundreds and hundreds of these warriors that are like completely untouchable in the Force,
Yeah.
and he basically just becomes one with the Force, and the Force is with him, and he just whips so much ass that their race held for hundreds of years thereafter the legend of the Ganner.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they
It was
were
awesome.
I mean, he didn't. win.
Why am I
He
getting the
died.
chills right now and I've never read
That's what I'm
this?
saying.
Is it just that I've
He
drank
didn't
too
die.
much?
He did this so that Jason could
Literally, he
live.
said one with the Force, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Ooh, I'm
he
getting the
did this
chills."
so Jason could live, and he knew he's like, all right, I've always been playing second fiddle.
Right.
This has never been my destiny. This is your destiny, and became like a god
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
his enemies,
To the enemies,
who defeated
yes.
him.
Yes.
He became like a
killed him,
god to
yes.
them.
Amazing.
There are some great stories in that terrible,
Horrible series.
You gotta wade through a lot of crap
It's like
to
an
find those
18 book
pearls.
series.
19.
It's horrific to get through.
Yeah.
But
it
it's
has
got
those
a
moments.
handful of it's got a bunch of little moments, a handful of amazing
Yes.
moments, and a few books that are actually pretty good
Yeah,
cover to cover.
right.
Yeah.
Most of them are pretty.
And-
It's a slog.
And it's got Tahiri.
I like Tahiri.
She's
Stop.
alright. She was
I
alright.
like Tahiri.
Before or after she went?
Yeah, but she killed Paleon, and I'll always.
Well, that's all
Yeah.
nice, guys. We were
Before
talking
and
about the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, we totally. We
I'm
totally.
like, wait,
Talking about
what?
Legends
Which
Rabbit
was back
Hole.
in the
Use it Vong series another time.
My bad, guys.
the EU wasn't really crap at all. Listen to the Christmas episode.
What do you got there for us,
Well,
Howie?
so we were talking about Palpatine, and so he meets up with Rey, or Rey
Pappy.
meets up with Palpatine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they have this little interchange talking about how she's supposed to take the throne. She's
Empress.
the next one.
Empress.
Yeah, basically he's tempting her, right? He's-
Well, with her
he's-
and her friendship is the thing that ends up making her almost do it.
her
when-
friendship.
When she opens
Or-
up, he opens up this guy and he says,
Friendship
"All
was
of
the
your
treasure all
friends
along."
are dying,"
Well,
and we get
we'll
the sequence
save
of
you.
like
We'll save
multiple
them,
ships
right.
getting shot
Yeah.
the hell
Yeah.
up.
And we all
If
know
you
in the
do
back of like,
this,
no,
kinda-
Palpatine, you're going to
And
take
this is
over.
this is a playback to the throne room scene. And
Yeah, I was gonna say, kind of like the whole speech he
Oh.
gave to Luke, and
exactly.
Jedi.
We'll get to that, but yeah,
Yeah.
those are some of the
Strike
weak
me
points
down.
of
He
the
knows it
trilogy
works.
as a
That's-
whole.
he
But
knows that works. That's his like one trick that
yeah,
always
that's
works.
one trick.
But it doesn't always work.
That-
Except
that
one
and
time when he
lightning.
got thrown in a pit. That didn't work that time.
Okay, so
That's
yeah,
how he got Vader on his side.
I shouldn't have used a dude. It'll work on the chick.
No, it won't.
okay, so he
Do you
tempts.
have any boyfriends, Ray?
He tempts her with
Dang
this
it.
idea that strike me down and I my spirit will inhabit you and you will become basically the ruler of the universe.
Not just his spirit.
Yeah, all Sith,
All of the Sith.
all
the
Sith will
sisters.
inhabit you. So
And all the Jedi.
And then
She
he
would have
turned
been
and went,
all
"Am
of the
I
Force.
right? All the Sith." And they went, according to you guys.
that's it.
She would have had all of the Jedis and all of the Siths.
You guys are killing me with these plural.
I know.
But I know
That's
you're
why I'm
doing it on purpose.
Oh yes, absolutely. So she would have just been the Force. Period.
Dark
I think
side.
I think he was just.
I don't think he was going to let her take control. I think he
I think had that happened, he'd have pushed all the Jedi out of her into Ben, who's still climbing out of his pit.
Again.
Well, Ben hadn't gotten there yet.
Okay, so she's tempted by this, then there's the final confrontation, right? She's like, "No, this ain't gonna happen."
That's when Ben shows up.
And basically, he's like, "All right, then you shall die."
So he's over there getting his butt whooped by the Knights of Ren, who were only in the movie to justify their existence.
Yeah.
They're good blacksmiths, and they can put helmets back together.
Yeah. Well, yeah, one of them.
You know what?
That's like their friend.
Was that Caesar from Rise of the Planet of the Apes?
Yes, it totally was Caesar. I was like, so Andy Serkis was pissed he didn't have a role in this film.
There you go.
So they're like, all right, get your Caesar ping pong ball suit on, Andy, and you can come in and do some forging.
Right.
Apparently.
Loved it.
No, this is home.
But he forged so well, he won his freedom.
We will not fight.
So in terms of the Knights of Ren, the Knights of Ren to me were going to be a lost cause because they were never explained in the Last Jedi. They weren't touched.
They had too much.
There was too much to do in this movie.
They didn't need to be in the film, but it's fine if they needed someone for Kylo to pal around with and fight.
Actually, it was cool.
It was fine.
It was fine because just who said it that we can explore that in the comics, right? Explore that in the
comic just came out this week.
Yes,
you actually meet Ren.
It's next episode, Garrett.
I'm not joking. You're laughing because you expect that from me, but I slipped you a Mickey, buddy. I'm serious.
Whatever.
You meet Ren.
Very good.
He wear the mask, but he got no shirt on, see? And he's all beat up like.
Oh, I see.
You're going to love him.
Oh, no.
Great.
Sorry to bring everybody down. Comics explanations are not always great.
All the comics have been great except for the sequel trilogy stuff.
Yep.
Even the Poe Dameron was great with the
blue flying blue.
No.
It had its moments.
No.
It had its moments. Had sexy Wexley in it.
But the Lando comic.
Yeah. All the Lando comics.
Snap. Remember that part where he died?
Yeah. So during this whole sequence of Palpatine and Rey and Kylo fighting the Knights of Ren, we have this battle taking place, right?
No, you got to mention she did the reverse Die Hard. She reached behind her back.
We're not there yet.
Made the weapon disappear.
We're not there yet.
My goodness. We were there.
No, Ben walked in, but now Howie's doing a cutaway.
Yeah, Garrick, we're actually going in order now.
So basically
we're really laser fine order now.
So basically, we're up in space, and their plan to take out the lead ship.
We're not in space. We're in Atmo. That's part of how this works.
We're in Atmo because there's horses.
I'm just not fighting you.
Their shields up in Atmo now.
Horses can't be in space.
Yeah. They had to be in Atmo to have the shields down so the horses could ride on.
Exactly.
But whales can be in space.
But whales,
those are space whales.
Oh.
They breathe space air.
Space. I got you. All right.
And they travel by.
So these are not space horses in Atmo.
No. These are Atmo horses in less Atmo.
Oh. In high Atmo.
High Atmo. Yeah.
All right.
On
so
Star
they're
Destroyers.
really tired.
So their plan to take out the ships by taking out, some kind of signal tower fails.
Yeah.
It goes to the lead ship.
Because gravity.
That fails too. And, and basically they're losing the battle, right?
They realize that if you blow up down at the bottom, it actually blows up the entire ship.
Yeah, right.
That's
later. Energy.
So lots of stuff happened up there. And then one of the groaning moments happened, right? I mean,
if someone shot you in the dick, you'd die too.
So probably one of the groaning moments, the biggest groaning moments is
saying the mining cannon was the ship's dick.
They tell Lando to go out, hey, go rally support, right? So 10 minutes later, he arrives with the entire universe. The entire galaxy.
The shot that we saw in one of the trailers did not begin to show the amount of things that we saw in the wide shot.
That was impressive.
So
visually, it looked great.
Oh, yes.
I think that the beacon was sent out in The Last Jedi, the
Yeah,
greatest
right.
movie ever
The
made.
beacons were lit.
The beacons were lit.
Gondor.
So the message was out. So all he had to do was go remind people, hey, remember we sent that email? You need to come back. And we
never heard back from you.
This
is my last email.
Well, also, you forget that the quote "First Order" had been broadcast to the entire galaxy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So they had been threatened for their lives.
They've literally everything's been
they're prepped either we're submitting or we are rebelling in this moment.
Right.
If we do not agree, then these ships are going to show up at our planets and literally destroy the entire freaking planet.
Yep.
So I assume Lando didn't have to go to all these systems. He then sent out a message and said, "All right, folks,
We're meeting here.
roll your die."
That's
All right.
what I'm going to need
just
here
went
is some
to
kind of explanation of something.
He rolled out to the big speedway where everybody goes.
You see, he rolled
And
a
he just
heroic
went-
on
he just
Han.
went up over to the nearest HoloNet beacon.
If the first one,
Rolling up and
Send
down
out
the
an
strip,
email.
leaning out the window, yelling at people in other cars like Harrison Ford in a hot rod.
Can I submit an alternate theory?
if Palpatine
Does,
can send
What
out
if
the
by
last
land, two
order,
if by sea?
if he
Good
can
luck,
if he
Eric.
can send out the last order that way, then there's also a way for a mass
the-
broadcast.
all
Anyway.
those
I agree.
ships, all those ships were piloted by Lando's girlfriends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went out and he got
Called
his
up all his
black book.
girlfriends.
He got the black book
He got
out.
his,
Like, hey,
his
baby.
Sam Malone black
Time to
book.
fly with
He's like
Lando.
the-
Oh my goodness,
You know what
we're
I'm
only to
saying?
the D's now. Oh,
He's like the Wilt Chamberlain of Bespin. He's like, hey, what's up? I got this. You know you're my mama.
I
Bolt
know
45.
I know it's your husband's ship. He's not gonna miss it.
Come on, baby.
Just get over here.
Anyway, Mike,
the whole
Mike, the
family.
entire
we'll make it
galaxy,
work.
the entire galaxy is on high alert.
Say hi to Leia for me.
And we're able
All
to
right.
navigate through that weird miasma thing. Which, hey, by the way, that whole navigation thing to get to Exegol, did anyone else? There's not going to be a lot of people in the room.
Set up by Solo.
No. Well, okay, yeah, but that's in the maw.
They
There's
go through the
another
maw?
one that was towards the end of the Legends, the end of the EU, which in terms of novels, there were comics that took place later. I disavow knowledge of them.
Yeah.
But towards the end, basically, okay, the Mortis gods that we've talked about many times, the father, the son, and the daughter that were in the Clone Wars, right?
Talking about Abeloth.
Abeloth lived on a planet that you had to navigate through almost this exact thing. And this planet was where the center of the Force was. It's the planet where the Mortis gods at that point had lived. Abeloth was sort of like the adoptive mother.
She was,
Okay.
she was the mother,
And
but she was like represented chaos.
She was the chaos, and she was
Like
evil
my cat.
as shit. She was infecting the minds of all the Jedi children from like across the galaxy, causing them all to turn into like murder bots. Like they would just unleash it, just snap and start murdering people. So the New Republic's having to like lock them all
so
up.
like
and
Anakin.
they're literally like practically carbon freezing all of them just because they don't know
They
what to do.
were,
with it.
yeah.
And so like this was like the epitome of evil, and it was hidden. The reason why she was able to do it for so long, it was hidden because you couldn't get through there. And Luke and his son Ben were able to actually navigate through it together. And that they were like the first ones to be able to get in there in like forever.
They actually went to the Maw
Yeah.
installation.
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they put the kids in the Maw installation for a while. That's why that's where they think she noticed them and started infecting them. That was before that. But yeah, that was actually a really, it was in Solo because
That's
of the Maw.
from a person who does not know
Right.
the EU. That's
right.
compared it to.
That's there. But this particular one, which was different than that, I thought was extremely parallel to what I would not call the strong point in the EU. But the fact that it was like the fact that they use that same concept where the reason why Palpatine was able to hide because ain't nobody can get there. The same reason why Abeloth was stuck and not findable where she was. So I thought that was interesting.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go.
I'm on board.
Yeah, that whole series. Oh God.
Yeah, that
Okay,
was
so
rough.
the Armada shows up. They start turning the tide up in space
with the ghost.
with the ghost.
Thank you.
Yeah, the ghost.
And so back with
Guys, we don't
Palpy-
know that it's the ghost. It's the ghost.
It's the ghost.
Shut up, it's the ghost.
It is.
Wait, did Ryan say it was the ghost? Did he have that in the last
Did you-
I
video?
don't
get an
give
email?
a damn what Ryan says.
I'm just saying. Did RJ say it was the ghost?
I don't know. I saw
Did he
him.
spit up for it?
Fuck RJ.
I saw RJ on Twitter arguing about Star Wars today.
I like
Oh, stop. I
Oh,
don't
for
even
real?
know.
And the first comment
No way.
was, "Hey, I really liked your Knives Out movie."
Oh.
No. It was, trust me, the way it was said was, "Hey, how about you stop talking about Star Wars and focus on this?" Trust me, because the comments were just dying laughing.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
I thought you liked him, Mike. I saw your.
Let's move on.
I have a mixed relationship with RJ.
You have a script that you have says
You have
Dear
a shirt
RJ.
that says Johnson lover.
Read my-
I love Johnson.
I love Johnson.
Big Johnson.
Big Johnson t-shirts.
Johnson.
Ryan with an I is what you're
right.
like. I love it.
That's actually all the shirt says. It's just Ryan with an I.
With an I with you. You as the I. Me.
I'm sorry.
The pronoun format.
I'm sorry.
Well, no, you're not the only one.
No, but I started that one.
Sorry.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about hating The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
We're talking about Palpatine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
The
Whew.
final confrontation.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
I thought we were talking about the Armada.
So Kylo Ben-Hur shows up,
Yes.
or whatever, Raylo Ben Kylo
Yeah.
shows up,
Halo
and,
Ben Solo.
and they're
That's
like,
where he realizes that
and
they
this
have
after she teleports the lightsaber to him.
Yeah.
right
And that's
to
what
defeat
he uses
the Knights
to
of
whip
Ren.
the Knights of Ren.
Right. So he finally joins
Pretty
her.
insignificant
And
moment.
also some Emperor's Guard.
Hey, easy peasy. We were
I
right there.
like the fact that the Knights of Ren attacked him, not knowing that he chucked his lightsaber into the ocean. But when he totally, just magicians a lightsaber out of his hat, they're all like, "Uh-oh, he's got a lightsaber."
I love
I'm
that.
like, wait, didn't you guys plan for this?
Oh, that's right. Because he would normally have a
We're gonna get
lightsaber.
him, and he's totally going to leave it at home. That guy would lose his head if it wasn't attached.
Okay, so he joins Rey, and they believe that together they can defeat him because they have this special connection
Yep.
They're
that he doesn't
dyads.
know about. And but then he senses it, right? And this is where it gets a little, it starts, escalating here. He realizes they have this special power. That's where we get the exposition about this is a once in a lifetime gift, blah, blah, blah. Then he starts pulling their essence and out of them, like this power.
Yep.
And that's where his physical body starts to heal.
That's right. And over a moment of, just like 30 seconds, you actually see Palpatine go from like an aging, ragged, like
Yes.
Mechano puppet
Right.
into
Growing back limbs.
into the vampire from Dark Forces in the 1970s series.
And he's
Whoa.
surprised that this is happening. I don't know that this
He's
was like part of
literally
the plan.
wearing burgundy paisley vest
I
under
know.
his
I didn't
robe.
see that. He was like wearing like that. Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, how Victorian of you.
Actually,
What, an ascot?
it's at this point where he realizes he's like,
I'm wearing this.
he's like, screw Ray, I don't need you. I got my body back now.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just gonna
I
do
guess
this.
I'm still
Well,
king of the world.
And he basically at this point has all the Jedi power and Sith power.
Yep, more or less, or at least a good amount
Yeah.
of it.
More than
In his
anyone
head.
else could.
Because
Which is what helps propel him to the ships.
Yes.
and his
Yeah.
cataracts
Feeding-
go away and his eyes start glowing again. I'm wondering if the glowing actually causes the cataract.
It might, yeah.
That's another.
Oh yeah.
So to me,
can't
that-
be
That's
healthy.
Tomorrow Sheep's problem.
I mean,
It's just
he's feeding off of almost
Well,
every
see,
element.
jaundice
I
looking.
like that because I really believe that he's a zombie version until he gets that healing power.
Mhm.
And then
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the glowy eyes, indicate that, okay,
they're
he's
not
got
just yellow; they're
he's-
glowing,
yes,
which is
and
key.
he's got a physical body now. It's
Yeah.
like he's back
yeah.
at that
He
point.
hops on off like the anal impaler arm that he's on and just walks over to them.
Palpy's
still a little
back.
like,
All right.
Yeah, he has to like shift around a little bit. Work things back into place.
Got my dick back.
Do it to my hip.
All right, so then he hurls Skywalker out the door.
No, he throws him in a
Ben,
pit.
whatever. Throws him in a pit.
Which was mistake number one. He's not a Sith.
Not anymore.
Not no more.
And we know
Well, I don't
that,
think
well, he
it was
wasn't really
anyway.
a Sith anyway, but we know that pits don't kill Sith anyway. Even if you're claved in half, a pit will not finish the job.
Which whatever happened to Kylo when he fell down there were injuries sustained.
Yeah, he like hurt his wrist like super bad.
Super
Nah, his
bad.
leg.
His leg.
Sprained his ankle. He was like, ouch.
Stubbed
My
his
ankle.
toe.
I got a scratch.
Maybe his leg just fell asleep because he was laying down too long.
I'm not dead. Not dead yet.
All right, so
feeling better.
so Palpy and Ray engage at that point, and basically she's
yeah.
using the single just
Well,
one lightsaber.
Before Palpy and Ray engage, Ray is laid out flat,
Yep. This is it.
Yeah, this is when she's on her back looking at the sky.
looking at the sky,
She's beat. She's
and then
broken.
you hear voices. She hears
Well,
voices.
she starts doing her little chant.
Oh yeah, she starts doing her chant.
Be
Right.
with me.
Be with me. Be inside of me.
And
Oh, you
So I
almost
love that
killed
shot.
my.
Wow.
Where she's
no, but
she's seeing the light.
everyone starts getting chills at this point, right?
I do.
Even
Yep, that's
before
me.
you hear anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like,
because-
oh,
You know it's about to happen.
Yep.
exactly.
And so basically anyone that has ever been a Jedi with a spoken role shows up.
Do you have the
in
list?
audio form? No, I'm not looking at the list. On this whole thing, the browser would probably murder it.
I have the list up. Somebody,
Yeah.
You're mic'd, so
on
you can talk.
Discord. Go ahead.
friend of the show, Darth Joe Pesci, was nice enough to post it to the Discord.
Unlike Corey.
I texted it to you a-holes last night.
So
That's last night.
there is Hayden Christensen,
What?
Yes,
Who's he?
Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, Anakin.
Oh, that's right.
Spoke to Rey
Olivia Diabo,
as
Luminari Unduli.
Luminara Unduli, who we saw her corpse in Rebels, spoke to
Yes.
Rey.
Yes. Ashley Eckstein.
Ahsoka dead, y'all.
Confirmed.
Yeah, spoiler. Enjoy the rest of Rebels. She dead. Spoke to Rey.
You know, not
She doesn't die in
surprising though,
Rebels.
because I
She would
mean,
have been old.
She'd been
yeah,
old.
she was pretty old.
Maybe.
She was old.
I mean, I don't know what
Golden
the
girl
Togruta
sexy.
lifespan is, as I said to Howie.
Yeah, we don't know, but
Jennifer Hale as Ayla Sakura.
Spoke
Nice.
to Rey as if that was okay, needed.
She having a
All right
a
with it.
speaking line in the movie.
Wait, who's that?
She, no,
It
she
had
had
to be
she
in-
was the,
it had to be
probably
in
the Clone Wars.
Yeah, it was
actress.
Clone Wars, right?
Yeah, I'm related to her somehow. I
You need
think.
to give that up. I don't understand.
What?
You just
I
think if
don't
someone
believe
goes,
She's
if someone has a
Canadian.
through line through Canada, you're like, oh, we're kin.
Oh yeah, we're
No, my character,
Oh, that's right. You're a Star Wars guy. That's true.
my Star Wars character was somehow related to her years ago. Anyway, the Samuel L. Jackson.
Yep.
Mace Window.
Mace
Window.
Window.
Face window.
Mike mispronounced.
there
No,
you
that was
go.
on purpose.
He leaned
There it
into it
is.
because he knows he does it. Just like Keanu.
Ewan McGregor.
Young Obi-Wan.
Yep.
Yeah,
Young
young
Obi-Wan spoke to
Alec
Rey.
Guinness.
Old Obi-Wan.
There you go.
Spoke to
Wow,
Rey.
both Obi-Wins.
Yep, they
I
got
heard-
both the Obi-Wans.
I heard the old Obi-Wan.
Battlefront 2 cast.
And Angelique Perrin
As
as sorry.
Addie Galela.
Yep, Addie Galila.
Oh yeah, she's
In the
a
mic.
No idea.
wait,
Yeah.
Galela?
Mike said it right.
Adi
Wrong,
Gallia?
probably.
She's a
No.
Jedi with the
Gallia?
weird white head thingies.
Yeah, I think it's
Coming
Galia.
out.
My God,
Bye.
it's gonna wear out.
There you go.
Thanks, buddy.
Use it, baby.
I think it's Adi Galia. But maybe I'm wrong.
Addie Gallia. That's probably right now that you say it.
Yeah,
With the
Galela. It's
fuzzy
like Jeff
head tentacle.
Galooly.
I don't
is
know.
what
Look
I
how
was getting.
big the thing is on my phone. Shut up.
Galooly.
Her name's going to be
Galooly.
Julia Gulia.
Freddie Prince Jr.
As
as Kanan
and
Jarrus.
I want to point
There
out,
it
I want
is.
to point out right here because I've said it a bunch of times to you guys. I want to point out I took my 8-year-old daughter to see this. My 8-year-old daughter who can barely sit through a Star Wars movie. She was more thrilled because she was getting to go with the guys. She was thrilled about going with Daddy and his friends, and she sat through the whole movie and she was bragging about how she understood the whole thing afterwards and she liked it. She grabs my shoulder. This is not a hardcore Star Wars fan. Grabs my shoulder, practically climbs out of her seat almost over the armrest onto mine and goes, Daddy, I heard Kanan.
Awesome.
I
That
mean,
is
come
awesome.
on. The
I
fact
love
that,
it.
that, like, we took the Freddie Prinze Jr. voice a cartoon and Ashley Eckstein voiced a cartoon character. And they put them in this movie because they know this,
Hugely
this
impactful
is impactful
characters. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
some people who are going to be seeing
Yeah.
this movie. Fan service serves a damn point.
We got 2 more.
Okay, go ahead.
Liam Neeson.
As Qui-Gon Jinn.
Thank
Woo.
you.
Yep. That was
And
Josh
then,
Needham.
of course, the forciest Force Ghost of them all, Harrison Ford.
No, he was not in that scene.
Who was in there?
Hey, you're doing
Did you
a
say
great
Frank
kid.
Oz?
So,
Are you taking care of my ship?
I think
was
I
in
did,
there.
but he was in there.
Fiona
You're
was
right.
in there.
How many times have my ship been crashed?
so there
last
actually could
week?
be more that we just.
I might have skipped over him on accident.
So like I wasn't a big fan. I mean, I like the Clone Wars, but it was like
Yeah,
the EU for me is. But when I heard
Did you,
Ahsoka, like I literally like that scene. I'm not
Ahsoka
telling
means
you,
more to me because
my
of Rebels.
arms were like chilled. Like I was like feeling it. I was
Mhm.
feeling that blood in my heart. I was my
yeah.
soul.
Mhm.
And it's such
It was
a brief,
great.
easy scene.
Oh,
but
it was amazing.
like it tied in all these people that if you're a fan of those things,
Yes.
you're like,
See, and
connected.
this is going back to the point that you were making about fan service, and we've been talking about this a little bit because fan service has been of late in the entertainment media portrayed as something negative, something
Yeah.
bad.
It's just like
I don't understand that because
never-
It's like if everything has to always be different, everything has to always be in like not a state of change, but a state of thunderous change
right,
in order to be okay.
right.
And it's like, no, actually, the world itself is kind of circular, not like the globe, because that also is, but spherical.
Is it?
But like things happen, like we see cycles, things happen
Garrick's a
in cycles.
flat
We
earther.
see history repeat itself. We see that
Right.
all the time. It's the same thing in narrative form. A circular,
oblique
like something that comes
spheroid,
around
not a
full
perfect
circle can
sphere.
really
Come on.
pay off.
Yeah.
One of the most fun things for me is when I go to a movie like this
Mhm.
and I hear Ahsoka Tano's voice.
Oh,
Because that tells me that the people that made this movie
Gave a crap.
gave a crap.
Yeah.
Because guess what? The average moviegoer
They don't
isn't
care.
gonna know.
They don't
And they're
even
gonna-
recognize.
they're gonna
freaking
enjoy-
Qui-Gon. They've seen Throat
Right.
Punch
They're
800
gonna
times.
enjoy
They're not
the
gonna know.
movie for what it is,
Yeah.
but for the guys and gals that are into the
It didn't cost them anything to do that.
exactly, and that's another reason I like Solo as much as I did, because there was a lot of fan service in that. But again, it was a movie that you
It
could
cost
enjoy
them a
on
little
its
money
own.
to do that, though.
You can talk about all that,
I
but
know.
but
We're not going
for
to.
us, I mean, we enjoyed it because there is so much
We already
packed
did.
into that movie
Mhm.
that we, as the Uber nerds, can appreciate.
Yep.
I loved it.
So
I still say that movie would have turned a profit if it hadn't been wedged right up against the last.
well, and
I agree.
what I
Well,
don't
yeah.
understand is why they're applying the standard, the entertainment media, to Star Wars for
Dude,
some
it's
reason.
our entire Western culture. We're supposed to feel guilty about now, so we can get into later.
But
It's the same thing in narrative.
why wasn't this standard applied to Endgame? I don't get it. You know what I mean?
I know.
Everybody was fine with it in Endgame.
They're like, okay, well, we paint ourselves in a corner. Let's go back in time.
Because Star
and
Wars
like-
didn't have 2 movies in a row where all the women in the movie rode into battle together. That's
true.
Well, that's true. Yeah. They only made out once for a second.
I know. Like for like 1 second, I'm like, wait, back it up.
I said, wait, pause it. Pause the movie.
Pause the movie.
So anyway-
Zoom, enhance.
Hey,
Just side note
I wore my trench coat for a reason.
So what you're saying, Mike,
Let me
though,
in here
is
with
that
sweatpants on. I don't
fan
know what
service
they
is
were
bad?
No, fan service is fine. I mean, okay, don't get me
When it's
wrong.
done
I
right,
think you
sure.
can guess.
Who is
exactly.
saying
Yeah,
fan
you-
service is
Yeah,
bad?
you don't want to just see every single movie
Entertainment
remade.
media.
If you look at the most of the criticisms of this film,
Yes.
especially in like the little
Too much
bite-sized
fan
form,
service.
that's the negative, the overarching negative thing is too much fan service. Too much fan. There was a lot of fan service. Fan service. I'm like,
How do they know?
Well,
How is that a problem?
Then entertainment media are idiots because
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Mandalorian is carrying Disney Plus,
Mhm.
Yes.
and that show is straight up fan service.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
straight
Also,
up.
also good storytelling.
Well, it's good
Well, yes,
storytelling
also.
and universal themes and
Which-
interesting stories
Jetpacks.
and
Western.
Jetpacks.
Yeah, with
Yeah, those are all just
jetpacks,
jetpacks. Had a lot of the same things.
Shooty
this
shooty
movie
droids that
had.
serve tea.
Yeah.
There was points in I was kind of proud of JJ because there's points when I was expecting fan service. One that comes to mind is when they first get on the Kylo Ren's Star Destroyer and they shoot some stormtroopers. I'm like, oh, they're gonna put that armor on, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're gonna do the whole thing, and
Oh yeah,
but
yeah,
no,
yeah.
they didn't. He took the
I don't
guess
know.
harder way.
I don't
I'll
know
go you
why
one
anybody
further.
would ever put that armor on. It's useless.
I know.
I will go. I'll go one further, Garrick. Right before that, I thought that they were going to be hiding under the planks and let the stormtroopers board. Honestly, with the 2 that walked up,
Yeah,
I honestly
that
got went.
too.
Here we go. No,
Because that was
okay.
straight
No.
out of A New Hope.
Yeah.
Was the 2 stormtroopers boarding the thing, and then you hear some shots.
I don't care what
but-
it smells like, Finn.
But when they were shooting the cameras, I literally loved it. I was smiling. They're
Yeah,
like, shoot
shooting
the cameras.
It doesn't matter if people don't make the connection. The
Yeah.
people-
But
calls
to
them-
me,
but
it
to
meant
you, you're like,
everything.
yeah.
Oh, I loved it. And in fact, I was like pissed that they didn't play the music. I was like, play the music. Play the music when they, like, do it. Do it. Do it.
They did have a
Do it.
in
Play
this
the
film.
music.
There was a do it in Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, I
it was,
loved it.
yeah, one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just,
So
I don't mind
now we've got Rey, like all charged up, but she doesn't get up fast.
Wait. So before she gets up, are you guys disappointed that you heard voices instead of seeing Force ghosts? Because
Nope.
the rumor
Nope.
was
no.
the rumor
No.
was that they
Voices
shot
only.
Force ghosts.
I think I remember that rumor.
Now I
actually.
don't know if it was for this scene or for the last scene, but there was supposed to be footage of Hayden Christensen and the whole crew.
Yeah.
Okay, what would it have been too much like an anime to see a semicircle of
I think
Force
so.
ghosts?
Because in Harry Potter, when they did that,
Yeah.
I was like, ugh. Like,
Yeah.
like I
In
didn't,
Dragon Ball Z, when they did that, and Goku's making the spirit bomb, and everyone sends them his energy.
Yeah.
While he's
I
creating
love
it.
the voices. Because sound design's everything, and Star Wars has always been about sound and music, and just hearing those voices. Oh, that just man, that was.
I'd have to
'cause
see
she's
it.
in that
I
throne
still
of
I would have
evil.
gotten chills.
Mhm.
I mean, I would have geeked out a little bit, but I don't know that would have made it a stronger film.
No,
Yeah,
I don't think
She's
so.
isolated. She's on this Sith
Yes.
planet that Jedi. I'm assuming Jedi can't penetrate that planet because for whatever reason. So
That makes
they
sense.
can't be
Lando
there
can
for her, and
penetrate
she's
it, baby.
isolated. But they're still willing
You
to
know what
grant
Lando
her,
can do.
like, I guess, encourage her a little bit.
Yeah, I also, what I think what Josh was saying, like the fact she needs to remain isolated, even if she's got all of them there, because it still has to be a leap of faith for her to get
Yeah.
it. If they're all standing around her, it's like, ha ha, joke's on you, Palpy.
We're the army. We're the army of ghosts.
Yeah.
Start,
Well,
start
and
all
there's-
casting lightning on Palpatine right now.
Well, you're also
Yeah.
you're
'Cause
in the
they
middle.
could do
You're in the
that.
middle of like hundreds of thousands of
Yoda, pretend he's a tree.
Yeah. I loved it.
I do.
Man, just hearing all those voices, like my past started creeping up with me. Like that was fan service. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was blown away.
No.
I was like,
No,
in heaven.
it's the end of a story.
Yeah,
This
you're
is
right.
supposed to make you feel the
Oh.
things that the
Right.
story
Yeah,
made you
that's
feel.
That's
Right.
not
Yeah.
fan service.
Right.
It was.
It's not fan service. It's called narrative form.
Yes. Seriously. I mean, again,
It was- I
go
loved
back
it.
to Endgame. I mean, Endgame was a big wrap of 20 some odd movies or something.
And then they showed you that.
had to have all that stuff. And it's the same thing here. If they're going to say that this is the wrap to 9 movies,
Well, you know what?
you had to have that stuff.
Endgame was the end of a series that was continuous. Star Wars is 3 different series that span generations. And, George Lucas, the prequels, I made this film for 9-year-olds. No, you didn't.
No.
You didn't. If you did, you misjudged because that's not who the majority of people who saw your original trilogy. So George Lucas broke it with the prequels, like trying to do that whole comment. Well, this is a kid's film. Leave me be.
It's a kids' film, taxation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, wait, what?
Blockades.
Like
Blockades and
exclamation point.
taxation. Weird.
And so, and that whole argument breaks it down. So the fact that Star Wars is taking place over such a long amount of time, there's all the people. There's Freddie Prinze Jr. after it was over. This is for kids. It's not for you. Go F off and stuff
Actually,
like that.
I mean,
People
I know-
don't understand anymore that
I know Luke.
it's still a story.
Yeah.
It's just like Endgame, which had a movie coming out, had a couple movies every year.
Actually, the whole
look to your
idea-
left, and then all of a sudden,
just kind of a
Yeah.
clarity on that. The whole idea of it being a kids movie is always misrepresented. I know Lucas sometimes kind of drives that point home.
Oh, I
'cause
look
he-
at
he
Lucas.
doesn't-
He just lies. He creates his own reality when
Right.
he talks.
George
but
Lucas is crazy.
The
He is.
the
He's an old
truth.
guy who has too much money and nobody
no.
can tell him the
The
truth.
truth-
he's Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
I wanna
He's
hear
like,
the
he
truth,
doesn't even know
guys.
what's going on.
I want to hear the
He's
truth.
like,
The truth about the comment that it's a kids film is not so much that it's for 12-year-olds, it's that it's a coming of age series.
Yeah.
It's about
It's
experiencing
accessible.
trials and tribulations, yes.
Because, like you were saying, earlier, it's about family dynamics. It's about that
No.
kind of stuff, and
No.
it's accessible for all ages.
No,
I disagree.
That is a misquote.
1,000%.
No, that's what he has said.
No,
No,
what George
he's
Lucas-
saying, I'm going to make toys so your little kids will buy the shit.
No.
And in fact, Jabba the Hutt, I waited
No,
30
if-
years
if
to
that's
put.
what he wanted. He wouldn't.
Yeah,
have screwed up.
I'm going
He
to
wouldn't
wait
have screwed
30
up with the
years.
toy
But you know what? My original vision, I wanted to put a singing gerbil in Return of the Jedi in Jabba the Hutt's palace. I waited 30 years for this. You guys don't understand.
almost
It's for
spit tea
kids.
back into my
It's for
That's awesome.
kids.
No, it's a
Lies.
misquote. Actually, I know the actual quote.
Gerbil.
What George said about the prequel
I don't
trilogy.
believe that you actually know this.
I know it. It's not that
I
it's
know
a kids
what Pe-
movie.
I
It's
know
that
Petrie, and you're going
I
to come
need a
up.
movie to put my kids in.
Oh, yeah, right
no
there.
kidding.
And my producers, and they get a high
See,
five and miss.
I knew Petrie was going to
It's-
Petrie it.
Yeah.
Why? What? That was fun. That was a
I
good
can hear him
sound.
saying that.
Shut up.
He
Howard.
does his touchdown dance at the 50-yard line sometimes, but it's still entertaining.
Sorry, I don't buy it.
You're down by 50.
All right, so she's slowly getting up. It's not like she's completely, boom, I've got all this energy.
No,
now I'm going to
she
go
still
attack.
struggles.
So she's still struggling, but she's like, no, we're doing this. You and I, we're going to go.
Yep. She turns around and she
Toe-to-toe.
faces him.
Yeah.
Mono e Rayo.
And then she basically pulls a Yoda because he throws the lightning and she's just like, nah. No, she doesn't catch it in her bare hand.
No, that's a Mace
No.
Windu move.
No,
right there.
it's a Yoda Windu. Actually, she pulled the Yodu maneuver.
The Yodu maneuver, yeah.
Where she caught the lightning, but
It's
still
a one in a million.
but still pushed it back. She
Yeah.
kept shoving the lightning back at Palpatine. So yeah.
She started off with one lightsaber, and then she goes and gets the other lightsaber.
because she's
and-
carrying Leia's lightsaber. That's why she was able to force hand
and
off.
Leia's lightsaber.
Yeah, we didn't talk
Which
about
is-
that at
that-
all.
No.
That's cool.
It's cool. I don't think there's really much to say.
No,
about
there
it. It's
isn't.
like, yeah,
No,
it's
it's
cool.
just
That's a
cool.
thing that exists.
And it makes sense.
I love it.
Should have been pink.
no, because
Breast cancer
Garrick.
kills.
No,
Yeah,
like in the,
because Mace
the
Windu
EU,
is the only
when
one.
she's
wasn't
like
it?
holding on to Chewie's back, swinging under the roster tree.
No, in the EU it was yellow.
Who?
Oh,
Leia's?
was it pink?
Leia's.
I thought it was-
No, it was
I thought it
not
was-
pink.
Oh, it was purple.
No, Mara Jade's was purple, right?
No, hers
Mara
is
Jade's was purple.
Purple.
So we got to get into that because
That's right.
I have a question.
You're right.
And
Leia's
so,
was
I'm
yellow.
blown away
It was
now.
at least on the
Oh.
cover of one of the books. It
Yeah.
was yellow.
It was.
I'm not sure if when they were swinging below the rosters that it was.
It was rainbow.
Yeah.
It was a
This
rainbow.
is a rainbow.
I
It was black lightsaber.
The dark saber? Oh.
No, black light.
dude.
Black
The black
lightsaber.
lightsaber.
Yeah, she was doing forensics investigations
Yeah.
on the
All right.
lightsaber
So
under the bed
has
covers.
she defeated Palpatine yet?
No,
No.
she's still going.
Then this is, as part of the rumors that we heard that this was going to take place. It didn't really tell us how.
And we were like, this
Oh,
makes a lot
this
of
is-
sense. Dude can take a fleet out of the sky, but girl can just stand up and whip his butt.
Yeah.
No.
but no, she couldn't.
She couldn't. She had to have everybody strengthen her,
Yep.
and then she also had to use his own power
Against him. Yeah.
Which our feeble little monkey brains didn't actually play that scenario out
No,
enough
for whatever
it to be
reason,
okay.
yeah.
But when we saw it,
Yeah.
it was okay.
yeah.
It wasn't huge. It wasn't like new. It wasn't novel. It's, like I said, she's doing what Yoda did, but also what Mace Windu did, catching a lightsaber with a saber, but then the Yoda thing, throwing it back. It's nothing new, but it didn't need to be because we've already established that this is a thing. And I mean, Palpatine got his face melted one time doing this, and he got tossed around the Senate chamber the other time doing this. We know he's got an Achilles heel.
Why didn't he just not stop doing lightning? Like, oh wait,
He's a one trick pony.
He's got to stop and reload, man. Stop and reload.
But yeah,
He's
no,
coming out. I
she
can't
was
stop
obviously she had enough. She was powerful enough to be able to force it back on him. I mean,
And
Well,
then-
She was a Palpatine.
she was a Palpatine.
Ultimately,
And she has the people with her.
Yeah.
ultimately disintegrates the hell out of Palpatine
Oh,
and everything in the room. And
Raiders
rocks,
of the
rocks
Raiders of the
fall
Lost Ark.
down on the Force ghost that you guys or the Sith ghost that you guys are talking about. Apparently, you got to kill him with rocks, according to your theories, guys.
No, they just whoosh away because rocks.
Oh no, rocks! I can't go say it.
Rocks versus Ghost.
Damn it, rocks again. But a quote from my daughter after the film, "Daddy, I love watching people get disintegrated."
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, all right.
It's pretty cool.
Daddy's going to phone a therapist.
You're like, I stare at you when I sleep.
Good night, honey.
gonna grow-
Click, click,
Uh,
chain scrape.
She's gonna grow up to be Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, so at this point, it took everything in her, right? She kills
She-
Palpatine,
yep.
took everything in her. She essentially expires. She's dead.
She did the thing where she used
She
everything
looped-
she had.
She
Yep.
looked and Leia.
Ray
pop
shot
the
her
fuse.
wad.
But then
Blew
we
the
see this
fuse.
hand
Yep.
up from the pit.
And out climbs Indiana Jones, who did not go
Yeah.
crashing down in that tank over. Oh, wait, no, that's.
So Ben
Different
survives, comes back out. You're right. He's wounded.
Yeah, he's got like a wicked
we
bad
can-
cramp.
We can,
Right.
Yeah.
we can
Cramps.
definitely.
Charlie horse.
Yeah.
Ow, ow, ow.
Oh, crap, raised it. Charlie horse.
Definitely appropriate to call him Ben at this point.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so one thing we didn't mention was during Rey and Ben's, well, Kylo at the time, with their battle, she runs him through.
Stabs him.
And then heals him, Baby Yoda.
Sure.
Well,
And then heals
he
him
gets
Baby Yoda style.
he gets distracted by
Leia.
and he gets ran.
And well,
We
and
didn't talk
actually,
about all
that's
that. We
that's
didn't.
and that's the
Did we?
turn. That's the turn for him, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
We're literally going back to something we covered in detail earlier.
right?
I
Okay,
know
don't-
we've been going on long enough that no
Yeah,
one
so-
seems to know that.
Yeah, so she heals him, and then
It's a long
this
one.
scene-
This one.
In this scene, he goes and now here's the thing: she did.
She did.
No,
dead.
she's healing
dead.
people's flesh, right?
No, she's almost dead.
No, okay.
Mostly
But
dead.
earlier,
I think she's dead.
twice in the film, we've seen her heal flesh.
Thank you,
She
Gary.
healed a
Blaze.
She healed a big old snake, and she healed Kylo. All right. He's not necessary. And I think this is where the movie does a really clever thing where it misleads you. You think that he's sitting her up and doing the same thing to her, that he's healing her.
Right.
Maybe she's doing it
Gotcha.
to him.
Because he's not healing her.
He's essentially giving
He's
her
giving
his life
her
force.
his life force. Because he
Right.
doesn't necessarily have, we've never seen Kylo heal anybody.
Right.
He's basically giving her his life force.
We talked about
she
this.
didn't realize that. She
Yeah.
opens up and goes, "Oh, you healed me. We're gonna get married." And I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Little
and then we had
force
The Last
baby.
Jedi.
They did
We're gonna
kiss.
have babies. The Last
did
Jedi
kiss.
is a video from the How It Should Have Ended people that it's hilarious. You need to watch.
We're
No.
gonna have a brood of Sky Palpatine.
But she's a kiss. You get the Raylo, the shippers get their kiss, which I wasn't sure about.
You know what?
Again,
I wasn't either, but
aunt
it
and nephew.
felt. I wasn't sure who was going to initiate, but when she did it, I was just like,
I was
okay,
all right.
this feels right.
I was all right, but here's the thing
Yeah.
in my head. You like murdered everybody everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean, are you? Unless you're gonna go put a Thanos garden somewhere, you can't just reacclimate. This ain't the books where you can go on trial and go, you know what? He's a different guy now. That's not gonna work. You got nothing going on, Ben.
True.
And right then, Ben looks at me through the screen and goes, "Dude, I know, right?" And slump, because he gave her his life force and he falls down dead.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, one of them, they only got one life force to toss between them. My daughter's like, I just thought they were just going to keep going back and forth the whole time. But, like, they've only got the one, and she can't just heal him because he did.
No, you get half and I get half.
The important part, though,
Half life force.
the important part about when this happens.
Half-Life. That's where Half-Life became.
When
That's right.
when Ben falls down and he's
Ben-
clearly given it all,
Ben fall down,
and
go
he
boom.
expires. The important part is the next shot.
This is
was
to me the most impactful.
But yeah, it's
When she
like
throws her head back and
between the
yells
Han
no.
thing and this,
Yeah.
especially
No.
like what I was saying earlier, when you tie the two together.
They're related.
The next shot is the blanket over Leia's dead body. Right after
Oh, yeah.
right after Ben fades away. Ben fades.
Fades
Ben
away.
became one with the Force because of his sacrifice, most likely.
yes.
That felt so good.
Yeah, but then like right when you're like, oh wow, really? I don't know. I mean, I'm glad, but I'm not. And then it cuts to the next shot, which is the blanket over Leia's
Leia.
body falls, and she becomes one of the Force. And you realize this whole damn time, Leia has been using
Holding
the
on.
last of her. They're all doing it. They're all doing it. Everybody's doing like the greatest sacrifice they can do. Her dead body's been laying there because the last piece of her was still keeping Ben in the light.
Yep.
And so right when
Sick.
he becomes one with the Force, she is able to become one with the Force. She couldn't become one with the Force until he did.
Yep.
Go cry in your
that's-
damn pillowcases.
That's a big
tonight.
gamble too.
It was
Yeah.
no, and I thought that too when they showed that. I was like,
But that was her. She knew what she had to do, and she knew it was the last.
In fact,
She had to keep it-
that was a line in the movie.
Yeah, was it
knows
Maz
what she has
that
to do.
said,
Yeah,
somebody
Maz.
said that like
Yeah, Maz Kanata.
it was
it was
man.
deep.
The feels were all up in my giblies.
I was a little teary eyed. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm.
My entire life is based around this entire story. I'm here because of this shit. Like literally.
And for a while, you thought your life was gonna be
I was
not
like,
great.
So then I went home and cried and ate ramen noodles.
Yeah.
It
Just like
was
old
like-
times, make feel
Just
better.
like I'll you know.
Honey, I need some
Corey-
SpaghettiOs at 10 p.m.
Corey, I'll admit that I hadn't processed that. I recognized when I saw her fade at that point. Okay,
Mhm.
that was weird. I didn't. Okay, what's going on there? Okay, now like something's finished, but I hadn't processed.
Yeah, the
Her
send off for
participation.
Carrie Fisher is that
Is beautiful.
Leia was a linchpin throughout this entire ordeal.
Not
That's
only
amazing.
did she reanimate the memory of her late husband,
Mm-hmm.
but she has still been at
For
work.
her son,
the whole
who
time.
she wants to connect with, who she wants nothing more to connect
She has
with.
still been
She-
carrying
Yeah.
she has still been the light butterflies floating around in his mind.
Yeah, because she was like, get our son back. Didn't she say that
His
to Han
dark
Solo?
side meditation area, like Vader's.
Right. I mean, that's what I was referencing there, Derek. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I got
But
it.
she
I
was,
got you.
yeah.
I got you.
But she was like, no, she was like, get our son
Mike
back.
gets it.
In
Yeah.
Force Awakens. And they
here's the
both
thing.
have been working on it.
You know,
the entire time.
I've always said, you know, that the
She
coolest,
she redeems her husband's death.
the coolest thing about
Yeah.
Leia is that she's pulling strings.
Yeah.
You know, she's the ultimate diplomat. I've always said this. And even in this, even though she's also having to fill the part, literally, she's having to be the Jedi Master.
Yeah.
She's having to be the general. She's still having to be the mom.
Yep.
But
mother,
what is she doing? What is she ultimately doing? She's making sure all the strings are being pulled the right way for everything to happen.
Yeah.
Which I would have never thought that if you go back 15 years and said, hey, there's gonna be another trilogy, and ultimately it all comes down to Leia, I would have been like, oh, weird.
Yeah. That's maybe how it felt.
Because it's not what you're seeing in front of you isn't Leia. What you're watching is Kylo and Ben, or Kylo Ben and Rey and Palpatine. That's what you're watching. But the whole damn time, Leia is holding it all together. You know, she's got her fingers on all the leaky pipes until she can finally rest.
And you remember that when Rey's run been through on the after that scene, she even recognizes Leia's presence.
Yeah.
That's deep shit.
Well, and JJ had to because Luke had become,
But he could have not.
Luke had become a shit, you know.
Yeah, but he could have not. I agree. He had to.
But it's the Skywalker.
But it would have been easy to just screw it up. It really would have been, especially given the fact that, I don't know, she did in real life. So the fact that they committed to doing what they did to pull that off is
keep like that legacy
proving
going.
once again that Leia was always the more powerful.
So what's the rise of
In a way.
Skywalker then, Corey?
Well, let's get to that. Let's get to the end.
Okay.
Yeah, we
So-
probably should
This is
soon.
the end.
We're
not as late as you think.
they have all this celebration.
No.
Yeah, we have Lando and what's her face. Yeah, they're gonna do a spinoff.
The end celebration
And-
is fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It was nice. It was.
We got to see Wicket and
Wicket.
Yeah,
and
I
Mrs.
didn't
Wicket.
get to hear Yebna, but that's okay.
You got to see
No,
Corey.
no.
I got thrown because
And Jawas and Wutini.
Yeah,
There we go.
there was a little quiet.
Yeah, that had my favorite scene with Poe and Zori Bliss.
yeah.
oh
The greatest scene.
When he was trying to get laid.
You and me?
He's literally, he's like
Not
doing-
a word spoken.
He's
which
literally
is
like looking at her doing the
fantastic.
index finger through the hole, and the other finger is the white power
Yes.
symbol or the OK symbol,
Yeah.
if you prefer. But he's literally going,
it's-
want to go do sex?
No, first she
She's
goes,
like,
"What's
yeah?
up?" And she's like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Eh?"
I
Eh?
love
She's
You
like,
wanna-
"No."
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't mean. Okay, I'm done. I'm going to go.
The audience was laughing. That was
Yeah.
terrible.
That
Actually,
was
you know what's
great.
funny
Because
about
again, we're committing to that
Right. And we,
jag off Poe.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
winning kind of a jag.
but we can't cover everything, but she freaking gave him the thing that she had been working for her entire
yeah.
last number of
Yeah.
however many years to try and get off this planet.
There's obviously a big story there that hasn't been
Exactly.
explored, and it's kind of neat.
The
Yeah,
funny,
how'd she get off the planet before it exploded?
the funny
That's what I
thing
want.
about that scene is
in a ship.
essentially
pilot.
that's what his parents did on Endor.
Mm-hmm.
Is okay. So Poe Dameron, for you, for those who
that's
don't
right.
know,
For
Yeah, he
those
was
of us who don't
conceived.
remember.
or want to.
I fell asleep during this part.
no. And
Can you-
This is in the comics.
Toby, would you sit on Mike's knee right now?
Mike, so tell me how The Last Jedi was the most amazing movie.
How did
This
Poe
is in a
Dameron
Shattered
happen?
Empire comic.
How did Poe Dameron happen, Mike?
his parents fought
Proceed.
at Endor, and they hooked up at Endor during
Oh.
the celebration.
Yep.
So I thought that was interesting. Was
They
that
had
Was that your
their
fan
own
fiction?
they
Did
had
you write
their
that?
own going on? No,
Yeah, Poe's
that's
an
in the
Endor baby.
comics.
Poe's an Endor baby.
I know, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
Yep.
But that's
and
great.
then they moved to Yavin 4
he was
to live
yeah,
next
raised
to
on
the
a
force
Yavin.
tree.
Right.
Really?
Raised on a force tree?
Anyway.
There's a force tree. Yeah.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
Yavin 4?
Remember his mom?
Poe's mommy goes with
Oh,
Luke to
oh,
save
you-
a force tree.
I'm sorry if I ever gave you guys the impression that I gave a crap. I apologize. But now I am expressing interest, and I can see how that would be confusing.
I love
It's one of the only times in the new canon where you see Luke go full
full Jedi,
Master.
man. Yeah, it was badass.
Yeah, that would have probably been great seeing a movie.
You know what we did see in a movie?
Last Jedi, it was amazing.
We saw
Dude,
where it all
he
began.
sucked the teeth of a walrus.
I know he did.
That takes balls.
Oh, wow.
That takes balls.
That's a Thela siren, you.
Dude, it was
That's
blue
true.
milk. That's where I got the blue milk.
Green
All
milk.
right,
Green
so-
milk. That's where the green milk.
We're back at Tatooine.
Yep. The old Lars.
I still thought I might see Smoking Bones in front.
Yeah.
We didn't see that.
because
Smoking
Ray's
Bones. That's the best barbecue place in Fort Wayne.
like,
Smoking Bones.
Smoking Bones. Ray's like,
Smoky Bones. Oh no,
Ray's
no
like,
way.
It's not.
Your town sucks.
No, it went out of business.
Oh.
Smoky Bones, Smoking Bones. Come on.
Smoking
Bones.
Smoke
It's
and
also,
bone.
by the way,
The image is going to be the image is going to be that it's the scene
it's
from
it's also a swingers club. Smoking Bones.
That has a handcrafted wooden sign over the door. Owen and Baru's
All right, guys.
Smoking Bones.
we're coming up on 3 hours here, so
So anyway, yeah, like anybody didn't know, the end of the damn Skywalker saga was going to take us a while to process.
I know.
But so Ray goes, "Hey, I need someplace to go live out my life now. I like deserts, but Jakku's got some negative stuff. So I'm going to go to this angry old curmudgeon dude's uncle's house and squat there."
Somehow she found out about it. Could have found out about it from Lando. Who knows?
Maybe the
But
history. Maybe that she was attached to the history of where he came.
we don't know how much time has passed either between the end of.
Yeah.
Enough time to
celebration.
make a lightsaber.
But yes, we see after she sleds down the sand.
that was
Oh, I love that.
That was a
I
nice
love that.
callback. That was a good
It's
callback.
kind of a callback to her.
when she had a more innocent
Yes.
look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being
Because
innocent.
she was
Oh.
able to not deal with all this for hot.
Yeah.
That was good storytelling.
Yeah, I love that.
And she buries Luke and Leia's
Yes,
lightsabers.
she buried
Does
them,
not take them apart like we heard.
and they were not destroyed.
We heard they were going to be destroyed and she was going to make them into a single lightsaber. And we're like, well, that's really
I
cliche.
like that she left them there
Nope.
for future generations,
Yep.
basically.
more or less.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Like that someone's gonna dig him up.
And then the final scene with the silhouette of her, the double suns, and
Well,
just
before that,
just off in the corner.
Before
you-
that,
you
her
can-
lightsaber.
we got to get to
Her
that.
lightsaber.
Her
Where are you
lightsaber.
going?
Her lightsaber
Yellow.
is not blue or green. It's yellow
Or
orange,
pink.
which is the best color of lightsabers. It's
So,
what I always
okay.
pick in every video.
So
The
tell me why
consular-
yellow. So tell me
It's the
why the
consular
consular
yellow.
yellow is like big. Because
Okay.
I kind of know, but I want you guys to tell me.
All right.
Typically.
So in old canon, there are three Jedi have three different
in the old
kind of
canon, old
disciplines,
times.
right?
Counselor, Sentinel, and Guardian, right?
Not this era of old canon, but the old canon back in the day.
Right. That
So
hasn't
Legends.
necessarily been recanonized, but you have three disciplines in the Jedi Order. You have consulars, you have guardians, and you have sentinels. The sentinels have the blue, right? Guardians have the green.
What are the different classes here? Like, how-
why?
We'll get to it.
I'm curious.
And
We'll get
intelligence.
We'll get there.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Quit jumping ahead.
Sentinels blue, guardians green, consulars yellow. Consulars are more of the negotiators, like, Obi-Wan, the
diplomats.
negotiator.
Yeah.
So those are the negotiators.
Yeah, but Obi-Wan was crazy. He didn't give a shit. He was like, I'm going to attack this robot. I'm going to attack Grievous. He didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'll fuck all you up.
Obi-Wan had a whole lot of Sentinel up in him.
Yeah, he didn't have,
Yeah.
he was like, oh, I'm here. I am.
But
General
he-
Grievous.
Obi was like,
I'm gonna-
oops, force my
But
hand.
he was
Yeah.
also playing the long game with Skywalker there
Mm,
with Luke.
Nah, Obi-Wan was a lot more reserved. He was not like
What? No.
like Qui-Gon. Are you kidding me?
Qui-Gon was a drunk. He didn't know what he
was
was
a
doing.
drunk.
No, that's called the living force. my
Yeah.
friend.
Into a lady's
Profiling
chamber.
and
Qui-Gon
I don't
was
like
a
it.
tomboy.
Qui-Gon is the living force in whatever the hell it's telling me to do right this moment.
Yeah,
So-
Qui-Gon was
I
a
don't
hippie.
care about
It's a
light and
question,
dark.
Josh,
Blue
we're
and
not
green
getting there.
lightsaber.
Yeah, but Toby's over here
Oh.
spouting shit.
Qui-Gon was
So the Sentinels
acid trip.
are the attackers, the Guardians are the defenders,
Yeah.
and then the consulars are the negotiators.
the yellow is
In short,
I tried, Howie. I tried to end it.
They're the
Sorry.
hardest
Oh, no,
class
I
to play
wanted
in
to get
Knights of the Old
here.
Republic.
And then we can.
Okay, so why is it cool? Why is it cool that
Is
she's a
it's
counselor?
cooler color? I just like the color.
I do too.
consular's
I was
harder
like-
because you're more negotiating, right?
in the legends of the New Republic era, Jedi could have any color lightsaber.
It's
other than
cooler
red. Red was
because-
frowned upon.
Yes, well, it's
But-
cooler because not that many people have it.
Any other
The end.
color. The only reason Sam Jackson had it is because it was like in his contract.
Yeah, he
Right.
asked for
He
purple.
asked-
That's it.
He negotiated for
Right.
purple because he wanted to be able to spot himself in the battle. Okay. I never liked how when the prequels came out, blue and green was the only choices you got. I'm like, well, why? Just because Luke had a blue one and then a green one? Why? Like, there was never a purpose for that. So I was disappointed to see all the different colors lightsabers go away. So I love the fact that Rey said, I'm going to make yellow orange one.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I did love it.
Yeah, it was cool.
I'm a Rey fan. So
I was hoping it was going to be attached to a staff.
I was kind
yes.
of, that would have been,
That was her. No,
That was.
the staff. She used the hilt of her staff.
Oh, that was the hilt of her staff,
Yes.
wasn't it?
Right.
I saw that
We
somewhere.
don't know that it's not double bladed.
Yeah, we don't know that staff wasn't a lightsaber before.
She always had a double
She's like,
bladed.
"Oh,
yeah.
look at this."
Yeah, I'm going to stick broomsticks in the
I
end.
never noticed
It would
this
have been
button
cool
right
if it
here.
was red on the other side.
There's feathers in here and all kinds of, it's like it's a
Crystals.
crystal. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
now
like
we
feathers.
get to the
I like
end.
feathers. I want this to be
Feathers.
new canon.
Feathers.
I need a new lightsaber feather. I have to bleed my feather.
I need
It's my
it.
focusing feather.
You need feathers.
Uh,
Makes it quick.
So
An arrow.
then,
So then, guys, we get to the end. Credits,
God.
right? We're just right to credits, right?
this
No.
is
No,
Oh,
the
no,
Tatooine,
there's
the two
something else?
sons.
Oh, there's sons.
No,
There's an old lady.
there's
Like a washed up bartender.
yeah. Now this lady is so drunk that she has wandered so far off the reservation. She's
Yeah.
She's in the middle of the desert.
She's in the middle of the desert.
She's like, my
next to
bones, Annie, my bones. Right.
Yeah.
She
Like,
said something
you know,
like that.
hey, you got any weed?
You got hey.
No, I don't have weed.
I'll
What's
suck your
name?
bleep bleep bleep.
Well, maybe
Yeah,
maybe
no.
the moisture farm is still somewhat operational.
I don't buy it. I just like this lady's just out here wandering. She's senile. Her, there's like there's an amber or silver alert out for her back in
probably.
the Moss
Doesn't she
Eisley.
literally say like, "Oh, we don't see many people out here"?
Well,
Yeah.
no, you wouldn't.
including me, fade to sand.
Maybe that's Cara Dune. That's what she grows up to be.
Either way, who are you? Who is you?
This was better than the ring scene on the little kid.
Oh well, what isn't? Come on.
No.
Yeah,
God.
don't. Oh.
I mean,
The La-
no,
The
no
Last
offense, we
Jedi,
haven't
the
even
most
mentioned-
amazing
we haven't
movie
even
on
mentioned
Earth.
Rose tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She,
Hey,
okay,
she
wait,
was
let's
neutrally palatable.
Why are you doing
I know,
this,
I know,
Corey?
I know.
Let's talk about Rose Tico.
Either way.
We were at the end.
Oh my God! You just broke the mixer.
I know.
Okay.
Sorry.
There's a reason for it.
Let's talk about Rose Tico and how amazing she is
So,
for these Star Wars.
what's your name,
Okay.
kid?
No, stop. She
What's
researched Star
your
Destroyers. The end. Move on.
And so
Let's go.
Ray
Mike,
says,
tell us how Rose
"My
is
name's
amazing.
Ray." And then she says, "Yeah, but what's your family name? Huh? We all got family names round here. My name's Agatha Bershwis. What about you, kid? You like candy?" And so Ray looks, and then she sees a Force Ghost
Got any weed?
of Luke,
Which doesn't
and
include
Leia.
Anakin.
does not include Anakin or any of the other ones that we
Or
heard.
the young Anakin or
But
baby Anakin.
but it was representing Skywalkers and it didn't include Anakin. But anyway.
no,
But she didn't
I'm
know
fine with
him.
that.
She didn't know him.
Didn't know him.
She saw Ray and Luke.
That's
Which is
fine.
how it
because she
should
had a
be.
personal
I would have
connection with
jizzed my pants if Hayden Christensen.
Oh no.
No.
She
I
didn't
know.
know Hayden Christensen.
I understand. I'm a bad movie.
Like I said,
maker.
I'd have been okay. I'm okay with Anakin talking to her, and if they'd done the Force Ghost in the scene with the
That's
Palpatine,
because
I'd been
they're
okay with him
all
being there.
Jedis, but not.
But in this scene, it does. Now that I've had time to process,
their
it makes
heart.
more sense. It's just Ray and Luke, I'm sorry, just Luke and Leia, because those are the only
Yeah.
Jedi
Those are her-
she knows.
Her masters.
I
That was
agree.
that like
Yes,
that Lego
yes, that makes
cartoon that
sense.
was like when all the ghosts were showing up and it was young Anakin. George Lucas waited 30 years, be like, wait a second, I gotta put young Anakin there, even though Luke has never seen young Anakin.
Yeah,
And then
Yeah,
the
seriously,
Lego
Luke is
cartoon
serious.
was like, who are you?
I
I don't even know you, dude.
I want to see another special edition.
I'm like, that's
if
brilliant.
I have to swallow McClunky, I want another special edition where Luke's looking over and he sees Obi-Wan, smiles, sees Yoda, smiles, and sees young Anakin, and just
Yeah.
gets like this, look, and then turns
What the
around and
hell
walks
is that?
back.
That
to
was
the
a
group.
Lego cartoon. It was like the freelancers. Or
Oh,
whatever.
really? Did they do that?
Dude, it was amazing. It's like the dumbest shit on earth, but I love it more because they literally said the Lego guy was like, "Who are you?" And he was like, "I'm young Anakin," and it was like, "I don't know who you are. I've never seen you before."
That's just how all the Legos,
Yeah,
the
the
Lego
Legos.
video games are always making
Dude.
fun of everything.
Yeah.
It was the most brilliant.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying. It was brilliant.
Then again,
and then he also shot Jar Jar out and blew him up.
He'd never seen old Anakin without like a completely destroyed face either, with a head of hair.
I don't.
But he was just like questioning, like, I don't know who you are. And he's like, I'm young.
Either way, we see that.
Anyways, sorry.
BB-8 and her standing in the
George
silhouettes
Lucas,
of the twin sons.
No,
No, wait.
What?
Forgot the ever so slight silhouette of Boba Fett's helmet. Right at the end.
And he saw a little ting.
Yep. And they buy the chlorine.
To be
count and all
continued.
that stuff that came out.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that was sick.
all right.
though.
There's
Now
still
that
a
we've
lot to-
discussed,
We're at the end.
as much movie as we can possibly discuss tonight, let's go around the table and find out whether you were satisfied with Rose Tico's role in the movie. Okay, let's go.
Yep.
Oh, me? Okay. Rose Tico was amazing.
It was-
Like, The Last Jedi was the
Hey,
most
guess
amazing
what?
movie ever.
Guess what, everybody? Rose Tico's character made sense. It wasn't a big part, but it made sense. Her
No, it was
dialogue
fine.
made
No,
sense.
it didn't. It
was
could have been
fine.
anybody.
Yeah.
No. it could've
And
been-
there's no reason to hate on her at
It
all.
was
for it.
appropriate.
And there was
Completely
no
appropriate.
indication of a love story.
Thank-
That was a
I
little
felt like there was definitely
There was
a
a
moment.
moment.
There was a moment of closeness between her and Finn where I wasn't convinced he wasn't going to give her a peck on the cheek. He grabbed her shoulder.
But did
And
you
they got
still?
real close.
did
He
you
was in
still
love with
feel-
Rey. He was in love
Did you
with
still
Rey.
feel weird about his obsession with Rey, or did you feel like that was a
No, he
friendship
was in love with
thing?
Rey. He was in love with Rey.
I'm not sure in this movie that I felt like he was still in love with her. I felt like now
No,
it felt
'cause he
more
He was
like-
in love with her.
He the
completely.
sand
what he was
thing.
trying to say, but he
yeah, he
never
was
got a
like, I got
chance.
one thing to say
Right.
to you when they were going to die, and they didn't die. And he was
Oh,
like,
that's right. Because we were talking about
he was
how
going to
young-
say, I love
I
her.
have a feeling that there was a version at the end of this movie where he expressed that, but they decided to leave it out.
That
No,
makes
we
more
That's
sense.
probably-
my guess.
It was
makes
probably in there, but it was like 2 frames. And we were like, oh, shit.
Fuck, we're back to
'Cause
the
we jumped to the-
beginning.
And then Rose like punches Rey in the face.
And then he said, but we're fighting for love.
Yeah.
We're gonna get married.
So anyways, okay, I will do this.
I think they did did away with Ray doing that because of the kiss at the end.
Mhm.
I mean, that's exactly
Yeah,
that's what it was.
you shouldn't complicate it. After.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
No, okay.
All
I
right.
don't really want to talk about.
All right, let's do this real quick.
What are we gonna do?
Are we doing our views?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to me first or him?
You go first.
We're going-
'cause you
you
are ready
first,
to
for
go.
sure.
And
I'm ready to go. We're going around the table, right?
I'll go after that. We're gonna go counterclockwise.
Oh,
'Cause
shit.
I don't want to be last.
Okay. No, you
Because
can
I'll
be
go
last.
on way too long.
Oh shit. Okay. I'm gonna make it quick. I went in with no spoilers. I absolutely love the movie. Go see it. I'm not kidding you. I was blown away. I loved it. 100%. Fan service, yes. Cringy moments, yes. I there were moments like, ugh. But then again, I was like, well, that was 3 seconds later, and I'm in the next scene. I'm just saying, I freaking loved it. Don't listen to the YouTube reviews. Don't listen to the critics. Just go see it.
Yeah.
Have fun. Do
Yeah.
whatever.
All right, me
Anyways,
next.
sorry, I'm passing out.
Me next.
Go.
Me next. I really enjoyed this film. If it wasn't already obvious, I really enjoyed this film. I went into it knowing quite a few of the leaks, but not knowing how legitimate some of them were. I knew some of them had been because of like the last footage was coming out resembled the
Or
leaks.
the execution, reading a leak and seeing it are two different things.
Yeah, and some of the stuff in the leaks I heard that I didn't like, I ended up liking because it was done better than whatever these asshats are that explain it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I feel a sense of, and it's going to get really cliche, but I feel a sense of warmth that I did not expect to feel after seeing this film. I did not feel this warmth after The Force Awakens. I enjoyed The Force Awakens. I was excited about The Force Awakens, but I didn't feel like, I'm home, you know? And The Last Jedi, I felt a sense of
Dread,
sour stomach
Yeah.
after it. Like I didn't even want to go back. Like I went back, saw it again because I was trying to prove to myself that it wasn't that bad. And afterwards I was like, well, it wasn't, but it's still bad. This movie, I walked out and I can't wait to watch it again because it made it, they somehow put the toothpaste back in the tube and I don't know how. It's Star Wars again. And I say, if you love Star Wars, you should have no reservations about seeing this. I know there's a lot of people who loved Star Wars who are hell-bent on not loving it now. They ain't going to fix it. This isn't going to fix you. And it's not going to fix how you've been hurt or where you've been touched. I'm mocking, but I identify. You know what I mean? But to everyone else, I think this movie is solid. Damn solid. Josh?
Okay, disclaimer. Literally in the last 15 minutes, I'm a little bit drunk. But if you,
Oh,
To the
no.
surprise
God.
of no one.
That's what I tell the police officer.
if you could look at my eyes right now, I'm actually a little bit teary-eyed. I was neutral to negative on this movie coming in tonight's discussion. So I don't know what that says about the movie as much as
Your inebriation.
Star Wars to me is more than anything a connection to my friends. And the discussion about this movie tonight, I went into the viewing experience of this movie last night as very skeptical. And I came out of it thinking like, oh, I'm going to go do this podcast with the guys and we're going to be critiquing this movie. And we just, shit all over the last movie. And there were things to be critical about this movie. Like I said, coming in, I felt like JJ had an impossible task and he had to fit basically his treatment of two movies into one. For that, he did an amazing job. For the most part, while I was viewing it, the first half of the movie, I was very aware that JJ was trying to pull off a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what you want to be aware of while watching a movie. But God damn it, he made the points that needed to hit matter in the second half of the movie. Mm-hmm. He's made me connect with, this is going to sound absolutely ridiculous.
You've already been.
He's made me connect with my friends tonight talking about this movie, and that to me, that's what Star Wars is the living force flowing through me, connecting with my friends.
It got worse at the end.
I am so Toby, you and me right now. Of the people around this table, I know you the least, but this is me and you right now. Okay,
you're gonna get to know him tonight. Apparently,
I'm a heroin addict. I'm easy to impress.
All right, don't make fun of my Star Wars sheets, you ass.
I am so excited to see this movie for a second time, to experience the moments that did connect with me the first time. Because the second time I'm not going to be distracted by all the things that I didn't like the first time.
Yeah.
And the second time I'm going to be looking to experience the things that did connect with me the first time. And this movie hits on enough cylinders. Sure, I would love to have seen this movie be doing, this trilogy be doing a totally new thing. It didn't do that. It set itself on a course, and I'm analyzing this movie, and it had to juggle a lot of things. I want to see it again. And for that reason, I'm giving it the thumbs up.
Ooh, that's trademarked.
Well, you can't take that.
Josh just got sued off the podcast.
Right.
All right. Next up
cut. I'm giving it the dicks up.
There you go. That's original. Nobody's ever done that.
I copyrighted that myself.
Oh, wait, no. Garrick has the patent on that. Sorry.
I'm pretty sure Lando has a patent on that.
Petrie.
I liked it.
All right.
Yeah.
I went into this with very, very little exposure on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
To Star Wars in general.
Yeah, right. I tried to stay away from the internet and such for leaks and stuff like that.
And like this podcast.
Yeah.
Semi successful. But overall, I was very pleased.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few points, but there's always going to be a few points.
Yeah.
That stick in my craw.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see.
Meaning your butt.
Nope, that's not what that means.
Wow.
That's not your craw,
Josh,
man.
we need to discuss your craw.
Yes. We need. Never mind.
Proceed.
Nope.
This is. I'm a little lost right now. Have I been doing it wrong?
Yes. It's anyway.
Huh.
I need to see it a few more times, I think, but I think it may find its way into my top 5.
Damn.
Wow. That's
a
strong statement.
Top 5 Star
Can't
Wars.
hear you, Toby.
Yeah.
We
can't hear you.
We did that after Rogue One.
Yeah,
We
Toby
did
abandoned his
Top.
microphone.
Yeah.
Top.
And Rogue One.
No, it is top.
I love he shoves the mic back and finishes his sentence.
Yeah.
No, it's
No, because Rogue One is my 4, and then this might be my top.
top 5,
5,
easily
yeah.
top,
That's
definitely
fair.
top 6. for
That's
me.
fair.
Yeah,
That's
there
fair.
you go. Okay.
Top 6. That's not hard.
All right.
I kept
Revenge
it
of the
short and
Sith was.
prequels are dead.
I'd have to think about that.
Garrett.
Oh, my turn?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree with a little bit what everyone just said. Like, yeah, it made me have the feels. I went in with very low expectations, and
That helps, doesn't it?
yeah, it does. I was really surprised about what came out of it. And I know even from the very beginning, before The Force Awakens came out, I think we tried to keep ourselves from judging individual movies too harshly, whether that happened, probably not, because we were waiting for the whole trilogy to come out so we could, judge them as a whole, as they were probably originally intended to be judged as, but, take or leave it depending on whose treatment you believe should have been used. But as a whole, what I was really surprised about in this movie is how much it smoothed things over in The Last Jedi for me. Because I was with Mike and you guys, like I'm not a fan of that movie, but this helped me understand some things in that movie and accept things in that movie to make it just a more cohesive trilogy.
I think acceptance is a really good word, because I'm not convinced that all of it was originally intended, but this movie made it work.
I can understand. I know there's criticisms that this movie shits all over The Last Jedi. I mean, it just takes everything. No, I don't think that's what it does.
There's a couple
you can view it. You can view it that way.
My respect for JJ has gone up quite a few notches.
Yeah.
I think it enhanced it a lot.
It did.
It enhanced.
I think those things can be interpreted that way, but I don't think that was the intent. I mean, why would
the main sticking point, and we didn't talk about it, is when Luke is appearing to Rey as a Force ghost.
And he catches the lightsaber.
Catches the lightsaber.
Redeem it.
Who would throw this away?
Work that for me.
Yeah, but that makes sense to me. That makes
sense because he after that he admits that he was afraid.
True. That's true.
Right.
He's like, I was on this island and I did all that because I was afraid. It's not rewriting that movie.
Yeah.
Right.
It's telling us, he was there. He was afraid, and he admits that, and I think that brings his character full circle.
Yeah, because remember,
that's a dark side. That's a dark side thing.
Let's remember. I mean, he rectified that in The Last Jedi. He was he didn't want to be involved, and then he got involved.
Right.
So I mean, it's not like The Last Jedi didn't even bring that around. It's just they expanded on it.
I think The Last Jedi thinks that The Rise of Skywalker is picking on it, but The Rise of Skywalker is like, who's The Last Jedi? I don't even know who that guy is.
the kid with the broom. That was the last
Broom
Jedi.
kid.
Broom kid.
Okay.
He was in the after.
Stable boy.
No.
Stable John.
Broom teen. Broom teen was in the after credits.
He's flying one of those ships.
You mean where they freed the horsey space horses,
but not the kids? Yeah,
right.
I love that.
That was sweet.
That was my favorite sequence.
Garrick, you have anything
Kind
else
of
to
them.
say? Because we all kind of railroad.
That's
sorry,
a good
Garrick.
movie. Like you said, there are some scenes where I wish weren't in there. They could have left a lot on the cutting room floor, but overall, I think it's a fun ride.
Yeah,
and it's a really enjoyable story.
Mm-hmm. Howie,
that's all I got.
Mr.
Howie.
Accordion Fingers.
Yeah, I left this movie feeling like I did, for the most part, when I was watching the original movies.
The original? You're not just talking about The Force Awakens.
No, I'm talking about the originals. I'm not saying it's as good as them because it had a monumental task that I had to overcome.
It's got a handicap.
You felt like a kid, right?
But I felt like a kid,
Yeah.
and I felt these powerful moments, and it didn't have like, oh, here's one powerful moment. It had several that it wove together, and with bringing back a lot of the original score at just the right time, it hit a lot of great points that made me feel like I did back then, at least to a degree.
Yeah.
And I was excited and happy with because we've all said that there's some pain points, there's some weak points, but the ride is, you can overlook those because the ride was such a great ride.
Yeah, such a beautiful ride.
Yep.
If I'm allowed to, though, I'm going to push back just a little bit. That the first movies, the original trilogy, had a lot more like lightness, for lack of a better word, sunshine. And this movie had a lot of fun, but once it started emotionally connecting in the second half of the film,
It had to get heavy.
It got really dark.
It had to get heavy. I wouldn't call it dark.
No,
It got
I don't think it got real dark.
It got close. That was the threat.
And it had emotional impact. But for my takeaway coming away from this movie wasn't like this like triumphant, happy feeling. It was like
relief.
This more exactly.
The warmth. That's the warmth that I was talking about.
It covered over the sins and gave me something to hold on to and feel good about. It didn't have for me the childhood triumphancy of the excitement of the original.
For me, it did in the Han moment.
Oh yeah, sure.
In that Han moment, and then in the Leia moment at the end. That was oh damn. Those were two. There's several other impactful moments, but those are for me the main two impactful moments that I felt the triumph in that.
Right on. Mine was the last scene with the two sons. Dude, I was done.
I mean, you know it's coming.
I broke down.
Still, that song. Ladies and gentlemen,
you saw the two sons at the end of The Last Jedi. So what's the difference for you? I know it, but I want to hear you say
because The Last Jedi to me felt. It felt like I was watching cardboard cutouts. I don't know how to explain it. It didn't feel right to me.
It didn't.
But you're the general fan that supposedly loved that.
I walked out of there and I was like,
supposedly loved that movie.
You're right. So I walked out.
Supposedly,
I told Mike, I was like, that was a great movie, but it was like.
It was
that was the last time. Yeah, I was like the last time I ever mentioned it, and I never watched it again until just recently. But then I didn't think about it since then because I was like, that was the last.
Howie's only seen it once.
Wait, I thought you said
really?
This was
you only
your
seen
life.
It once?
Yeah.
But I saw. I saw it twice or three times maybe. But
seen
it
twice.
Oh wait, no, I saw it twice in theaters, and I've never gotten through it a full time.
Yo, you saw it
New Year's last year.
New Year's when we were drunk in riff tracksing the thing. Oh my gosh, that movie's fun to watch if you are just ripping on it like crazy.
Yeah, but I just watched it recently, and I was
every day.
And I was like, okay, so they're wearing tuxedos and drinking champagne on an alien world, and I'm already like disconnected. But but this movie, I'm telling you, like at the end when she was doing it, because I always loved Rey. I don't know.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. I just know when I walk out of a theater and I feel a certain way. When I walked out of The Last Jedi, I was like, yeah, it was good. Like, you kind of making excuses. You're like, I did like this. Like when I walked out of The Phantom Menace for the first time in 1999 or whatever, and when I was 22. Yeah. Because I'm old as shit. And I was like, well, the lightsaber battle was cool. Like, I was literally making excuses for the 17 times I saw that movie.
Star Wars, man.
Yeah, it's Star Wars. You're like, I like that part, but this movie, I was
don't feel
like,
like you have to make excuses for this movie.
No, I didn't. I was like, like my heart was broken like 18 times. It was viscerally edited. It was like crazy as shit for the first half.
Do you have anything else to put onto it?
Nope.
Sorry.
Mike, no,
Sorry.
that's okay.
I'm out.
This is what happens. Quit shoving the microphone
I know.
away like you're
It's
not
like, keep it
allowed.
away because I'm like, stay away from Mike.
Mike.
All right, so I'm going to preface all of this by saying I agree with most everything everybody said. I enjoy this movie. There was some emotional impact.
Wait a minute. I know you, Mike.
This is no less Jedi.
I'm sorry. You earned this little next bit for a long time. I have tried to get you ready to enjoy this film for so many months.
Is true.
I have berated you. I've tried to goad you on. I've tried to cheer you on, and you're
going to
like,
say that even after my comments.
and you're like, no. There's just no way, man.
He's wearing a Star Wars sweatshirt right now, ironically.
But you're telling me.
No, I went into this movie. I tried to give it a shot, and I,
you were excited about some of the things.
I read the leaks, and I was just like, I don't know. We'll see. The whole time when I read those leaks, reading them, and again, the execution, seeing it on screen are two different things. Totally different. I feel like the execution was right, so I'm there. So again, I'm prefacing my comments that I'm going to say here in a minute by saying I enjoy this movie. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a great experience. I feel like JJ pulled off. He did as good of a job as I could have hoped for.
Given what he had to
deal with. Okay. So all that said, I'm going to point a couple things out. First off, you can look at this movie as a standalone movie,
which is not what it is.
But I'm saying you can look at it that way. You can look at it as part of a trilogy, and you can look at it as the conclusion to the Skywalker saga. And how does it succeed in those 3 different categories, right? as its own movie, it did great. And as a part of this trilogy, it wrapped everything up. It did what it needed to do. So it succeeded in point 1 and point 2.
Yeah.
Now, as the conclusion of the Skywalker saga, I'm going to throw some truth bombs here. It was not great.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, let's call it for what it is. I mean, it was basically, this trilogy was basically a retelling of the original trilogy. Force Awakens is A New Hope, and Last Jedi was Empire, and this one was Return of the Jedi.
First off, watch your language on that second part.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it.
JJ wanted it to be that, but he didn't have full control.
No, I
That's
get
my
it.
belief.
But so to me, there was a lack of creativity with this because they could have went in a completely different direction, did different things. We always talk about the EU and the EU being thrown out. The Zahn trilogy was great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it had nothing. It really had nothing to do.
No.
And it didn't hit the beats and rhythms of the original trilogy
It
at
more
all.
referred to the Clone Wars, which was not a thing that had a movie about
Right
it.
at that
Than
point.
it
Right.
did anything else.
Right. So
Right.
in terms of creativity and taking a new direction and really wrapping up the because again, let's face it for what it is. At the end of Rise of Skywalker, we're in exactly the same place that we were at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Where you have one Jedi who's going to rebuild and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So there's no creativity there at all. So to me, as a standalone movie and as part of the trilogy, it did a great job. It did what it was supposed to. As the wrap to the Skywalker saga, meh.
It
You
won't
know.
be, though.
No.
It won't be. Because Rey will get knocked up. She will have twins named Jason and Jaina.
I like this.
We'll have
Keep
a new
going.
we'll have a new trilogy
There you
She'll
go.
marry
About how-
Mara Jade.
about
So wait,
how one of them goes dark.
Yeah.
Do I have
So
to go
Mi-
behind the curtain to
So,
rent that
Mike,
movie?
what would
Yeah, a little bit.
as a fan, what would you envision as like the end of the like? What was?
I don't know.
I'm not knocking
Because
it. Don't
involves
get me
a whole
wrong.
other narrative.
I'm not
It's
the I'm not the creative type, so I don't know. I want to be entertained. I want to
So
sit back
it
and
didn't.
watch
It
the
didn't
story.
meet your expectations.
This leads me to
Yeah.
what I'm excited.
I don't think it's going to meet
So-
anybody's expectations.
So
well, if you're coming at this trilogy brand new, you've not watched any sequel trilogy, you know what? I think I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to be like, temper your expectations.
So
As much
we-
as I love
after-
this movie.
No, but
After
how do you know
Return-
that?
Or after Last Jedi, everybody was like, "Oh, this was so great! It subverted expectations and blah 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 blah." And I didn't see it that way at all. But
No, I just looked at it as being bad.
I actually kind of agree with that sentiment at some level because I'm like, this new trilogy should have took us in a new direction, had a different
No,
threat,
agreed.
had a different.
A lot of people think that like people like us, we're just clinging to the old stuff. Now, I'm a firm believer, like if you're going to continue a story, it better feel like it continues that story.
right.
But I don't believe in making a Xerox or a mimeograph, which is what The Force Awakens was.
Mhm.
And I don't believe in once you've done that, then trying to just give everybody whiplash by just going, just kidding on everything in The Last
twice.
Jedi, which, by the way, is what you call bad narrative form.
Mhm.
By literally just saying, just kidding 100 times about the movie that came before and everything that you're setting up in the film. We need a code breaker. Just kidding. Oh, we found one. Just kidding. Oh, he's not going to betray us. Just kidding.
Oh, lost it.
Like
But the
whole
Last
film-
Jedi is brilliant.
the whole film. We need to find gas and help. Just kidding. The entire film is constant. So
I
there's
know, right,
it's not that we don't want something new.
right.
Watch us absolutely glaze ourselves over the Mandalorian.
exactly.
Yes,
You guys,
Okay, which is your
you guys
leading-
want to know what I'm excited about right now?
What are you excited about?
Star Wars.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because as disjointed as this last trilogy was, it was wrapped up.
Okay. Yes, and you guys-
Mandalorian's doing something. Do you know how excited I am to think of the possibility of some new trilogy or Star Wars thing happening right now? Everyone's laughing at me right now. I don't know why.
I think it was because
I
of
was gonna
Mandalorian doing something.
I just like to clue the viewers into what's happening right now. Everyone's mocking me
But I'm not.
No.
I don't know what's going
because
on.
I'm laughing at
because
him
I'm
laughing.
passionately excited about Star Wars.
No, I totally am laughing at you.
For what?
One
For
person
why
was
we're saying-
laughing at you.
But
we're-
I wouldn't have been excited about Star Wars if this. I was not excited about Star Wars after The Last Jedi.
Okay.
It's
No.
been wrapped up enough that I can put that in the
Speaking
back
of
of my head.
wrapping up,
And I can
So
move
wait,
on.
wait. I have.
finish Mike's comment so we
So
can
wait.
wrap up.
Yeah.
So I have one. I have
agree.
one comment which I did not bring up, but I did bring up on the porch earlier. By the way, we
All right,
talked on the porch.
we have our special porch segment comment.
Porch segment comment. So when
get one.
when
Everyone gets.
did I wait? Did I? Maybe I
Toby, I'm with
Exactly.
I'm with you right
Or
now.
Josh.
I'm with you.
Josh
So
doesn't
wait,
get one.
I might have said this earlier. Did I
We're
talk
like
about,
a dyad in the force right
Did
now.
I talk about the women yelling for when they kissed each other? Did we talk about the kiss?
Not
We
in
mentioned
here.
it.
The women yelling. No, you meant that was a porch thing. But we
Okay.
didn't mention the kiss.
So when they kissed, when
what's her
Raylo
name?
kissed,
Yeah.
when Raylo kissed, there were a bunch of women in the audience when I was in the theater, fucking screaming like they screamed. And for the moment, I thought, "Holy shit, this does not belong to me." Because I thought this was like, it's corny, but that I knew that there were fans out there that wanted to see that happen. And I thought, this is not me. This is like for everybody. For the moment, I literally thought, this is for everybody. Everybody in the theater was getting something out of it.
Yeah.
And then my nephews and nieces, when I took them to go see like all these other Star Wars movies, they loved all this other shit. The original trilogy was boring to them, but they loved all this other. I'm like, but you love Star Wars, so like this is our universe. This is the universe that we've all painted. We're all part of, and you know what? Who am I to tell them what they fucking love and what they don't love?
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyways,
true.
that's my thing. So sorry.
That's all right.
That's a good
No,
note to end on.
Yeah, I think that's a great note.
Well,
to end
Mike,
on.
did you have anything else to add on the end of that?
So The Last Jedi was the most amazing.
That's what.
I love how
Ryan
Toby-
Johnson is the greatest
Toby
director.
is breaking Mike's balls enough for all of us.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I'm just-
amazing.
I'm
I haven't been here in 2 years, so I have to do that.
Yeah,
so
I could just sit back and relax. This is
Yeah, I
great.
know it's an easy job.
the Porgs are the greatest
Going
thing
back
ever.
to what Josh and Corey was saying real quick. I'm not going to say that there aren't problems with Disney. There's problems with Disney and there's problems with Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
People ragging on JJ and ragging on Ryan Johnson are wrong because it starts at the top with Bob Iger and it starts with Kathleen Kennedy. And I'm sorry, my opinion is Kathleen Kennedy still needs to go. I think she will. I think at the end of 2021, when her contract is up, she's done, and the new
Whoever.
guard takes form, takes shape, and
White male.
That was trolling.
He
I know trolling when I hear it.
he wears a cowboy hat and likes wolves.
but back
Yeah, no, okay, that I'm on board with.
back to what you guys are saying though. To their credit, I feel like they've started to right the ship. They've got a hit with The Mandalorian, and I think Rise of Skywalker was at least a fair attempt at saying, oops, sorry for the shit. Sorry for coming into this trilogy with no plan. Sorry to come in here and have 3 different directors who were going to tell 3 different stories, and there was no overarching plan.
Yeah, first you had JJ, and then you had RJ, and then you had other JJ.
Well,
No,
you
not
had
originally.
Colin Trevorrow
Oh, right. You're right.
was number
You're
3.
right. You're right.
But at that point, after Last Jedi happened,
Colin
He was
Trevorrow,
like,
I think
I'm out.
that was, I mean, whether people want to admit it or not, after Last Jedi, there was an oh shit moment, especially after Solo happened and they lost money. Then we're like, oh shit. And I think that's where Colin Trevorrow, I don't know what happened there. I don't know if he left or if they let him go. Who knows?
the way I've heard is that he was so pissed off that they fired him. And I'm like, that's an interesting narrative.
Well, I mean, he said that he asked for some favors out of Ryan
And at this
Johnson,
point-
and Ryan Johnson flipped him the bird and said, "No, this is my movie. I'm doing what
And
I
at
want."
this point,
But
water
you
under the
love Ryan
bridge.
Johnson.
Water
Even
under
though
the bridge.
JJ had done
it happened.
favors for him on the Force Awakens.
No, but you love Ryan
I'm gonna
Johnson.
hit the
Mike.
mute button, you guys, and I'm gonna hit stop.
Don't hit
Ooh.
stop.
Do it.
We haven't finished the
Hit
podcast.
stop.
Well, I'm gonna hit stop.
We should. We have run longer than the film itself at
That's
this
right.
point.
So,
We've
ladies and
run
gentlemen,
an hour longer than the film itself.
Yeah.
ladies, I'm trying to keep Toby's mic from falling because he's been swinging it around violently.
that way. Keep it away from me.
So, hey, thank you all for joining us for our absolute dissection of the Rise of Skywalker. Obviously, overall, around this table, a lot of positive things to be said. Is it a perfect movie? No. Are the critics saying things that might be a little bit valid? Yes, but so the frick what? You want closure? Go get it. It's waiting out there for you. Also, go to Twitter and follow us and crawl that crap. And YouTube. And I don't know, Facebook.
Discord.
You face.
MySpace.
Check out our Zynga.
Alta Vista.
Go to our LimeWire.
Yeah, fly-casual or fly-casual dot
GeoCities.
angelfire dot
Angel Fire.
yeah, all that crap. I'm gonna be done. I need a drink or something after.
Please.
Cake. We got cake.
Yeah, there's still cake.
there's
waiting
cake.
for us. Look, Toby just puts his hand in the air.
I
Like,
want cake.
I vote for cake. I vote cake.
You're all gonna be sad when you find out it's a lie.
Yeah.
The cake?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
We saw it,
Penny ate it all.
Eric.
actually, it's been so long you don't realize that was a callback to an
palps ate it
earlier
all.
thing.
Oh.
In the meantime, I'm Corey. Over there's Toby.
Hello.
Over there's Mike.
Go watch this movie. It was fun.
Yes, over there's Howie.
Goodbye.
Over there's Peachy.
Good night, cats and kittens.
Over there's Josh.
I need to pee really bad.
I know, right? Over there's Garrick.
My cat's better than Petrie's cat, and it can beat it up.
And it's named after a movie about cats.
But not cats.
I was
the
going to
movie.
say cats.
No, not that one. Your cat's name is McCavity or Jelly?